After a while, Hualien left in a boat. As for the fishing proposal, not only did Fang Qing reject it, but even Chazhu didn't want to go. Li Yusu, on the other hand, looked very interested. Hualien didn't mind it and accepted it directly. 1 month later, the Zhouman's large fishing fleet returned. It is said that the harvest was good, but the disciples of the Zhouman also suffered casualties. For Fang Qing, it was another large-scale task of refining the foundation establishment pill in Hongquan Peak. Li Yusu also returned smoothly. It is said that he got along well with the Hualien crew and gained a lot. They made an appointment to go to sea together next time. As for Fang Qing, on the other hand, he is constantly accepting tasks to refine Yuhua spiritual water, and then occasionally takes action to refine green spiritual water once, but there is no doubt that all of them will fail. It seems I have to find an opportunity to go out of the sect, and then wash away the large amount of green ginseng I got, Fang Qing thought to himself. As soon as he left the sect, he would say that he was lucky enough to discover the cave of his predecessors and obtain a large number of spiritual stones. Then he will spend a lot of money to buy ginseng and green spiritual water materials to improve his alchemy skills, so that he will not be worried about others. Time flies like water, and years fly by. Unconsciously, a year has passed. Hongquan Peak. Come. Fang Qing circulates the water of the spiritual spring, forming a huge whirlpool, and countless green spiritual lights can be faintly seen, being separated and combined in the vortex, fall. A moment later, drops of green spiritual water condensed in the land of the spiritual spring, turning into a shallow layer. Sheng. Fang Qing's hand technique changed again. Under the operation of Jishui mana, his water control technique reached an astonishing level. He could faintly control 6 whirlpools and refine alchemy at the same time. Collect. In the end, every drop of emerald green ginseng green spiritual water was collected by Fang Qing's method of collecting pills and stored in a green gourd. It finally happened for once. He exhaled a long breath, opened the gourd, dropped a drop into his mouth, and slowly tasted. Well, the taste is slightly bitter, authentic, but the quality is slightly worse, but the first pool, it's understandable. In the future, you won't have to go to the sect to buy the auxiliary elixir that is so valuable to the dead. As an expert in refining the green ginseng spiritual water, he certainly knows the cost price of this pair of elixirs. The alchemy palace is trying to trick people. That's it, some disciples still need to queue up. This is the arrogance of the alchemist. In addition to accumulating a lot of experience, I am able to succeed, but also thanks to the practice of Hinata Dharma Protector magic skill. After getting started with this secret realm skill, my body and spirit improved rapidly. Although it is still far from the first level of perfection, the body refining can be considered as entering the first low-level level, and I can compete with the early-stage monks of Qi refining with the physical body. The spirit is strong and the medicinal properties control it. Stronger, coupled with a good water control technique and a lot of krypton gold, it finally became possible. Fang Qing shook the green gourd and smiled happily. After taking this gourd spiritual water, my magic power will probably have a breakthrough. His Qi convincing Dao cultivation has been stuck at the 3rd level of convincing Qi for a year. This time, he should be able to break through to the 4th level of convincing Qi with the help of the power of the elixir. As for the black water mana, maybe you can try the 5th level of Qi refining? Sure enough, compared to the hard work of relying on oneself to practice before, it is faster to take Dr. Uggs to practice. Fang Qing felt huge emotion in his heart. He returned to the cave and had not rested long when he received a transmission note. Oh? It's this person? It's time for a showdown, right? Fang Qing nodded, opened the door of the cave, and saw a Qi refining monk with half black and half white hair and a thin appearance walking in. It was Su Wusu. Haha. Congratulations, junior brother, for successfully refining ginseng green spirit water. Su Wusu smiled and handed over his hand. This matter had already been spread on Hongquan Peak, but he was able to come right away, which is obviously a thoughtful person. I'm just lucky. During my last mission, I found a casual cultivator in the cave and got a sum of spiritual stones, which allowed me to buy a large amount of spiritual grass and improve my craftsmanship. Fang Qing smiled slightly. The so-called Sancho cave is naturally his way of laundering the profits from trade between the 2 worlds. The resources of some Qi refining monks do not attract much attention in the sect. Only a few of Fang Qing's friends lamented his good luck. This is also due to luck. If we monks want to get rich, we have to go out and look for opportunities, but those opportunities often come with risks, which are far inferior to refining elixirs in the sect, or planting spiritual valleys and raising fish for the sect. Su Wusu also secretly thought that Fang Qing was unlucky, and the smile on his face became even brighter. However, junior brother, you should have already consumed all the ingredients for the green spiritual water, right? The 1st level low-grade and medium-grade spiritual water are okay, and the first-grade high-grade spiritual powder and even the elixir are very expensive. Even if I fail once, I will be extremely heartbroken. There are many alchemy disciples on Dan Island, but there are very few second-level alchemy masters who are qualified to accept disciples. He has always felt that Li Yusu was able to be Ikumfuyunzi's disciple, and there must be someone behind the scenes. It would be best to become a disciple of the second-level alchemy master. If that doesn't work, you can also join our Five Dragons Association and exchange experiences with each other, Su Wusu Tuqiong said. I wonder if Junior Brother is willing? Five Dragons Association? Could it be the Five Dragons Association founded by Senior Brother Wulongzi? Fang Qing was slightly surprised, but relevant information quickly emerged in his heart. Wulongzi, a disciple of Dan Island, studied under a second-level alchemy master, and now has reached the 9th level of qi refining. Looking at his ambition, he will become a true disciple in the next 10 years, and even the Foundation Establishment Pill. Exactly. Su Wusu took out an alchemy book. This Five Dragons Alchemy Sutra was written by Senior Brother Wulongzi and was later passed to me. I think you are more suitable, Junior Brother. It seems that Senior Brother Wulongzi is determined to compete for the true scripture? Is it a battle of magic or alchemy? Fang Qing exhaled a long breath and asked. Of course it's alchemy. With our strength and cooperation, it's enough to make Brother Wulongzi's alchemy skills improve by leaps and bounds. Now he can refine the first-level high-grade elixir. With another 10 years of practice, he can be promoted to the second level or even the second level, Su Wusu said. Senior Brother Wulongzi promised that after he builds the foundation, he will definitely assist us in building the foundation. Fang Qing was speechless, but his face was very solemn. Senior Brother Wulongzi is so generous? We are all in the same sect, so I believe it with credibility. In fact, he could tell at a glance that Wulongzi's plan was just to raise a large amount of spiritual resources and master the alchemy skills. When unity and sacrifice are emphasized, the people below are the price. But, I don't care. After all, I have nothing else but a lot of resources. Exchanging resources for the alchemy experience and advice of a first-level high-level alchemist is not a big loss. Fang Qing took the Five Dragon Alchemy Sutra and said again, I heard that if you want to advance to the second-level skill, you must have spiritual consciousness. Could it be that Brother Wulongzi succeeded? Not yet. Mentioning this, Su Wusu's expression was a bit ugly. However, we have searched all over the ancient prescriptions and found several ancient prescriptions suitable for qi refining monks to increase their spiritual consciousness. We are concentrating our efforts to crack and improve them. Although several of the main ingredients have become extinct, if we can find substitutes, it will be enough if they have some success. I am willing to do my little bit in this matter. When Fang Qing heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. Having spiritual consciousness during the qi refining period. This is also his pursuit. Although he has the horse-headed Vajra Protector magic skill, it may not be safe. It would be good to have one more. Although the main ingredient of this ancient elixir is extinct, this is only the case here in Zhao Wanhai. Perhaps there are related spiritual plants in the immortal cultivation world further away in the East China Sea or even on the mainland. However, the cost of transporting them is not something that qi refining cultivators can bear. Or, we can find the missing main medicine in ancient Shu. Haha, our Five Dragons Association has Junior Brother Fang, which is even more powerful. Su Wusu laughed loudly. There is one more thing I want to ask of Senior Brother. Fang Qing took a sip of mountain spring water and suddenly spoke. Oh? You said. Although Su Wusu felt that Fang Qing had a lot to do, he still made a listening gesture. After being promoted to a first-level mid-level alchemist, I feel more and more that I need a spiritual pond of my own in order to grow. The properties of the medicinal water. It's not a problem to always change the spiritual spring. I was thinking of setting up a spiritual spring eye in the cave, but I couldn't find a suitable earth master and formation master. Fang Qing expressed his helplessness. Actually, he just wanted to find a private place to practice alchemy without being in full view of everyone. For example, this time, he had just successfully refined ginseng green spirit water and everyone knew about it, and then Su Wusu came to his door. Fortunately this time, it was an ordinary elixir like Shenlu Ling Shui. What if it's even rarer next time? Build your own spiritual spring? The cost is not small. First, it needs to be approved by the Alchemy Palace. After all, you need to draw a water vein, which involves changes in the island's large water veins. In addition, there are also the costs of hiring an array master and an earth master, as well as the cost of building a spiritual pool. There are not hundreds of spiritual stones to take. Not coming down, Su Wusu shook his head and said, everyone wants to have a private spiritual spring, but there are very few who are not first-level high-grade alchemists who can build it. As for the spiritual stone, I will raise it myself and ask my senior brother to introduce a reliable earth master, Fang Qingdao. He actually had the capital for a long time, but he couldn't get the approval from the Dam Palace. Without the connections, he might be stuck for a long time. However, just leave it to the Five Dragons Association to run it. Daoshengzhu is a first-level high-grade alchemy master and has been deeply involved in the alchemy palace for many years. He can definitely complete the procedures. This is especially true for the Earth Master and the Formation Master. Fang Qing doesn't know any of him. Even if I am taken advantage of and spend a few more spiritual stones, as long as I can get the thing done, it is still worth it. The moonlight is like water. Inside the cave. When I look at the black mausoleum, there is a clear spring flowing. Fang Qing has transformed the magical power of Qi Dao and is silently comprehending, Ji Shui. Crash. The mana in his body surged, and he suddenly broke through a certain level. Finally. I have reached the 4th level of convincing Qi Dao. It's not in vain that I took so much ginseng green spirit water. Fang Qing opened his eyes, with a slightly excited expression. In this way, my convincing Qi Dao technique has also entered the middle stage. He thought for a while and closed his eyes. The Daosheng beads rolled around, and Fang Qing's Ji Shui mana disappeared, turning into black water mana. As the water flows, it happens naturally. With a smile on his face, he felt the mana of the black water in his body drifting with the flow, and suddenly broke through, and the sea of Qi in his dantian expanded once again. I have reached the 5th level of Qi refining. I am afraid that my speed is faster than that of Chazhu. Is it because I have cultivated the 3 flowers of essence, energy, and spirit at the same time and transformed them all? After all, he also has a horse-headed Vajra protector magic art, which cultivates both the essence and the spirit. This breakthrough has also transformed its supernatural power. This cultivation speed is a bit fast, it can be covered up. With this thought, Fang Qing immediately transformed part of the black water mana, causing his own breath to fall back to the 4th level of Qi refining. After the breakthrough, he came out refreshed and saw the transmission message from Su Wusu. Oh? All the procedures have been completed? Sure enough, double happiness is coming. A moment later, in a pavilion. Fang Qing walked into it and saw Su Wusu making tea. Haha. Junior brother Fang, I ran many times before I applied for the sex decree. With this, you can transform your own cave and draw the water veins, as long as it does not exceed the 1st level. If brother Wolongzi had a good relationship with her, he really wouldn't take action. Thank you. A hint of joy appeared on Fang Qing's face and he received the letter. Junior brother, I happen to have some ideas about the Ningxian powder. This Ningxian powder is one of several ancient elixirs of the Wulonghui, which has the effect of condensing spiritual consciousness, but the main ingredient has long been extinct on Bu Island. For our elixir recipe, if the main ingredients become extinct, most of them will be replaced by materials collected from monsters in the sea. How about just using 7-star grass instead of 7-star treasure fish? Sigh. We have thought of this idea a long time ago, and we also got a few 7-star treasure fish to try. But no matter whether the fish blood, fish meat, or fish bones, are not up to the requirements. Su Wusu shook his head in disappointment. How easy is it to change the main ingredients of the ancient elixir? Without thousands of experiments and accumulation, you must be a master of alchemy, and have a clear understanding of pharmacological changes, so that you can lock in a few, which I'm afraid even a great master would have to fail several times before he can hope to succeed. Alas, Fang Qing also looked disappointed. Haha, let's not mention this. Now that 1 year has passed, the results of the 25 secluded disciples have come out. Su Wusu mentioned another thing, senior brother Zhang, senior sister Kan. A total of 8 people successfully built the foundation, and the rest all failed. 25, 8 successful? Is it close to a 30% success rate? Fang Qing murmured, yes, a genuine foundation building pill can increase the hope of success in foundation building by 30%. When Su Wusu mentioned this, he naturally meant something. Nowadays, those true inheritances that have failed they have abdicated one after another, and preparate. Ions for a new round of true inheritance battle will begin in advance. This is actually urging me to get the spirit stone. Thanks to senior brother Su for running the formalities this time. For your kindness, please help me deliver it to the meeting. Fang Qing smiled and took out a small bag of spirit stones. Haha, very good. Su Wusu took the spirit stone, the smile on his face became more sincere, and he sighed again. It is difficult to build the foundation. Even if the true disciple fails once, he will always be relegated to another book. I don't know how to repay the loan contribution points. Unless the sect shows mercy, there will be a second chance to build the foundation. Theoretically speaking, after taking the foundation building pill once and failing, the sect will give up, but there are naturally exceptions. For example, the disciples of the ancestor Jiedan, the direct descendants of the powerful elders of the inner sect, Fang Qing is accustomed to it. The cruelty of competition among sects is nothing compared to ancient Shu. I'm afraid that without the foundation establishment pill, it would be better to die than to take the human pill, right? By the way, building the spiritual spring in the cave is a big project, and the reconstruction will take a long time. Could it be that junior brother is planning to rent another cave? Before saying goodbye, Su Wusu asked, "No, I'm going to go fishing. Maybe I can catch a spiritual fish that can help break through the realm, and my magic power will increase by leaps and bounds." Fang Qing told the truth. "Do you have a fleet to go fishing?" Su Wusu smiled and didn't take it seriously. Everyone in the Baihaman monks knows that there are endless opportunities in the sea, so why do so many people refuse to go to sea? Isn't it because the deeper the sea, the more dangerous it is? If someone is unlucky and runs into a 3rd level or even 4th level monster, even the ancestor of the alchemy formation may not be able to come back alive. Without a fleet, I still like to act alone. Of course Fang Qing will not form a team with others. If he goes to sea alone, he can hide an ancient shoe when he encounters danger. If he forms a team, let alone the issue of whose orders he listens to, it is not easy to hide. If I go to sea alone and do not go to the deep sea, the risk is still controllable. And, just in time to make another nominal windfall. For monks to go to sea and catch high-level spiritual fish, it is also a shortcut to get rich instantly. Of course, more people will die in the belly of the fish, but it is still inevitable that more and more monks will go exploring and capture. For example, Hualien, even if there is no sect group. Fang Qing doesn't really need to catch high-level spiritual fish, he just needs an excuse to get rich. The roaring sea breeze is very different from the tranquility of the lake. It is, Zhen Shui, compared with Ji Shui, it is indeed quite mysterious. A boat floating alone in the sea, Fang Qing silently experienced the moodiness of the sea. The practice of Feng Qi Tao seems to pay more attention to the Daoshengzhu, or the perception of the virtue of water. It's so troublesome, but it's not as good as Qi refining Dao, which can be brave and diligent. He thought for a long time, but couldn't comprehend anything. He took out another pill recipe and silently studied it. This pill recipe is the Ningxian powder obtained from the 5 Dragons Association. Qi refining Dao elixirs are mainly water, powder, pills, and pills, each has its own merits, and the refining techniques are different. This Ningxian powder is more difficult to refine than the spiritual water. Fang Qing sighed. It was already the 7th day after talking to Su Wusu. He got the letter talisman and immediately went to the formation island to see the senior sister Qin. The senior sister Qin was indeed excellent in formations and taught herself. After understanding the why of the Earth Master, there is no need to find someone else to pull the water veins. After inspecting Fang Qing's cave, he immediately gave the cave to the senior sister Qin, packed up his belongings, and went to sea to fish. It was a cover, but he still focused on his own cultivation. After daily practice, he started to think about the elixir. In fact, most of the ancient elixir of concentration has been conquered by the 5 Dragons Association, and most of the materials can be found on Jasper Island or used as substitutes. Only this 7-star grass is really useless. Thinking of this, Fang Qing smiled mysteriously and patted the storage bag. A jade box was opened, and inside was a strange spiritual grass. On the spiritual leaves, there were star-like patterns, which was the 7-star grass. The 5 Dragons Association has several elixir recipes that are beneficial to the spiritual consciousness. Only this Ningxian powder has been found in ancient Shu. Next, as long as the spiritual pool is built, you can try to refine it yourself. Fang Qing would be stupid to go to Hanquan Peak to refine such an important elixir, let alone give it to the 5 Dragons Association. Of course, it is right to try to refine it yourself and take it yourself. The sun rises and sets, the tides rise and fall. Fang Qing sits cross-legged on the boat, fixing 2 hours a day to practice qi and exercises, and another hour to practice the body and practice the horse-headed Vajra protector magic art. The rest of the time is spent reading various miscellaneous books, alchemy scriptures, and studying ancient elixir prescriptions. Occasionally, for leisure, I would lie down on the fishing boat and cast a pole to fish in the sea. He knew the importance and did not go to the dangerous deep sea at all. He only wandered around in the few safe sea areas that had been explored near Bu Island. In this way, although there is little gain, there is no danger. This day. Wow. Fang Qing fell. The trembling of the fishing rod, his face lit up with joy, and he closed the rod violently. A precious fish made entirely of jade was thrown out of the sea and easily caught in his hand. This treasure fish opened its mouth wide and full of fangs that looked like saw teeth. It bit Fang Qing's hand with a crunching sound, but it couldn't even break his skin. "You hua bao you? You are lucky today." When Fang Qing saw this scene, he pressed his palms slightly, and a smile appeared on his face. This fish is the main material for refining Yuhua spiritual water, and it is considered to be relatively high in value among treasure fish. Of course, he is only a half-demon and has not yet entered the level, so he cannot break through his defense of the first-level low-level body refining. If you encounter a first-grade low-grade or even mid-grade spiritual fish, it will not be so easy. After all, the human body is not good at underwater combat, unless you practice special techniques, such as mines and the like. In the sect, there are specialized fishermen monks. The techniques, spells, and magical weapons they practice are all for underwater fishing. They are very sharp at catching spiritual fish. Of course, if you encounter danger, you will die quickly. A few days later. Wow. A spirit fish with a mouth like a spear and a red gold body jumped out of the sea and opened its lips suddenly. Puff puff puff. A jet black water arrow formed instantly, like a strong bow and a hard crossbow, flying toward Fang Qing. Fang Qing's expression did not change, and he used his hands to perform tricks. Jishui, the mana surged, and seawater emerged, turning into a huge wall of water. The pitch-black arrows entered the water wall and melted instantly, as if they were being eroded. It turned out to be a spirit fish? A real monster. I didn't expect that I could catch a tuna spirit fish just by fishing in the sea. A smile appeared on his face. Now that we are out of the sea, don't go back. As he raised his hand, a golden blade talisman was activated, and the shadow of a pale golden knife emerged in the void, passing through the half-body of the tuna spirit fish, causing pieces of red fish scales to fall off. The tuna spirit fish twisted its body and was about to rush into the seawater, but found that the nearby seawater was controlled by Fang Qing, turning into a ball of water and floating in the air. As soon as the figure flashed, Fang Qing was already on the opposite side of the water polo. His muscles bulged all over his body, and his hands had a strange sheen. He hit the fish head hard where the back lines of the eyes of the two fishes intersected. Bang! The fish's brain instantly dented, and the tuna fish stopped moving. Fang Qing carried the big fish to the boat, cut off a piece of fish, grilled it slightly, and took a bite. Well, it is indeed a spiritual fish, and it tastes better than treasure fish. Feeling the fish meat entering his belly, turning into warmth, and even beginning to nourish his body and mana, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. If this tuna spirit fish were brought into the sect, it would be worth at least 100 spirit stones. You can refine elixirs to help break through the initial bottleneck. Chi refining. If Liusu could have had a tuna spirit fish back then, the breakthrough would have been impossible to fail. The sea is indeed a huge treasure. Fang Qing was very emotional. According to the records of Baihaman, there are many monks who were in miserable condition, even poisoned, fled into the deep sea, and were lucky enough to eat a spiritual fish. I originally just wanted to make a pretense. I didn't expect that a spiritual fish actually took the bait and brought it back to the sect. Everything was solved. Wait, where the spiritual fish are active, maybe there are also underwater spiritual creatures? At this thought, his heart moved, with a little inexplicable excitement. Although Fang Qing doesn't like taking risks, he can still pick up this kind of opportunity. He made a waterproofing trick, entered the sea, and began to search carefully. 3 days later. Fang Qing stopped in front of a huge shell, using both hands. Crash! The shell was opened with great force, revealing one of the pearls the size of a fist. This pearl is extremely bright, with a moist aura and an ethereal luster. A good bead is at least equivalent to a mid-grade spiritual stone. Fang Qing couldn't help but sigh. In Bihai sect, one middle-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to hundreds of low-grade spiritual stones. It is beyond the reach of ordinary chi refining monks and can only be mastered by foundation-building monks. Not only is the spiritual energy amazing, this bead is also a fine embryo, which can be used to refine water magic weapons. He has long felt that his family is poor. He only has some talismans and a green leaf boat on the way, not even a real magic weapon. If you can find a good refiner and slightly modify this pearl, it will at least be a first-order mid-grade magic weapon. If you are lucky, there is hope for a high-grade one. What a great harvest. Last time Liusu went to sea with the Shuanya ship, the harvest may not be as much as mine. After taking the sea pearl, Fang Qing was satisfied and sailed the ship back. Wanbao Island, General Affairs Hall. Junior brother, you have gained something like this. Hua Lian looked at the tuna fish and sea pearls displayed by Fang Qing with envy on his face. I have seen many fleets, and junior brother, you have gained something like this only a few times. It's just luck. Fang Qing handed the tuna spirit fish to Hua Lian. Please ask my senior brother to consign this thing. In addition, I want to refine the sea pearl in my hand into a magic weapon. Oh? I should go to Hua for this. Tianhua. He knows many brothers who practice fire attribute skills, and among them, Minglingzhen is a first-level high-grade weapon refiner. Hua Lian responded with a smile. This is how the sex connections came. You are full of spiritual energy, so you really need to find a good one. Weapon refiner, we can't waste it. Oh? Thank you so much, senior brother. Fang Qing was slightly happy after hearing this, and followed Hua Lian to find Hua Tianhua, and asked him to help introduce Minglingzhen. Minglingzhen looks middle-aged, with a curly beard and muscular features, but he is very forthright. He took the sea pearl, looked at it carefully, and nodded. Yes, full of spiritual energy, it is naturally a good embryo. Even a first-level low-level weapon refiner can make it into a mid-level magical weapon with a little effort. If I take action, I should be able to achieve a high-level magic weapon, then please leave it to senior brother. Fang Qing immediately sent the deposit. Well, I don't know what high-grade magic weapon you want, junior brother. There are only 2 types of this bead-shaped magic weapon that I know. One is called the fixed light shield, which is a defensive magic weapon. After it is used, a layer of spiritual light will cover the whole body. It is very effective in defending against various 5-element spells, but it is less effective when FAC ing attacks from the magic weapon itself. The other is to transform it into a semi-storage property. It can store 100,000 kilograms of seawater at ordinary times, and release it when fighting the enemy. Combined with the water control technique, it has a special power. Moreover, ordinary seawater can also be refined. If you can find some spiritual water, poisonous water, etc., it will do more damage to the enemy. This? Fang Qing thought for a while. For monks, defensive magic weapons are obviously better than attacking magic weapons, and, in the Zaya Wanhai immortal world, water flow is not a resource at all, but it is different in the land of ancient Shu. The land of ancient Shu is an inland area. As a water magic monk, if you have a lot of water vapor on hand when fighting the enemy, naturally, it's an advantage. It's okay to bully Tumu, but the Sank over there is really unreasonable. Maybe the Shueda monk is the weakest among the 5 elements. But, I have bodybuilding skills for defense. I'd better attack the magic weapon. He opened his mouth to make a decision. Oh? This decision obviously exceeded Ming Lingshan's expectations. He smiled and said, I need to use the sex fire veins to refine the high-grade magic weapon. You can just come back and pick it up in a month. By the way, according to the rules of alchemy and weapon refining, if it fails, I will not pay for the raw materials. Thank you, senior brother. After secretly cursing the refining rules in his heart, Fang Qing returned to his cave. Dan Island. Fang Qing returned to his cave. His cave actually had no decorations, but now there was an extra stone room, with a pool of spiritual water inside, with gurgling fountains, connected to the outside water veins. First-order mid-grade spiritual spring? Thank you, senior sister. Picking up a trace of spiritual spring with her fingers and feeling the spiritual energy in it, Fang Qing immediately thanked senior sister Qing senior S. Sister Qing was wearing a blue robe and had slender thighs. She was the image of a gentle woman. Hearing this, she smiled and said, I am also entrusted by others, so you are welcome. You usually only have 1 spiritual spring. It is a mid-level spiritual spring, but I have reserved the array disc. If you want to use the first-level high-level spiritual spring to make elixirs in the future, you only need to fill the array plate with spiritual stones to temporarily upgrade the spiritual spring to a first-level high-level spiritual spring. In addition, I have arranged a small mystery formation in your cave according to the previous requirements. It has the ability to prevent others from disturbing it, so it should be enough for use in the sect. This little missing formation actually doesn't have much ability to resist or trap enemies. At most, it can give a reminder when someone breaks in. Furthermore, it is of no use to high-level monks. But within Baihaman, when the high-level monks attack the caves of low-level disciples unscrupulously, it is useless to say anything. Senior sister is worthy of being a first-level high-grade formation master. Fang Qing took out the balance of a bag of spirit stones and handed it to senior sister Qing, feeling in his heart that these weapon refiners and formation masters really make money. If he hadn't caught a tuna spirit fish this time, he might have had better luck and picked up a random cultivator cave and obtained the inheritance to be able to afford it. Yes, the money and goods are cleared. Senior sister Qing checked the spirit stones and nodded with satisfaction. Before leaving, she turned around thoughtfully and stared at Fang Qing. You have joined the Wulong Club, and you are considered a member of the Wulongzi. The next battle for the true inheritance will probably become more and more intense. Wulongzi and I are allies, so we have to be more careful. A few words of advice for you, stay away from Fuyunzi's line. Age. Huh? Fang Qing was startled, and then thought about Su Wusu's usual behavior, and couldn't help but think, could it be that Su Wusu attracted me, in addition to my good talent, because of my competition with Fuyunzi's lineage, and the enemy of my enemy is a friend? Now, I see that Jiazhu and I are somewhat disconnected. Would you like to say a few words? This sect's true inheritance dispute is really annoying. However, Fang Qingming naturally promised repeatedly that he would need to immerse himself in alchemy and improve his water method alchemy. He no longer had any friendship with Jiazhu. That's very good. Senior sister Qin smiled and flew away from Dan Island in a stream of light. Wait a minute. I haven't asked yet which one of Fuyunzi's lineage is competing with Wulongzi? It can't be Jiazhu, right? She is too young, and she is about the same in the next term, and has greater hope than Hualian. Could it be Gong Susu, or Hualingsu? Fang Qing returned to the cave and looked at his spiritual pond. Now he really hoped that in the next true inheritance battle, Brother Wulongzi would stand out. However, if I felt humiliated before and wanted to take revenge with all my strength, Maybe Su Wusu and the Five Dragons Association would also help me? What is this? Don't be afraid no matter how powerful the enemy is, as long as you go up with A, the system will automatically match you with teammates? What a pity, I just want to cultivate immortality and live forever. Time flies. Half a month later, Fang Qing looked at the spiritual pool in front of him with satisfaction. Refining alchemy in his own cave is a pleasure. During this period of time, he has tried to refine several pools of Yuhua spiritual water, which can be regarded as warming and nourishing spiritual pools. He just tried to refine ginseng green spiritual water a few days ago, and it was also successful. The condition is good, you can try to relax. Fang Qing took out the jade box containing the 7-star grass. Qi refining Dao elixirs are divided into 4 categories: water, powder, pills, and elixirs. Ningxian powder is in the second category. It is a powdery elixir and ranks among the first-class top-grade elixirs. Because it is an ancient recipe, even if there is research, Wu Longzi may not be able to make it in one go. He just held the idea that failure is the mother of success and accumulated more experience. Gulu. As the 7-star grass fell into the spiritual pond, Fang Qing used the water control technique, and a burst of extremely cold air emerged, instantly crushing the 7-star grass. Then, the spiritual pond began to ripple and create a whirlpool. In the whirlpool, bits and pieces of medicinal power were thrown out, forming colorful layers. Take it. Fang Qing's expression became solemn, and he made a magic spell. Unconsciously, the sky became bright. Poof. Looking at the stinking spring water in front of him, Fang Qing sighed and fired a magic spell. Crash. The valve of the underground water vein was opened, and the spring water that failed to be refined instantly flowed out. The first refining failed, I had expected it. There is something wrong with the processing of the 7-star grass. Next time I will try several other extraction techniques. He sighed, took out some previous research materials of the 5 Dragons Club, and added his own opinions. Take a rest and meditate for a day, and try again. Half a month passed in a daze. Fang Qing tried several times to refine the Ningxian powder, but undoubtedly failed. Then, all the 7-star grass in his hand was gone. Just in time, senior brother Ming Lingxian should have refined the magic weapon. After taking it, let's go to Gushu to restock it. Item refining peak. Junior brother is here, just in time. Your sea pearl has been successfully refined. Ming Lingxian took a wine gourd, poured a large sip into his mouth, and took out a box. After opening it, I saw a blue, fist-sized pearl inside, with a spirit-sealing talisman attached to the surface. 100% brand new, there is not a trace of alien magic power in it. Junior brother, after you practice it, you can use your arms and fingers. Ming Lingxian's cheeks were slightly flushed, and he seemed a little drunk. This spiritual bead magic weapon is ranked first-order high-grade. Not only can it store 100,000 kilograms of seawater, the body is also reinforced and can hit people with missiles. Among offensive magic weapons, it is not bad. Completed. It was a proud work, and he was obviously in a good mood. Junior brother Fang, you can give it a name, let's call it the sea bead. Fang Qing took the sea bead in his hand, and strands of black water mana immediately poured in and refined it. The reason why he named it high bead was naturally because he hoped that this bead would continue to advance with him in the future and truly turn into a sea. Thanking brother Yifenming again, Fang Qing took out the spiritual stone from the tuna fish sold in the General Affairs Hall, paid the balance, accepted another task, and left Baiheimen. Baiheimen is worthy of being one of the 3 major forces in Ziowanhai. With the ancestor of Jiedan sitting in charge, at least on Bu Island, the disciples are still very safe, and there are no tribulations and other things. Even if there is a blood feud between the disciples, they will be resolved secretly after going to sea, and no clues and divide. NCE will be left on the island. Arrived in a wild place, Fang Qing opened a cave at will, and with a flash of light, he came to ancient Shu. Bajuan. A large lake. What's going on? Where's the big ship of Biluofeng? Fang Qing, who was going to buy 7-star grass, looked at the blue wave lake and his expression changed. Although Biluofeng is a mobile market, he has already found out the time and place before. According to common sense, this kind of market relies on reputation and will not change its mind easily. He stepped on the water, almost like walking on flat ground, and came to the center of the lake to check. Gulialu. A string of bubbles appeared, and Fang Qing's expression suddenly changed. A red talisman appeared in his hand, and he secretly held the Huahai pearl with his other hand and took a few steps back. Wow. The water of the lake parted, revealing a river clam. There is a demonic aura on this river clam, and there are some strange magic weapon fluctuations, as if it is a living magic weapon that has been refined. Fellow Taoist, due to the chaos in the practice world, Biluofeng has suspended Bajuan's transactions. A pleasant female voice came from the river clam. Sorry for the inconvenience, I don't want to forgive you, but what can I do? Fang Qing complained in his heart and asked, what chaos happened? You know, Ba County was plagued by natural and man-made disasters before, and practitioners also visited the market. Who would have imagined that this river clam only knows how to repeat the above two sentences? Looking at the level of this weapon refining, I thought it was a sound transmission tube, but I didn't expect it was just a gramophone. Is it set to activate when it senses the monk's mana? Don't tell me when the market will reopen? Fang Qing felt that he was in some trouble. This 7-star grass is also a spiritual grass in ancient Shu. If you just collect it by yourself, you don't know what year it will be. Fang can't do it. Fang doesn't have time. Are we going to trade with those cultivating aristocratic families? I still know a few of the nearby convinced aristocratic families, and there are no Daoji major cultivators in charge. He thought for a while. After all, Ningxian powder requires a lot of practice, so he immediately chose a direction and drove the Qingye boat away. Red Maple Valley. This place is the place where the Yi family practices. There are dozens of mortal villages near the valley, living around the valley. The Yi family is just an ordinary convinced family. It was established less than 100 years ago. There is only one ancestor in the late convinced family. This is all the information Fang Qing got from wandering around in the city. If he wants to choose a cultivator to trade, he will definitely not go to someone who is too strong. It's just right for the Yi family to be nearby. Phew. A stream of green light flew over, revealing the green leaf boat. Fang Qing suddenly stopped the magic weapon and heard the sound of a sword. He looked at it carefully and was suddenly a little surprised. I saw around the valley that there was an army of mortals who were annihilating those villages and mountain people. What is even more surprising is that there are monks fighting in the sky above the Red Maple Valley. One of them is a sword cultivator, and his energy makes Fang Qing feel a little familiar. Midterm convincing, he murmured, feeling extremely surprised. The person fighting with that sword light turned out to be a late-stage cultivator who was practicing Muda. Every time he made a move, he felt like spring had returned to the earth and the grass and trees were rejuvenating, but they were all shattered by the aura of high gold. That person, could he be the ancestor of the Yi family in Red Maple Valley? Is it too weak? I'm afraid it's just that he has just entered the late stage of Qi conquering, or even the first level of Xinqi He. Refined that year is not high, only the 3rd level. Fang Qing looked at it for a few times, then shook his head. Although this world is the manifestation of gold and fire, the gap in small realms is enough to even out a lot. If Fang Qing builds the Taoist foundation, he is confident that he can kill many late-stage followers of the gold and fire Taoism in one go. If he reaches the late stage of convinced Qi, a mid-stage convinced Qi cultivator with a dozen gold and fire Taoist traditions will also be more confident. As a result, the ancestor of the Yi family was so deceitful. In addition to the fact that the wood element technique he cultivated was completely overcome by the metal element, it was also due to the fact that his own magic power was mixed and his level was not too high. It's probably the 7th level of convincing, not much more. Fang Qing was sighing in his heart when he saw a sword light that merged into a human and a sword, slashing the ancestor of the Yi family until he vomited blood and fell from midair. Around the valley, the armies carrying the banner with the word Li also completed the siege of the valley. My eldest brother is destined to return. You, the Yi family, must not resist stubbornly, join the rebel army quickly and fight against the demonic cultivators. That is the right way. A few more monks flew out from the army, and the leader was Wu Tianhong. Ancestor? Grandfather? Several monks ran out from Maple Leaf Valley, their magic power was even lower, and they were all in the early stages of submission. Seeing his ancestor vomiting blood and falling to the ground, his eyes were red and he wanted to fight for his life. One of them had his eyes rolling around, wanting to kneel down or look for an opportunity to run away. Slow, wait. The ancestor of the Yi family quickly stopped his family members. There are only a few monks in his Yi family so far. If they all die, won't the Yi family in Red Maple Valley be extinct? He Relu. Tantly saluted Li Rulong, who fell in midair. General Li, my Yi family is willing to surrender. Very good. Li Rulong stepped forward and helped the ancestor of the Yi family up with his own hands. I have a pill here, you swallow it, let's heal our wounds. Since you join our rebel army, you must strictly observe military discipline, otherwise my Dingjun sword will be designed for you. I will understand. When the monks of the Yi family saw that their ancestors had surrendered, they naturally did not resist and followed suit one after another. Li Rulong then looked to another place in the sky. Who is coming? Haha, Brother Li, long time no see, how did you become a general? Fang Qing's heart froze, knowing that he had been discovered, waving his hand to disperse the surrounding water vapor, and driving the Qingye boat down. When he saw Li Rulong again, he saw that this man was wearing bright silver armor and his face became more majestic. What is even more surprising is that his magic power has reached the 5th level of convince. I have the help of elixirs, and Jishui's magic power is only at the 4th level. Could this person have better qualifications than me and have a lot of resources? Fang Qing was confused. It turns out to be Brother Fang. Li Rulong nodded, with a sincere smile on his face. Could it be that you heard that I was raising the flag of righteousness and came to join me specially? Let me introduce you to some like-minded Taoist friends. Fang Qing looked over and saw Gua Tianhong coming with several monks, all of whom were in the early to middle stage of their cultivation. Do rookies peck each other? He was speechless, but there was still a look of doubt on his face. What defection? I was just going to come to the Yi family to exchange some spiritual materials, but I didn't expect to encounter this, that's it. But I am still happy to see my friends today. Let's go ahead and hold a banquet in the Red Maple Valley. Li Rulong ordered the ancestor of the Yi family, and in his words, he regarded the Red Maple Valley as his own territory. Seeing this scene, the ancestor of the Yi family could only respond with a smile. A few hours later. Red Maple Valley, the Tianfeng Tower where the ancestor practiced. The banquet was filled with people drinking and drinking, the lights were shining, and there were dancing girls and musicians performing, making it a joyful scene. Li Rulong was in the chief position, and he actually had the air of a dragon and a tiger. He said to Fang Qing, who was in the guest seat, "Let me introduce to Brother Fang. Sister Fang, you have met me before. These are Mrs. Miaoi, Chen Yunzi, Zhang Hefeng." Fang Qing saluted one by one, and saw 2 mortals on the last seat. He couldn't help but smile. "So it's you too, I have seen an immortal." Lu Wansu and Zhu Zhenheng also wore armor and stood up to salute. They are Li Rulong's sworn brothers, but they have no qualifications to cultivate immortality. This time Li Rulong wanted to build a rebel army, so he spent all his money to follow him, and now he has become immortal leader of the rebel army. Seeing this group of immortals having a banquet at this time, I don't know what it feels like in my heart. By the way, why did Brother Li suddenly rebel? Fang Qing was a little curious. Based on the fact that the people of Ba County are in dire straits, it is normal for the refugee army to exist. When he was not exposed to extraordinary power, even he wanted to rise up and rebel. But now that I know the truth about the world, I don't have the courage anymore. Alas. I am Kong Jin's destiny. The fortune teller said that I have dragon energy and should do the work of revolutionizing the tripod. Li Rulong sighed. I didn't believe it at first, but later I practiced Taoism and became convinced. After the middle stage, it became more and more difficult to improve the Shaogung Jin Sword Ju. And I happened to meet the mother and daughter of the Pu family in Yulin County. They felt recalling the previous life-saving grace. He introduced me to the head of the Pu family. The Pu family is the head of Yulin County. And is quite powerful. He can't stand the chaos of his neighbor Ba County and wants to calm down the chaos. He hit it off with me and gave me some support. Several Taoist brothers helped me and started a rebellion. Fang Qing listened, but his eyes were strange and he stared at Li Rulong. Why does this person look more and more like the protagonist of the novel? The mother and daughter who happened to be rescued were from the Zifu aristocratic family. With dragon energy, they encountered troubled times? Are you still so brave and diligent in your cultivation? It seems that the practice of Feng Qi Dao is closely related to the practice of one's own destiny? But Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in Ba County, not to mention the Taoji family, but also the ancestor of the Zi family and the Heiji family. How dare he? Fang Qing thought so in his heart, but a look of admiration appeared on his face. Brother Li has such an ambition, I admire it very much, but I don't know how to deal with the black sect. Fellow Taoist, I don't know. Yulin, the ancestor of the purple house of the Pu family, Pu Shanjun, has already met the ancestor of the black sect, and the two sides agreed that no monks above the Taoist level are allowed to take action in this matter, leaving it to my subordinates to make their own decisions. Mrs. Miaoi, who looked like a girl, covered her lips and said with a smile. I see. Fang Qing understood. If I were the ancestor of the Z mansion and had a lifespan of 500 years, I would definitely not easily fight against monks of the same level. It would be a good idea to leave it to the people below. The rise and fall of these two counties, and the livelihood of millions of people, are they just a game to Daoji and the monks of Zifu? This Li Rulong's cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. The first is that it matches his destiny, and the second is that he has received support and resources for cultivation. Knowing this, Fang Qing was not prepared to join the rebel army. Although there are advantages to being a vanguard of chess pieces, and there is value in being used and being used. But now that I have a heavy treasure in my hand, I don't lack these at all. I already wear shoes, so I can't act like a barefoot one. He sighed secretly in his heart. To be fair, Fang Qing still wanted to kill the black monks to avenge his family's blood. But now? He chose to be more prudent and wait for his own Daoji and Zifu to take revenge. When Fang Qing faced Li Rulong's repeated invitations but resolutely refused to join the group, the atmosphere at the banquet suddenly became cold. On the contrary, Li Rulong has the air of a general, haha, everyone has his own ambitions. Since Brother Fang doesn't want to, I won't force it. By the way, Brother Fang said before that he wanted to come to Maple Leaf Valley to exchange for spiritual resources? I don't know what I want to exchange for. Let me see if there is anything in the army, exactly. I want to make elixirs, but I still lack the 7-star grass. Fang Qing told the truth. Fellow Taoist is actually an alchemist? Chen Yunzi, who was quite arrogant before, suddenly changed his expression. 7-star grass, I have a few plants on my hands. Li Rulong nodded and looked at the ancestor of the Yi family again. There is this kind of spiritual grass in my medicinal field. The ancestor of the Yi family answered bravely, fearing that Li Rulong would directly confiscate it. Very good, I have hundreds of kilograms of spiritual grains on hand, and several bottles of spiritual water suitable for monks in the early and middle stages of becoming convinced to increase their magic power, all of which can be exchanged. Fang Qing was overjoyed. The spiritual grain he took out was blended here. Admired monks can also improve their cultivation by taking the spiritual grain daily, which can be regarded as a kind of cultivation resource. Okay. Chen Yunzi changed quickly and asked Fang Qing if he could help him refine the elixir. His words were quite flattering, and even Mrs. Miaoi next to her frowned. It seems that in ancient Shu, the inheritance of the various arts of cultivating immortals is very ordinary. Or maybe I didn't join the Zifu sect? Fang Qing suddenly understood when he thought that the basic foundation of his alchemy was learned at Baiheman, a major alchemy sect. I didn't expect that I couldn't win over those fellow disciples in the sect, but here I can still be regarded as a highly sophisticated talent among casual cultivators? He felt happy and completed the deal with the ancestor of the Yi family. Very good, with these 7-star grass, I don't believe that I can't refine Ningxian powder. Okay, let's drink together. Seeing this scene, Li Rulong raised the corners of his mouth slightly and raised his glass again. Suddenly, the expressions of everyone here changed slightly, except for a few mortals who were still confused. There is a monk approaching, he should be in the submissive realm of the Black Sect. Li Rulong stood up, his expression solemn. The ancestor of the Yi family suddenly changed his expression. I'm afraid I can't beat any of these high-ranking disciples. Even if I can beat them, who dares to kill them? He felt bitter in his heart. The Yulin Pu family wants to enter Ba County, but they don't want to directly conflict with the Heibua clan, so they support a few pretentious rebels. I have been unlucky for 8 lifetimes to be favored by you, and now I am in a dilemma. I dare to kill. Li Rulong roared loudly, and the man and sword merged into one, turning into a brilliant golden sword light, rising into the sky. In the midair, I don't know when there was a layer of dark clouds. The sword light rushed into it, like a sword breaking the dawn. Ah! A scream came out, and immediately a vicious female voice sounded. Junior brother Miao was killed, so BR. Ave. Buzz. In the void, a swarm of earth-yellow insects appeared at some point. If you look carefully, you will find that they are composed of countless insects, which makes your scalp numb. Kill. A willow branch appeared in Guo Tianhong's hand and swung it towards the sky. A layer of turquoise light emerged, and the light from the willow branches spilled into the insect swarm, and soon dissipated automatically. The black monk majoring in soil. This soil controls diseases and can spread plague. Mrs. Miaoi shouted, everyone, be careful. Sky. The swarm of insects dispersed, and several monks from the black sect with indigo turbans, jet black vests, leggings and bare feet emerged. One of the female cultivators made a seal with her hands and rode a khaki beetle, rushing towards Li Rulong. The other monks picked up Guo Tianhong and others one by one. Even though Fang Qing immediately protected everyone in front of him, he was still targeted by a monk with triangular eyes. He sighed, steered the green leaf boat, and slowly retreated out of the valley, looking for a suitable battlefield. Fellow Taoist, I'm just here to trade, not the rebels. Hey, do you think I will believe it? What's more, you call these refugees and bandits rebels, you obviously have a position in your heart. The triangular-eyed monk sneered. That's right, Fang Qing smiled hoarsely. He really didn't have the slightest fondness for these black monks. Not to mention that I just bought 7-star grass with Li Rulong. Even if it was just a family feud, I couldn't let it go if I had the opportunity. That's it, let's fight quickly. He made up his mind and touched the storage bag with his right hand, and 3 fireball talismans suddenly appeared. Boom. 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 3 huge fireballs exploded, both in temperature and range, far exceeding what Fang Qing did when he was experimenting on Jasper Island. Damn, so many fire tribute talismans? The triangular-eyed monk's face changed drastically, and he waved his hand and took out a pitch-black shield. The huge flame exploded, leaving dark concave and convex holes on the shield. The monk was lucky enough to escape the disaster, with a look of joy and resentment on his face. He glared at Fang Qing fiercely, took out a bamboo tube from his arms, and crawled out of the bamboo tube. A red double-tailed centipede was about to perform the evil technique. The Black Sect is famous for its evil skills. It is best at all kinds of sinister and evil skills, causing its opponents to be poisoned or even killed without knowing it. But before he could use the evil technique, he saw Fang Qing take out another metal talisman. Phew! A golden light flashed in the void, and a huge golden blade emerged. There were complex patterns on it, and it was overflowing with sharpness. It was no worse than Li Rulong's sword master. The sword flashed, and the black iron shield was cut in half, and the fracture was as bright as a mirror. Damn it, who is this person? A direct descendant of the Daoji family? The triangular-eyed monk is already trying to escape. He doesn't know how powerful the monk opposite him is. With this talisman alone, he is enough to compare with the true disciples in the sect. Fire Cloud Talisman. At this time, Fang Qing, with the intention of eradicating all evil, activated the first-order high-grade Fire Cloud Talisman at the bottom of the box. When this talisman was activated, he instantly felt that 30% of the mana in his dantian had disappeared. This kind of consumption? If I were still in the early stage of cultivation, I'm afraid my dantian would be sucked dry. No wonder it's difficult for chi-refining monks to cast second-level talismans, the gap is too big. Fortunately, Fang Qing has been paying attention to physical training and spiritual practice, and is now controlling the violent spell formation. Who? The endless fire clouds gathered together, like a stormy sea, and instantly ing. Ulf the triangular-eyed monk. Huh? In the red maple valley. Guo Tianhong's pretty face turned pale, and he suddenly coughed out a jet-black beetle. This was a sign that he had been infected by the evil spell. Across from her, a black monk with a sinister expression was about to curse her to death. Suddenly, the terrifying fire cloud erupted outside the valley, and the powerful fire spiritual power almost made all the fighting monks stop their movements. Taoji? No. It shouldn't be, but how could such a master be convinced? Such a powerful fire elemental spiritual power, what Taoism did you cultivate? Tail fire, wing fire? Could it be a master of the Yulanpu family? In this moment of confusion, Li Rulong's sword merged into one, and all kinds of swords and weapons suddenly sounded on the ground. Phew! A golden light flashed, breaking through the defense of the female cultivator from the Black Sect and passing over her swan-like neck. Senior sister? No, let's go. The black monk immediately retreated and was chased all the way, suffering heavy casualties. Li Rulong stood with his sword in his arms, looking at the red clouds outside the valley, a little startled. No wonder I, Jianxin, always feel that Brother Fang is in danger, and he really hides it. Brother, Guo Tianhong flew over, but his expression was very shameful. I am incompetent. I even misjudged fellow Daoist Fang before, and almost provoked a powerful enemy for my brother. It doesn't matter. Brother Fang is willing to help us. Taking action has already explained everything, Li Rulong smiled. He is unwilling to join us, but he is willing to support our cause. I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Fang Shui, in addition to being an alchemist, has such magical power. Mrs. Miaoi and other monks came back from chasing the black monk, and they were also very emotional. Did they feel that their previous attitude was not respectful enough? By the way, where is fellow Taoist Fang Shui? Mrs. Miaoi's eyes wanda red as she looked outside the valley. It should be gone, right? Li Rulong felt a little sad at this time. After all, the Tao is different. This time, the monks from the Black Sect only came so little. Something is completely wrong. After Fang Qing killed the triangular-eyed monk, he didn't even bother to check the trophies and immediately left in the green leaf boat. There was a strong wind in his ears, but his expression was very solemn. In terms of the attacker's strength, he is probably just within the range that Li Rulong's group can deal with. If it weren't for me, it would have been a hard fight, but this is not normal. As a disciple of the Jidon sect, Fang Qing knows very well that when the sect issues tasks, it will definitely consider the margin. So if we want to wipe out Li Rulong, how come we have to have a few convinced late-stage ones, right? But this time the attacker's strength was really not enough. Even with the constraints of the previous Sifu monk agreement, there is still something a little abnormal. So, is it a tacit understanding between the two purple forces? Or, raising gu? Fang Qing's expression turned cold. Today, I heard Li Rulong speak about his own martial arts, with a matter-of-fact look on his face, which really made him sweat a little behind his back. Didn't the old blind man from Biluofeng remind him that the same martial arts can be swallowed? Or, didn't dare to remind him? Because he has been favored by someone or a certain force. At the banquet tonight, I don't know how many people are watching the show, and how many people are waiting to eat him. I originally wanted to have more contact with Li Rulong and take over the collection that his family had destroyed. Now it seems that it is better to stay away from him. Bu Island, by Heyman. After escaping back to the cave and activating the formation, Fang Qing felt a sense of security that he had not felt for a long time. It's better to go to that or place less often in the future. He came to the bed and fell asleep instead of meditating. The next day. The sun rises in the east. On the cliff, Fang Qing sat cross-legged, taking advantage of the fact that the sun was about to rise but had not yet risen, and began to collect qi. After he gets the qi-gathering technique of the Great Sun Purple Qi, he will always put it to use. There are not many problems in collecting qi here. The Japanese yuan qi is abundant. It will take about 3 or 4 years to obtain this 9th level high-grade true qi. It is a pity that there is no corresponding technique. The Great Sun Purple Qi has been cut off, and the technique of practicing the Great Sun Purple Qi has probably been devalued into useless paper. Be patient and look for it, the price should not be high. After completing the daily qi collection as usual, Fang Qing returned to the cave and began to exercise again. He visualized the horse-headed Vajra protector, with a face like a god and a demon, and the qi and blood in his body stirred up and turned into strange force, supporting the skin, muscles, and bones, and the body. After some practice, Fang Qing felt his body and spirit. The spiritual practice went a step further, and it was a bit strange. This secret realm kung fu is really powerful. The key is that when I practice it, why do I feel such rapid progress? Although this body training technique was carefully selected by him, the speed of improvement is still somewhat beyond Fang Qing's imagination. According to what the old blind man said, although this skill can be practiced diligently, it is best to cooperate with the secret medicine and essential oils from the secret realm. I don't have the resources in this area, but I feel that it won't take long for me to refine my body, and I will be able to break through the first level mid-level. Could it be that my qi refining cultivation is not at an advanced stage, but I can it through physical training, right? Fang Qing was a little worried that there were hidden dangers in this technique, but when he thought of the Daoshengzhu, he immediately calmed down. At worst, after practicing it, I will directly destroy it and completely transform it into yuan qi. After practicing the bodybuilding technique, he swallowed a few drops of ginseng green spiritual water and began to refine qi. Time came to night unknowingly. Fang Qing practiced for a whole day and only swallowed a big pill at noon. His only rest time was reading various miscellaneous books and prescriptions, and occasionally studying Plum Blossom E. Too weak. I am still too weak now. In order to enjoy it better and for a longer time in the future, we must at least work hard to reach the foundation building stage and gain 3 Jiazi's lifespan, right? At night, after converting into Jishui mana, feeling the state of the spring water in the spiritual pool in front of him, he nodded and started to refine the spiritual water again. The first was the green spiritual water. Now he can control the success rate to about 70 to 80%. You can make a lot of money by selling it. This water method of alchemy, although it is extremely difficult to get started, and you will go bankrupt if you are not careful, but once you really master it, you will make a lot of money every day. Although Gong Susu's recommendation back then was intended to deceive me, but unexpectedly, it made me happy, by mistake. Following Jiazhu's several visits, Fang Qing probably understood Gong Susu's thoughts, but he didn't quite understand. Even if Jiazhu was promoted to foundation establishment in the future, would it be of great benefit to Gong Susu and the others? Could it be that we could lead the foundation establishment first and then the foundation establishment? That's all, it's none of my business. Fang Qing casually threw a green ginseng into the spiritual pond. If his current cultivation level, when he refined the ginseng green spiritual water, he felt a sense of wanton swaying. A true alchemist, in addition to following the elixir recipes of his predecessors to refine elixirs, must also learn to adapt to the circumstances, especially for water method alchemists. The aura and water properties of each spiritual pool and spring are different. How can they be the same? Therefore, subtle adjustments must be made when refining the elixir. This is an experience that cannot be given by any elixir. It must be refined in one pool. Let's comprehend it ourselves. After this pool of green ginseng water is refined, let's try the Ningxian powder again. 4 years later, Fang Qing sat cross-legged in the cave. The mana of the black water is rippling, and it has suddenly reached the realm of the 6th level of qi refining. He silently runs the Shui Jingzhu, purifying the black water in his body, and feels a layer of separation. It seems to be only one step away from the later stage of the 7th level of qi refining, but he can't get over it. Is there a bottleneck? Fang Qing was not surprised by this, and did not forcefully break through. Instead, he followed the trend, dispersed his magic power, and slowly collected his power. As a medium qualified person, and with the magic power of swallowing spiritual water cultivation, it was okay to break through the 6th level of qi refining before. But now facing the bottleneck of the 7th level of qi refining, I am afraid that the forced attack will inevitably fail. The middle grade water spirit root is still a little worse. If you switch to a high-grade water spirit root like Jiazhu, you might as well be able to break through the level in one go. the more he practices, the more important Fang Qing feels about qualifications. Now that we encounter a bottleneck, the most reliable thing is to take a pill that can help break through the bottleneck. However, this kind of pill on the market that can help break through the late stage of qi refining is not only expensive, but also very scarce. Ordinary disciples definitely can't afford it. The second method is to go out to fight with magic and hit opportunities, especially in the front line of life and death. It is easiest to break through obstacles, and of course, die the fastest. The third method is to slowly polish your magic power and endure the time. Some monks can do it in a few years or 10 years, but some monks can be trapped for decades or even a lifetime. Fang Qing has a rich fortune and doesn't want to take risks, so he must consider the first method. As for the third method, it is too time-consuming. Wait a minute. I have encountered a bottleneck in Daoshengzhu, but not in Guanhailing Book. If I wait until I have cultivated Guanhailing Book to the 6th level of convince, and then transform them all, I am afraid it can be compared to half a pill that breaks through the bottleneck, right? Fang Qing thought of a method and was determined. There is also the Ningxian powder. I have advanced to the last step of combining the elixirs. If I can refine it, I will have divine consciousness during the qi refining period, and I can break through even the later stages with my fingers. He stood up, went to the alchemy room, and took out a 7-star grass. In recent years, Baojuan has become more and more chaotic. Li Rulong has really done something big, which is to make it increasingly difficult for us to trade between the two worlds. Thinking of the chaos in Baojuan, Fang Qing couldn't help but sigh. The more chaotic the world of cultivation, the more tribulation cultivators. Although he was cautious enough in the past few times, he once accidentally leaked the news and was targeted by a group of tribulation cultivators. If it hadn't been for the addition of several high-grade fire cloud talismans and golden blade talismans, as well as the help of the sea-changing pearl, he would have performed a time travel on the spot and exposed his secret. In the spirit pool, the blue waves are rippling, and as Fang Qing performs the water control technique, the water flows are layered, with their own medicinal properties, constantly tempered and fused. This refining spirit powder is indeed different from the spirit water. The last step of combining elixirs is more demanding. Thinking of the last failure, Fang Qing's eyes were deep, and his hands kept changing the techniques. Come out. Crash. The spring water rich in spiritual energy continues to evaporate, and finally a layer of strange medicinal powder emerges. This medicinal powder has a jet black color, and just smelling it makes people feel refreshed. First-grade high-quality Ningxian powder, it's done. Fang Qing put away the pack of Ningxian powder, and finally a smile appeared on his face. It's really not easy. I heard that the Five Dragons Association still fails. He has the main material, but the refining still fails. Wulonghui, on the other hand, can't find the main material at all, so it uses other materials as substitutes, and failure is even more common. Thinking of the massive resources invested in this, even Fang Qing couldn't help but feel a little painful. But these are all worth it. As long as I have divine consciousness, I can try to refine the 2nd-level elixir in the late stage of qi refining and attack the true inheritance of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals. Even if I don't get the true inheritance, I can still try myself. Refining the foundation building pill. Now, I can only be considered a first-class high-grade alchemist. If I can refine any first-class high-grade alchemy according to casual cultivation standards, I must be a first-class high-grade alchemist. However, in the Dongjia sect, the requirements are higher. At least 3 different first-level high-grade elixirs need to be refined to complete the certification. Fang Qing's family knew about his affairs. He barely had some experience in refining Ningxian powder because he consumed a lot of resources. If you switch to another first-level high-level elixir, although it is not as difficult as other first-level mid-level alchemists, it is still difficult to get started without failing 10 or 8 times. Fortunately, I have gained enough proficiency in refining Ningxian powder, and the success rate will continue to increase in the future. Fang Qing has this confidence. He took the newly refined Ningxian powder and came to the retreat room. Sit cross-legged, adjust your breath and calm your mind. After his condition returned to its peak, Fang Qing no longer hesitated and took a sip of Ningxian powder. This elixir melts in the mouth, like a stream of clear water, but it does not enter the stomach, but rises directly to the mind. Woo! In an instant, Fang Qing felt that his spirit was extremely clear and his mind was running at a high speed. Many of the problems he had accumulated in his previous cultivation and alchemy had a feeling that they were about to be solved. Unfortunately, this feeling comes and goes quickly. As the cool air dissipated, it seemed as if something was about to burst out of his sea of consciousness, and it was like a vibrant land with buds about to break through the ground. Time passed by unconsciously. 1 hour, 2 hours, Fang Qing took a long breath and suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes are warm and like a clear spring, with bottomless brilliance hidden in them. You actually feel like you are about to gather your spiritual consciousness after just taking it once. Fang Qing touched the center of his eyebrows. It seems, it's because I have been practicing the horse-headed Vitra Dharma protector magic art diligently. Is it because it is now comparable to the first level mid-level peak body training? This strange skill is both spiritual and spiritual. He feels that the spiritual power he has accumulated should have already met the requirements of spiritual consciousness, and here is only one opportunity left. And now, Ningxian powder is this opportunity. Ningxian powder is only useful for condensing spiritual consciousness, but it does not mean that it will be 100% successful. But as long as I take it a few more times, I will definitely be able to gather my consciousness. Fang Qing is quite satisfied with the progress of his cultivation. With my current level of cultivation at the 6th level of Qi refining, the 1st level mid-level body forging technique, and a large number of talismans and Qi transforming beads. Is it possible that I would be able to fight against an ordinary late-stage Qi refining person? There are still about 5 years until the next true inheritance competition. If I want to compete, I may not have a chance. However, on the other side of the battle, he must be a master of the 9th level of Qi refining who has been refining for many years. He may have perfected Qi refining, but he cannot underestimate the enemy. On the contrary, he is a true master of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals. If he can condense his spiritual consciousness and refine 2nd level elixirs, what hope is there? Wait a minute. Doesn't this mean that I have to compete with Wulongzi and Gong Susu? The road is ahead, these don't matter, the key is to be stable. Let's first see if there is a channel for the 2nd order demon core. Fang Qing has accumulated a lot of wealth in the past few years, so there is no big problem in gathering together a pair of foundation-building pill ingredients. But there are also many difficulties in refining it yourself. The next day. Wanbao Island, in a water pavilion. Haha. Come, brothers and sisters, try it. This is the emerald soul fish caught in this trip. The steamed taste is unique, and it is paired with the Zhuguo wine brewed from spiritual rice and red fruits. It is said that several elders like this one. Hua Lian held up his jade chopsticks, with a warm smile on his face. This was a gathering of fellow students. Fang Qing was also among them. He looked around and found that there were many acquaintances at the table. Hu Tianhua, Ming Lingzhen, Li Yusu, and Lian Jiazhu were all there. This woman's cultivation has actually reached the late stage of Qi refining, which made Fang Qing secretly sigh. Congratulations, senior sister, for being promoted to the late stage of Qi refining. He raised his glass and congratulated Jiazhu. I have only recently reached the 6th level of Qi refining, and then I tried it in seclusion, and I made a breakthrough. Jiazhu smiled slightly. Master Fang, junior brother, didn't you break through the 6th level of Qi refining this time in retreat? Fang Qing used the Daosheng pearl to hide a level of cultivation, and now it seems that he has entered the 6th level of Qi refining for the first time. This speed of cultivation is enough to raise eyebrows. For example, Li Yusu next to him, now he was only at the 4th level of Qi refining when he heard that he was just drinking. Hua Lian had also reached the 6th level of Qi refining. He drank a glass of red fruit wine and said with a smile, if junior sister Cha improves her cultivation, I think she will be able to compete for the position of true disciple in 5 years. My cultivation is shallow, so I'd better wait 15 years. Jiazhu did not answer. After 3 rounds of drinking, Hualian finally got down to business. Everyone, my fleet is about to take advantage of this fishing season and has rented a 3-toothed ship from the sect. I wonder if you are interested? Many monks looked at each other, smiled and nodded, of course. Over the years, they have followed Hualian and made a lot of money. Even Jiazhu, after some consideration, agreed. Obviously in the late stage of Qi refining, the progress of cultivation is slow, and they need to earn resources by themselves, and going out to sea to fish can also practice fighting skills. Fan. Ji Daoist friend, what about you? Seeing that most of the people agreed, Hualian smiled even more and looked at Fang Qing. I still want to retreat to refine alchemy. Fang Qing shook his head. He has always been a lone wolf, even if he goes to sea. Brother Fang is so unkind. Hualian's smile froze, but before he could speak, Yu Taohua said immediately. Fang Qing was silent. In fact, Hualian's fleet is now quite famous. His comrades who went to sea with him had few casualties and rich harvests, and the two of them had a good personal relationship. His behavior like this has a lot of consequences for him. To outsiders, it does seem a bit shameless. But to Fang Qing, what does face mean? He is now focused on refining alchemy and taking the Ningxian powder to condense his consciousness as soon as possible. I'm really sorry about this, I'll punish myself with 3 cups. Fang Qing raised his glass and drank it all. After the banquet was over and everyone left, Yu Taohua was a little angry. Brother Hualian, look at this Fang Qing, he really doesn't know how to praise. When have we not made a lot of money? Now even senior sister Cha has to give face to Xinqin to join, but he is the only one who is aloof. That's all, everyone has his own ambitions. Hualien shook his head. Junior brother Fang was able to refine the green ginseng spirit water a few years ago, and even the 5 dragons praised his alchemy skills. He must be rich and look down on the income of poor fishermen like us. There was a sense of regret in his words. In the cave, Fang Qing sat cross-legged and swallowed a portion of the Ningxian powder. Wow. This time, the cool air rushed straight into his mind, making his eyebrows suddenly tingling, as if his third eye was opened. Fang Qing closed his eyes, but he could clearly see a few feet around him. Even looking inside himself, he could see the dense black water mana in the Qi Si Dan Tian. His thinking was running very fast under the blessing of divine consciousness. I seem to have become smarter. Fang Qing recalled that all his experiences were vivid in his mind, as if he had acquired the gift of photographic memory, whether it was the Guanhailing Sutra and other exercises, or the 5 Dragons Alchemy Sutra, or even the Plum Blossom E that he couldn't understand before. He seemed to have a clue and was able to study and get started. Sure enough, after having spiritual consciousness, whether it is practice or study of the immortal arts, it is as if there is divine help. Ah, Fang Qing's face was filled with joy. He did not read a book immediately, but sat cross-legged and meditated, and swallowed a few drops of ginseng green spiritual water. The moment when his spiritual consciousness was born, he felt blessed. Felt the opportunity to break through the 7th level bottleneck of Shuijingzhu. Boom. The ginseng green spiritual water immediately gave birth to strands of mana and mixed into the dantian. Not only that, Fang Qing's mind moved slightly, and the Daosheng beads rolled around. During this period, because the black water's mana reached its limit, the Jishui mana energy accumulation he turned to practice rolled down, as if he had swallowed half of it. Crash! The surge of mana almost burst the dantian. Fortunately, Fang Qing relied on his own spiritual consciousness, just like a skilled fisherman. Husband, despite the turbulent sea, he still kept his boat moving forward smoothly. Crack! Finally, I don't know how much time passed, but Fang Qing seemed to be like this. The Buddha heard the sound of the water slurry bursting out of the silver bottle. In his body, the black water's magic power suddenly broke through the confinement and entered a new world. The 7th level of qi refining is done. Fang Qing felt the fluctuation of his own mana, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The monks in the late stage of qi refining have a completely different status in the sect. They are qualified to compete for the true inheritance. Indoor retreat. Fang Qing had an idea, and all the black water mana that he had entered into the 7th level of qi refining for the first time was converted into qi water, mana. Gulialu. The clear spring is gushing and the breeze is blowing. There were faint waves of water all over his body, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. I am convinced at the 6th level, but I failed to break through the bottleneck at the 7th level. Fang Qing was not surprised, because the Guanhailing Sutra was originally higher than the Shuijingzhu in terms of mana quality. He transformed again and found that his black water mana had become much more concentrated and refined. When you reach the realm, your magic power can be cultivated quickly. It is a good thing to refine it once. Fang Qing nodded with satisfaction and took out the 5 Dragons Alchemy Sutra. After some reflection, he felt that the writing of the alchemy scripture was really average, and there were many omissions in many places. Today, I can refine first-level high-grade elixirs, and after failing at most 2 or 3 times, I will definitely be able to get started. What kind of talent for alchemy is this? If I am willing to spend my energy, there must be no big problem in drawing talismans and refining weapons. No wonder most foundation-building monks can have a 2nd-level skill as long as they are willing to work hard to study. He threw away the 5 Dragon Alchemy Sutra and took out the Guanhailing book to comprehend. When I looked at the black tomb, there was a spring and gurgling water. This book has a Taoist charm. After a long time, Fang Qing breathed out a long breath, swallowed a big pill, meditated and adjusted his breath, and then tried the horse-head Vajra protector magic art. This time, as soon as his consciousness moved, the horse-headed Vajra he was visualizing seemed to come to life, and the Vajra in his ferocious hand suddenly became solid. Huh? Using spiritual consciousness in conjunction with visualization diagrams, it seems that the demon-conquering Vajra can be condensed into a secret technique. Is this the secret method of spiritual consciousness attack? Fang Qing was delighted. Sure enough, there are many secrets in this technique. After studying the technique again, he began to read other miscellaneous books, the most important of which was Plum Blossom E. There is no divination related to the inheritance of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals on Jasper Island. It seems that Qi refining Dao does not have this aspect. There is only an astrological reading, which seems to have some connection. He studied Plum Blossom E and gradually gained something. This Plum Blossom E is indeed closely related to the way of counting. Innate gossip, 6-line hexagram. A few days later, when the sun rises, Fang Qing breathed out the purple energy towards the rising sun. With the operation of the qi gathering art, the last trace of the purple qi of the great sun took shape and was introduced into a jade bottle by him. In the jade bottle, a complete, great sun purple qi appeared impressively. 9th level top grade, Daoshengzhu, it's done. It's a pity, I can't find the great sun cultivation technique. Fang Qing sighed quietly, he spent several years of hard work for this great sun purple qi. Although it is just a moment of meditation every day when the sun rises in the east, it also requires perseverance and patience. This spiritual resource, in ancient Shu. I wonder what kind of storm it will cause. With deep thoughts in his mind, Fang Qing immediately made a divination, using the plum blossom he had just started to learn. Of course, nothing can be calculated. This is not because my cultivation is shallow, but because the heaven's secrets are wrong. The so-called divination and deduction are actually all about asking for heaven's secrets. Heaven knows and the earth knows, but what I calculate is the heaven of another world. For the heaven's secrets of this world, it is equivalent to non-existence. Naturally there are no hexagrams, however, even in ancient Shu, I'm afraid I can't calculate such a big cause and effect. The realm is too low. Fang Qing thought for a while, put away the jade bottle of the great sun, and calculated his own fortune. Little evil? I will have some bad luck next? Looking at the hexagrams, Fang Qing frowned. In the sect, what other bad luck is there? This plum blossom is also ordinary, there is only one hexagram, and you still need to interpret it yourself. What I said what can be interpreted is very vague. Nowadays, plum blossom has just started. Not only are many things involving profound cause and effect difficult to predict, but the results that can be obtained are also very few. There are only a few hexagrams such as big bad, medium, small good, and big good. With a thought in his heart, he came to Wanbao Island. Huh? As soon as he entered the General Affairs Hall, Fang Qing realized something was wrong. Teams of law enforcement monks guarded various places, with extremely solemn expressions, a change from their usual lazy demeanor. Junior brother, what happened? He grabbed a disciple at the 4th or 5th level of qi refining and asked. The disciple originally looked troubled, but when he felt the aura of the 6th level of qi refining that had been covered by Fang Qing, he immediately did not dare to neglect. Senior brother Qi is the Zhong family of Taibai Island, and they are at war with our Bihai sect. It is said that they have begun to attack ships in various sea areas. The disciples of our sect who went to sea suffered heavy casualties. Huh? Fang Qing was shocked when he heard this. Taibai Zhongjia. But it is one of the 3 major alchemy-forming forces in the Zaya Wanhai Immortal realm. Alongside Baihaimen and Tianqin Island, it is famous for its ice-based SK. Ills. No wonder I have bad luck. After all, personal fortune will definitely be affected by the general trend. The 2 major sects are fighting. It's good that I don't get caught. Fang Qing sighed in his heart. Boom. At this moment, there was a feeling of shaking. He hurriedly walked out of the General Affairs Hall and took off in the green leaf boat. He saw a rippling blue light emanating from the 7 islands in the lake, forming a continuous curtain of light, like a giant upside-down bowl, guarding the entire Blue Sea Gate. It's the sect's protective formation, the 7 mysterious blue waves formation, fully activated? Besides, a formation island disciple exclaimed. Baihaimen disciples listened to the order. The General Affairs Hall has temporarily closed the task distribution, and each returned to the cave, preparing to wait for orders. On Wanbao Island, several streams of light flew out, and the leader was the Elder Wanbao, with a solemn voice. Elder, my brother has not come back yet. Elder Qi, my family is still outside. Many disciples were in confusion. Okay. The sect has opened the port and can accommodate disciples outside the formation to enter, but they still need to go through an inspection. Several law enforcement members flew out and opened their mouths to explain. Hearing this, a large number of streams of light immediately flew towards the passage of the formation. When Fang Qing arrived at the pier, he saw spaceships descending from the sky as if fleeing and berthed at the port. However, at this time, there was still a light curtain between the dock and the inside of the sect. The law enforcement disciples had cold expressions and were holding magic weapons to check the disciple tokens, for fear of being mixed in with spies. The farther the ship goes, the more dilapidated it looks on the surface. It has obviously been through a great battle. Some of the Baihaimen disciples who came down breathed a sigh of relief, some had solemn expressions, and some simply had tears in their eyes, and their faces looked like they were surviving a disaster. Is this really going to fight? Fang Qing let out a long breath, and suddenly thought of Chazhu and the others who were going to sea. If it were me, even if I didn't have a golden finger, I would definitely run straight to the deep sea and find an island to nest for a year and a half, and wait and see what the wind is like. While he was thinking about his countermeasures, he saw a Sanya sea ship falling from the sky. This kind of seagoing ship is mainly built to fight monsters in the sea. Its flight function is very useless and consumes a lot of spirit stones. It is basically not activated at ordinary times. Opening it at this time is naturally to escape. The deck was stained with blood, obviously it had just experienced a fierce battle. After the Sanya ship was docked, several monks immediately flew down. Fang Qing took a closer look and saw only Hualian, Li Yusu, and a few other disciples. Hu Tianhua, Ming Lingzhen, and even Cha Zhu were nowhere to be seen. No way? His heart moved and he made a hexagram for Cha Zhu. It's a big disaster, the master passed away, is this, dead? Fang Qing couldn't help but be silent, as if he had gone back many years ago and saw the little girl in a red coat holding a blue and white bowl. This cultivating immortality is really lonely, he looked sad, and after waiting for a while, he saw Li Yusu. Li Yusu was covered in blood and lost his right hand. When he saw Fang Qing, his expression was miserable. Where's Jia Zhu? How are you doing with senior brother Ming and the others? Although he already knew the answer, Fang Qing still asked. Dead, all dead. Li Yusu's voice was hoarse. The Tai Baizhong family. It was someone from the Tai Baizhong family who did it. Wu, senior sister Cha. Fang Qing bit his lips and saw Hualian next to him who had just completed the examination. Hualian's face was pale. It seemed that he had spent too much mana, which affected the source of his mana. When he saw Fang Qing, he smiled miserably. It's over, it's all over. Fang Qing glanced at it and asked, where is junior sister Yu Taohua? In order to cover me, she was hit by the enemy's ice cone technique, and she died on the spot. Hualian's voice was low. My condolences, Fang Qing said a few words of comfort and left directly. After knowing the fate of Hualian and others, it was time for him to go to Su Wusu and others from the Five Dragons Association to discuss the next plan. However, after saying goodbye and leaving, he felt as if a big stone was weighing on his heart, which was difficult to resolve. Hualian, and Li Yusu? Fang Qing was someone who didn't hide things in his heart, so he directly told the two of them separately. Hualian is very cruel to me. Li Yusu. Zhongping? Why is this happening? Fang Qing fell into deep thought for a moment, and secretly resented, the level of plum blossomy is too low, and I have just started, so I can only do divination. Xiang, it is difficult to reveal more clues. But it seems that the death of Cha Zhu and others is closely related to Hualian? Could it be that this person has been raising Xingxin before? Reminiscent of the fact that Hualian's fleet had always made a lot of gains, suffered few casualties, and had a great reputation. Fang Qing suddenly felt that this person was in danger. It's just that, he was hit by me using divination to reduce his dimension. Should we report him to the sect? But this person has the support of Feiyu Island, so I'm afraid that his words are unfounded and will cause trouble. Fang Qing looked gloomy. Wait a minute. This time the Tai Baizhong family suddenly launched an attack. Could Feiyu Island be cooperating? This foundation building force that originally belonged to Bai Heiman surrendered to the enemy? Wulongzi Cave Mansion. Su Wusu and other members of the Five Dragons Association are all there. Leader, what should we do now? Fang Qing was also among them, asking questions along with other members. Why did the Tai Baizhong family suddenly attack our Bihai sect? Our sect's strength should be slightly better than that of the Zhong family. Could it be that there is something strange happening in the Tianqin Chain Island? The Tianqin Chain Island is just a chain of foundation-building island alliances. They just invited an alchemy-forming casual cultivator to be the leader. The two have never helped each other, everyone was talking about it, and then looked at Wu Longzi. This young man of 5 dragons, with an ebony hairpin on his head and 5 dragon patterns embroidered on his sleeves, just smiled when he heard this. This sect has always been at odds with the Zhong family. Previously, the Wu family of Baixian Island was destroyed for the island where the Spirit Stone Mine is located. The Wu family is the cousin of the Zhong family. It's not surprising that he has a desire for revenge now. The Wu family on Baixian Island? Fang Qing suddenly thought of the Wu family's martial arts treasured in Tianshu Pavilion Whitewater Ju. Although it is a water-moving technique, the magic power has a cold air, and it seems that it is probably passed down from the Zhong family. In the war between the sects, even the foundation building overhaul may fall. Our chain energy is just cannon fodder. Senior brother, do you have any good ideas? Su Wusu asked. Now that the sect is under unified management, war missions will be issued soon. We, the Chain Chi disciples, only have 3 places to go. Wulongzi talked eloquently. The first is to station at the mountain gate and be responsible for the supply of elixirs, talismans, magic tools, and other resources. It is the safest place. There is great competition in this area. If you don't have a foundation building Elder A's a guarantee, I'm afraid it will be difficult to obtain. The second is to garrison the fishing grounds and medicine gardens in various places. If it is the main island of Jasper Island, it will be fine. The more remote it is, the more dangerous it is. However, the attackers of the Zhong family probably will not be very skilled, so they still have a chance to survive. The third is to be directly integrated into the sect's army, practice battle formations, and enter the main battlefield. Normally, with formation protection, even the foundation-building monks would have difficulty breaking through, but if one party is defeated, the casualties will be the most severe. Where are senior brother Wulongzi going? Fang Qing asked. Me? Of course I go to the front line and make contributions. Wulongzi said confidently. Of the 3 places to go during the war, the front line contributed the most. Senior brother, you have such courage. Fang Qing immediately praised him. Junior brothers, are you willing to come with me? I will try my best to arrange for everyone in the association. Wulongzi was somewhat expecting. Su Wusu was the first to respond. I will follow my senior brother. Most of the disciples who can join the 5 Dragons Association have no background, and at this time, less than half of them directly agreed. Fang Qing waited for a while and saw several disciples choosing the garrison mission, and immediately followed the crowd. I want to take the garrison mission, preferably on Jade Island. After leaving the sect, no matter whether he wins or loses on the battlefield, the world is huge for him, and there is nowhere he can go. When you are really in danger, just hide in ancient Shu. On the contrary, within the sect, some are at a loss. Besides, even if he wanted to be placed in the sect, he definitely didn't have the background. 3 days later. Red Lin Fishing Ground. A stream of cyan light fell, revealing Fang Qing's figure. Above the Fis Hing ground, a layer of gray mist dispersed, revealing an immortal cultivator whose cultivation had reached the late stage of Qi Chain. The key is the appearance of this person. Fang Qing is still familiar with it, so it's senior brother Xingxu? Aren't you on duty at Tianshu Pavilion? This person is obviously Xingxu, who explained the exercises to him back then. Alas. Originally, the duty at Tianshu Pavilion was not very lucrative, and it was just leisure. However, when there was a war, a foundation-building parent took over the job. Xingxu shook his head, and was a little surprised. Junior brother, you are brave and diligent, and now you have become a chain. The 6th level of Qi cultivation? Fang Qing is used to hiding his clumsiness, not to mention that in this kind of battle in the world of immortality, hiding one's strength can better save his life. Naturally, he used the Daoshengzhu pearl to hide his cultivation early and set his cultivation level around the 6th level of Qi. It's just a fluke. Well, the sect's rules are to verify the disciple's token first. It just so happened that a junior brother was sent to garrison today. Xingxu checked Fang Qing's disciple token and took Fang Qing to inspect the fishing ground. This red-scale fishing ground has a 1st-level spiritual vein, and the spiritual energy at the core can even barely reach the 2nd-level level. It was dispersed by the sect to draw the water veins to build the lake, just to raise the red-scale treasure fish. This red-scale treasure fish is only a half-demon. If it becomes a red-scale spiritual fish, its value will increase 100 times. After taking it, it will not only benefit your cultivation, but also greatly replenish your energy and blood. Fish scales are also the main material for refining several magical weapons. This is a fishing and farming area. We monks can choose a place to build a cave. I suggest you get closer to the core and rub the quasi-second leaf. El Aura, Xingxu took Fang Qing to a cave. This is the cave chosen by the new junior brother, Junior Brother Li. Fang Qing was shocked when he saw a person walking out of the cave. Li Yusu? This Li Yusu broke an arm, and his face is still pale now. It is obvious that he has not recovered from his serious injury. Why was he sent out? Senior brother Fang, Li Yusu reluctantly saluted. His face was ashen, as if his heart was as dead as wood. Could it be that you were sent away out of anger? Fang Qing was moved in his heart, but he would definitely not reveal the scars and slap him in the face. It turns out that the two of you know each other, so that's even better. The formation used in this fishing ground mainly only has a warning function. It is actually useless when encountering a powerful enemy. It mainly depends on me and others for daily inspections. Now let's allocate time slots. Xingxu saw that Li Yusu had a story, but he didn't bother to listen at all. Getting to the red-scale fishing ground was the result of all his hard work and planning. After all, the fishing ground was on Bu Island. If there was real danger, he could still run to the sect, which was barely safe. Fang Qing naturally followed everything, but the cave specifically chose a quieter place away from other monks. Wait until night, looking at the big lake, the flames of fishing lanterns are flickering. He nodded and entered the cave and posted a few talismans. With a flash of light, the pure and turbid air formed a portal, and Fang Qing's figure had long since disappeared, the land of ancient Shu. Fang Qing touched the jade bottle containing great sun purple qi in his arms, took a deep breath, and calculated it out of habit. Boom. As soon as he entered the state, his expression suddenly changed. In the consciousness, this secret of ancient Shu is no longer a mess, but a cesspit. What a cesspit. Woo. His head felt like a heavy hammer, and 2 lines of nosebleeds flowed down. Is this a secret backlash? At this time, Fang Qing finally understood why the ancient Shu land had the art of deduction, but it was useless. Tianji, it's so messy. I haven't felt it at Baihamen before, but compared with here. I feel that even if I have spiritual consciousness in the ancient Shu land, I may not be able to get started with Plum Blossom E, if the Tianji of Baihamen is like the clear sky before the battle in the previous life, without any radio wave pollution. The ancient Shu side is the past and present times, and all kinds of electromagnetic pollution are everywhere. Here, I can't even calculate my own good or bad fortune. The heaven and earth are in chaos. Shit pit. What a cesspit. For this kind of chaotic heavenly secret, I am afraid that only the Dao Foundation, or the Dao Foundation that specializes in divination, can have some calculation ability. The results obtained are still the same as when I was chaining Qi, only good and bad luck and other rough. A slightly more advanced divination cannot be done, and it is easy to be tampered with and deceived. Fang Qing shook his head and smiled bitterly, knowing that most of the Plum Blossom E he had finally mastered was ruined here. The only hope is that the golden finger can give me some blessings? But now, I don't know what to do at all. Daoshengzhu's if it's in the calculation, it's a kind of passivity. Fang Qing doesn't know how to actively use it to increase his divination ability. Forget it, there is still some hope. It's just that it's impossible to safely utilize or trade this spiritual resource by relying on divination. Fang Qing shook his head, this actually boils down to just one sentence. Everyone in ancient Shu was so involved that only the monks from the Zifu could barely deduce cause and effect. On the other side of the Blue Sea Gate is a Blue Sea. Even a young monk like him can count a lot of good and bad fortunes. I calculated my tune before and found that I was Xiaoji at the Red Scale Fishing Ground. It seems that I won't encounter any attacks while stationed there. But the secrets here are chaotic, even if you can calculate good or bad luck, you still have to be careful, or, you need to be more careful. Fang Qing let out a long breath and silently thought about his next plan. The Great Sun cultivation technique is hard to find. Is it necessary to take advantage of this Great Sun purple Qi? This actually doesn't matter. It is a renewable resource anyway. It's just a good time to ask for directions. Let me see the reaction of the cultivation world when the Great Sun Kung Fu reappears. In this case, we need to find a good force. Almost instantly, Fang Qing thought of a suitable guinea pig, the Tianshui Luo family. After all, he has a grudge against his own family. Good things don't happen, but bad things definitely happen. Biluofang, Jiuchuan Water Pavilion, maybe it is the Luo family's influence? When the Luo family obtains the Great Sun Purple Qi, even if outsiders don't know about it, I will definitely leak it. Well, this kind of thing is extremely dangerous. Even Fang Shui's identity cannot be touched. It is best to use the Daosheng Pearl to disguise another identity. Fang Qing thought so as he walked into Immortal City. Compared with Ba County, which was plagued by war and plague a few years ago, this mortal city finally has some inhabitants. He found a restaurant and was about to satisfy his appetite when he saw a horse riding at the city gate to deliver a message. The whole city cheered. General Li has entered another city and occupied most of Ba County. Oh, General Li is really a living bodhisattva who saves the suffering. Since the arrival of General Li, good times have come. People all over the city were talking about it. Fang Qing's hand holding the wine glass froze. This Li Rulong's luck is really out of control. Even if he only occupies the mortal realm, it will not be easy. In terms of cultivation, I am afraid that I have already reached the late stage of being convinced or even reached perfection, right? Bu Island, Red Scale Fishing Ground. Even if you decide to use De Sun Purple Qi to trick people, it won't happen overnight. Even if you decide to use De Sun Purple Qi to trick people, it won't happen overnight. The fishing grounds also need regular inspections. Fang Qing sat cross-legged in the cave, silently thinking about his plan and checking his own methods of fighting the enemy. Fire Cloud Talisman, Golden Blade Talisman. If the sea water inside the sea pearl is refined into special spiritual water, poisonous water, the ability to fight enemies can also be enhanced. In addition, there are the techniques of self-cultivation, the first-level perfect body training, and even the secret technique of divine consciousness of subduing the demon Vajra. This secret technique of divine consciousness evolved from the horse-headed Vajra protector magic art. When Fang Qing developed the spiritual consciousness, he found that it had unique uses. Fire Cloud Talisman, Golden Blade Talisman. If the sea water inside the sea pearl is refined into special spiritual water, poisonous water, the ability to fight against the enemy will be enhanced. The current method of fighting enemies can be enhanced by this magical skill. If it can break through the first-level high-grade body forging, the two phases are superimposed, and I am afraid that it will be able to fight against the 9th level of Qi refining and even the perfection monks. There is also Sea Transformation Pearl, which has quite a lot of potential that can be tapped. While thinking, Fang Qing's expression changed, and when he came outside the cave, he saw a bright yellow transmission note. This secret technique of spiritual consciousness evolved from the horse-headed Vajra Dharma protector magic skill. When Fang Qing developed his spiritual consciousness, he discovered that it had other magical effects. He took it in his hand, listened to a few words, summoned the green leaf boat, turned in to a breeze and came to the sky above the fishing ground. Well, the current method of fighting the enemy can be enhanced by this magical skill. If you can break through the first level high-grade body forging, the two phases are superimposed, and I am afraid that you can fight against the 9th level of chain energy and even the perfection monks. There is also the Pearl of Transformation, which has quite a lot of potential that can be tapped. After all, the body was seriously injured and the vitality has not yet recovered, so it is back to work again. Junior brotherly, how are you recovering from your injuries? I have recently refined a few qi and blood pills. This was specially refined by Fang Qing, thinking that the market for such healing pills would increase sharply when the war came. Thank you, senior brother Fang. Li Yusu responded as usual, feeling as if he had lost interest in everything. Alas. It's a pity for Chazhu. Li Yusu, who had broken his arm, came to change his shift, with an unconcealable tiredness in his expression. After all, my body was seriously injured and my vitality has not yet recovered, so I am running around and working hard again. Fang Qing sighed and finally saw Li Yusu's eyes wavering slightly. The three of us are immortal seedlings from the same town after all. I am also sad to see you like this. Junior brotherly, how is your recovery from your injury? I have recently refined a few qi and blood pills. This is actually a lie, but Fang Qing wants to investigate Hualian and hide himself, and this stupid Qing happens to be available. This was specially refined by Fang Qing, thinking that the market for this kind of healing elixir would increase greatly when the war came. Do I still have a future? Li Yusu smiled miserably. I have a broken arm, and my physical body is missing. When building the foundation, the physical barrier will be more difficult. The master said that in my situation, only the second-level muscle-producing and bone-regenerating pill can be saved. This kind of pill is rare, and even if he could get it, he would not give it to me. Who asked me to kill senior sister Zhazhu? Thank you, senior brother, second-level elixir? Fang Qing was a little surprised, and then said, no matter what, if you know the path, there is always a way. I have some healing elixirs here, you can sell them for me, I can give you a 10% commission. Slowly accumulate your contributions and see if you can redeem them in the sect. Now is wartime, and in order to encourage disciples, the sect has added many good things to the contribution list. Alas. What a pity Chazhu second-level elixirs, especially healing elixirs, are naturally among them. When Li Yusu heard this, his eyes finally lit up a little. Thank you, senior brother. I have done many wrong things before, I am really ashamed. It doesn't have to be like this, please remember to pay attention to me, but there is a method for refining spiritual water and poisonous water, which I can use too. Fang Qing sighed, and finally saw Li Yusu's eyes wavering slightly. Fang Qing saw Li Yusu agreeing and gave a few more instructions. After all, the three of us are fairy seedlings from the same town. I am also sad to see you like this. He can do this kind of thing himself, but when there are daily patrol tasks, it is very time-consuming, so it is better to outsource it. What's more, although the Red Lin fishing ground is not far from the mountain gate, there is still a certain risk in running out of the formation and going to trade. Fang Qing chose to let Li Yusu take this risk. A few months later, in Zhengshu Cave Mansion, Fang Qing, Li Yusu, and several fellow disciples guarding this place were sitting on the futon, exchanging their cultivation experiences and battlefield intelligence with each other. This time, the sect and the Zhong family fought in the Kiri Sea. It is said the spiritual ships are like clouds and the monks are like rain. Although several spiritual ships were sunk under the protection of the large-scale battle formation, small-scale fighting near the battlefield continued, and many fellow disciples have died. A young monk looked a little pale and said, the Zhong family advertised for employment in the black market, attracting a large number of casual cultivators to attack the sect's resource production areas, and also mixed with several elite teams of the family. The casual cultivators died without feeling sad, but every member of those elite teams was in the late stage of chain energy cultivation, and was good at fighting. They broke through several spiritual medicine gardens and fishing grounds, alas. During the war, we were just ants. Zhengshu also sighed. The key, why did this battle start? Fang Qing was a little curious. I am afraid that only the foundation building monks know about such important events of the sect. Zhengshu smiled bitterly and shook his head. The Zhong family said to the outside world that they wanted to avenge their relatives. But how many years has it been since the Wu family of Baixian Island was destroyed? Revenge now is obviously a cover. Could it be that they have received strong support? There is also Tianqin Island. On the surface, the two are not helping each other, but in fact it is the weaker one of our two families who is helping the other. Could it be that the Zhong family dared to go to war this time because they got a secret promise from Tianqin Link Island? Or, although the Zhao Wanhai immortal realm has always been closed, there are also outside monks. This matter must not be ignored. Li Yusu's complexion improved a little, and after thinking about it, he said, I went back and forth to the sect, and I heard that the Zhong family has produced an incredible genius, who has the ability to possess ice-type alien spirits. This time, many disciples of our sect were killed. Perhaps, the Zhong family felt that our sect would definitely suppress their genius, so they simply took a preemptive strike? Ice-type alien spirit root? After hearing this, all the disciples were a little surprised. The human body has all 5 elements, but there are more than 5 kinds of spiritual roots, and there are other changes. For example, this ice spiritual root is obtained from the mutation of gold water, and the unusual qualifications are even more incredible, far above the top-grade qualifications. It is just that there is no bottleneck before forming the pill without the heaven-grade qualifications, but the cultivation speed is definitely not slow. With such a Qilin son in the Zhong family, if there is another chance, maybe 100 years from now, there will be another ancestor of the pill formation. If Baihaman knew about this, they would definitely take action. It is understandable that the Zhong family struck preemptively. By the way, I wonder what the name of that exotic ice spirit root is. Fang Qing was a little curious. Zhonglingshou. It is said that he can cast ice spells so well that he has killed 3 true successors of our sect with perfect chain energy. Li Yusu exhaled a long breath, maybe because he felt that this was too much to destroy his prestige, and quickly added, in our sect, there are also many heroes on the battlefield, such as the Death Sword Chuizhe, Fairy Lingbo, Wu Longzi, etc. Zhonglingshou? Fang Qing secretly nodded to himself, and ignored Wu Longzi, the name that Li Yusu had given him only after taking a look at him. He was quite concerned about that Chuizhe. A swordsman who can make a name for himself is indeed amazing. But if compared with Li Rulong, he would probably be killed with 2 or 3 swords. The really powerful one is Zhonglingshou. This is the genius who is almost scheduled to complete the foundation building, and the pill formation is expected. It's a pity no matter how powerful it is, it's just a chain energy. If I take action, I wonder if I can kill him? Wait. What do I want to do with something so dangerous? Even if he could really do it and become a thorn in the side of the Zhong family, it would be impossible for Baihaman to keep a low profile. It would be almost all bad. After the show, Fang Qing returned to his cave, sat in half-lotus posture, visualized the horse-headed Vajra, and completed the wish seal. Crash! The energy and blood in his body flowed, and with the help of his spiritual consciousness, it illuminated every detail of his body, making up for the original minor flaws and injuries one by one, gradually reaching the state of golden body without leakage. Finally, Fang Qing exhaled a long breath, feeling the energy and blood in his body condensed, flowing along the chakras, and finally merged into the sea of consciousness, turning into a seed character. This seed character is like a dragon and an insect, with a sense of distortion. At first glance, people immediately know its meaning. It is Vajra divine power. This is my body training, finally breaking through to the first level. Fang Qing's eyes moved slightly, and he looked excited, and this Hynatham Vajra protector magic art has produced another supernatural power, which can release the Vajra divine power. But the increase in combat power is no small matter. When the Vajra divine power is activated, it can fully support my body refining technique, and it also comes with huge power. It is a slight exaggeration to say that it can be immune to magic weapon attacks, but it is enough to break the defense of high-grade magic weapons and give the enemy a big surprise. This is the power of almost second-level body training? Sure enough, the skills of the ancient Shu land are exquisite, far beyond this world. It's a pity that my horse-headed Vajra protector magic skill only has the first level of the Feark. Donkey Demon stage. After the completion, I am afraid I have to go to the secret treasure realm to find the next level of practice of the mule-faced Vajra Prajna stage. Now Fang Qing has almost practiced this first level of practice to the state of great achievement, and is not far away from perfection. After that, there is a lack of skills and there is no way forward. But he is very satisfied with it. The performance of this bodybuilding technique alone is not much inferior to Baihaman's Blackwater Dharmakaya, not to mention the blessing on the spiritual level, which helps him develop his spiritual consciousness and will definitely make a lot of money. While Fang Qing was thinking about it, a shrill sound transmission note suddenly flew into the cave. This? His expression changed drastically. He put all the items into his storage bag and soared into the sky on his green leaf boat. Who? The wind is biting. Hailstones fell one after another, causing a layer of solid ice to form on the lake. He took a closer look and saw a dozen white-robed monks rushing into the formation of Red Scale Lake. No, it's a monk from the Zhong family. Fang Qing can recognize it at a glance. This is a direct monk from the Zhong family, not the cannon fodder of casual cultivators. Isn't that right? While Xingxiu and others were shouting about fighting, he was very puzzled. I clearly make a divination every day, and today is Xiaoji. Could my divination be deceived? No. Divination is not a panacea. Or, because I was able to escape smoothly due to my strength when I was attacked, so I am Xiaoji. Fang Qing immediately understood that he could not completely believe in the Book of Plum Blossoms, otherwise it would simply kill people. Not good. He is a direct monk of the Zhong family. Xingxiu flew out a book-page magic weapon to protect his whole body. Feeling the spiritual pressure of the late-stage qi on the white-robed men, his face was as pale as paper. Why are we so unlucky? His god Sei Yixing said, Juniors, form a formation and defend. This place is very close to the mountain gate, and the foundation construction overhaul will be here in a moment. With Xingxiu taking the lead, the Baihaman monks took out the formation flags one after another, which had been drilled before, specifically to deal with the monks' surprise attack. Buzz. A layer of turquoise light lit up, completely ignoring the outside fish pond, protecting the monks' cave tightly. First-order high-quality, blue wave formation. Fang Qing recognized it and nodded secretly. The monks gathered together to defend, and gave up the fish farm, allowing these monks to loot and destroy. If the other party is a little weaker, they can complete the task and leave by making a profit. It is a pity that the monks from the Zhong family on the opposite side do not just want to destroy the fishery and make a big profit. The men in white robes stepped aside from both sides, revealing one of them with white hair. No, that was a young man with a weak, female-like face and white hair. His cultivation level is impressively complete, with a heart-stopping spiritual pressure, and his whole body seems to be filled with a heartbreaking chill. Zhong family, Zhong Lingxiao? Fang Qing's eyes twitched, and without hesitation, he turned around and ran away. For the sake of peace and quiet, he deliberately chose the cave to be the most remote, but now it became a foresight. Zhong Lingxiao made a secret with both hands, and layers of ice soul light emerged, turning into an ice crystal phoenix. It spread its wings, enveloped the storm, and raised its head to the sky with a clear cry. Soon, the ice phoenix flapped its wings and flew to the blue wave. Formation. Crash. A large amount of hailstones and green water waves cancelled each other out, and the blue wave formation was instantly frozen, exploding a huge gap. Xingxiu, Li Yusu, and other formation monks' expressions changed at the same time, and they spit out a mouthful of blood. Kill them all, leaving no one behind, Zhong Lingxiao said coldly, and glanced at the direction Fang Qing was escaping from. Wu Fu, I will leave this person to you, as you command, young master. A Zhong family monk immediately stepped out, driving a pair of black ice wheels, chasing Fang Qing in the direction he fled. Is it Zhong Lingxiao? When Xingxiu saw Zhong Lingxiao, a trace of despair suddenly appeared on his face. Sure enough, the one that should be replaced is the Qingye boat. Fang Qing drove the Qingye boat and just escaped from the Red Scale Lake when he saw a Zhong family monk driving a pair of ice wheels chasing him, and couldn't help but curse in his heart. This flying magic weapon is the standard of the sect and is of the lowest grade. He had no need to fight or escape before, so he did not buy it for a while. But now it seems that output can only be achieved if you are alive, so you should still prepare life-saving magic weapons. Whoosh. Before he thought about it, 2 ice cones condensed and formed in the void, killing them instantly. Click. Fang Qing twisted his body, his neck and waist folded into an angle of almost 90 degrees, and used an incredible yoga posture to avoid the ice pick attack. Although he felt that even if he was hit by 2 ice picks, the skin would be scratched at most, but he still had to hide his trump card. Huh? A 7th-level monk with chain energy. Ice spell. The pair of ice wheels at his feet look good. Should they be of high quality? With the assistance of divine consciousness, the monk is almost equivalent to opening the eyes of the sky in the battle of magic, and has a great advantage. Fang Qing took out the Huahai Pearl A. ND performed the secret with one hand. The Huahai Pearl suddenly turned into a stream of blue light, like a flying star, and flashed like lightning before it came to the monk of the Zhong family. Huh? The monks of the Zhong family were shocked when they saw a 6th level of Chain Qi monk suddenly burst out and could skillfully control a high-grade magic weapon. He quickly flew out a white scale shield from his storage bag and blocked it in front of him. Bang! Huahaizhu collided with it, only causing the white scale shield to shake, but other than that, there was no other achievement. Seeing this, the monks of the Zhong family couldn't help but feel proud. The black ice wheel under his feet and the white scale shield were both high-grade magic weapons, which cost most of his fortune. A mere monk on the 6th level of chain energy, even if he has a high-grade magic weapon, can never break his defense. Wait, what is this? Before the monks of the Zhong family could react, a small lake seemed to appear above their heads, and 100,000 kilograms of seawater crashed down. There are also several water arrows mixed in the sea water. It's just sea water. He was startled, and subconsciously wanted to cast an ice spell. After all, he was experienced in fighting, so he immediately suppressed his thoughts and made a water-repelling spell. You want me to freeze myself? Haha, am I that stupid? Those newbies in the family who have never seen blood might still be in a hurry, but I have killed many monks. Puff. The water arrow hits the white scale shield, but it is also unable to break the defense. The monks of the Zhong family were preparing to counterattack, when a black shadow suddenly appeared in front of their eyes. It was Fang Qing. He released the sea water mainly to hide his figure and get closer secretly. It's better to fight quickly, otherwise it will be a bit troublesome for Zhonglingxiu to catch up. As soon as his mind moved, the illusory devil conquering Vedra came out from Fang Qing's sea of consciousness and struck the Zhong family monk's eyebrows, making him feel like he was hit by a heavy hammer, and the talisman in his hand did not have time to activate. Fang Qing's whole body's energy and blood surged, and he carried a layer of body-refining aura. His 5 fingers suddenly came together and turned into a punch. In the sea of consciousness, the seed character representing Vedra divine power suddenly shines brightly. Bang! The Zhong family monk felt as if he was hit head-on by a giant mammoth. A huge dent appeared on the white scale shield, and he was knocked away from the distance. The body-protecting spiritual light was instantly shattered. Poof! He vomited blood, with a look of disbelief on his face. A second-level body refiner? Crack! Fang Qing lunged forward, spread his fingers, grabbed his head, and pressed it into his chest. I am not the second level, after all, I only have the power of one blow. This power of the King Kong is really useful. He exhaled a long breath, quickly cleaned up the traces, and searched for loot. I sensed secretly and found that even the seed characters in the Sea of Consciousness can be dissolved by Daoshengzhu, and I couldn't help but feel relieved. The Red Lin fishing ground encountered a catastrophe, and I just happened to be living outside for a while. I will wait until the war is over before making plans. Fang Qing drove the Qingye boat away, and decided to go to ancient Shu to avoid the limelight. It was quiet above the ground. After a moment, a white light flashed, and Zhonglingxiu chased after him. Young master, Zhong Wufu is dead. The 2 Zhong family monks looked at each other, secretly palpitating. They are on par with Zhong Wufu in terms of strength. If the one chasing them is them, wouldn't they also be killed? Trash. He can't even delay this moment. Zhonglingxiu frowned, but after all, he is a trash of my Zhong family. If outsiders dare to kill him, he will take his life to fill it. He made a hand seal, and suddenly there was a little white light in the air. The other 2 monks recognized it as a tracking technique. With the young master's escape speed, as long as the opponent does not run far away, he should be able to catch up with him before he escapes back to the mountain gate, torture him severely and then kill him. Huh? Suddenly, Zhonglingxiu stopped the spell and looked at the spiritual light extinguished. It failed? Is that person too far away? Or is there a foundation-building monk who used a spiritual consciousness to remove a mark on Zhong Wufu's body? The land of ancient Shu. So insidious, Fang Qing took out Zhong Wufu's storage bag and poured out a pile of spiritual stones. He took out one of the pieces, and his spiritual consciousness sensed that there was a tiny spiritual mark on it. If you are not a monk who has also cultivated spiritual consciousness, you will not be able to see it at all. As expected of the genius of the Zhong family, he has indeed developed spiritual consciousness during his Qi period. Fang Qing waved his hand and destroyed the mark on the spirit stone. He could roughly sense its aura, the same as Zhonglingxiu before. But you want to track me? Unless you can also travel through time. He sighed and started to check other trophies. First-grade high-grade flying escape weapon, Shanbing wheel? Well, there is also this first-grade high-grade white scale shield. Although it is somewhat damaged, it can still be used after repair. As a result, my flying, defense, and attack are all top-grade magic weapons, and I can be considered a rich man among the monks in the late stage of the Sex Qi chain. Although Zuanbinglan is best used by monks who practice ice attribute skills, it is just like the 5 element spells, everyone can practice it, and there is a difference in the level of performance. Fang Qing looked at other miscellaneous items and found that in addition to the spirit stones, there were several bottles of elixirs, a stack of talismans, and a few booklets. Huh? Ice Jew? It seems to be an advanced technique of whitewater Jew. Thinking of whitewater Jew, Fang Qing couldn't help but think of Xingxiu and Li Yusu who invested in him. Depending on the situation, these 2 people are in danger. However, investment is risky, and he had already planned to lose all his money, so he didn't feel too heartbroken. At this time, he looked at several other books and found that they were miscellaneous books, account books, and the like. Huh? Fang Qing took out a page from the book and looked at the formula on it. Is this a formula to condense the ice soul spiritual water? He was refreshed and quickly studied it, and found that it was indeed the case. This ice soul spiritual water is a famous spiritual water. The water is extremely cold and can be used in many water-based alchemy processes. Furthermore, the main purpose is to practice spells. For example, the famous Bing Soul Cold Light of the Zhong family. Is this supposed to be prepared for Zhonglingshou? His subordinates collected and refined the ice soul spiritual water for him to improve his cultivation. This ice soul cold light is also a famous spell in the hands of the Zhong family's foundation-building monks. It is extremely lethal. Even, I heard that the ancestor of the Zhong family who is in the alchemy stage has developed the magical power of ice soul mysterious light. Even if the ancestor of the sect is in a higher state, he will be unable to do anything to him. This page of formula is obviously just a page torn from a certain book of exercises. After getting the formula, you can only condense the spiritual water, but you can't practice the spell of ice soul and cold light at all, let alone subsequent upgrades. At first glance, it seems to be a means to prevent leaks. But it's nothing. I only need ice cold water and spiritual water. It is usually used to make elixirs and can be used against the enemy at critical moments. It is very effective, remembering that Li Yusu had asked Li Yusu to collect it before, but the other party only found him a popular 100 poison water elixir recipe. Fang Qing felt that he had made a good profit this time. For monks, it is indeed a golden belt for murder and arson. Berkshire. Due to the previous chaos in the world of cultivating immortals, the Daoji family and the Zifu immortal sect each secluded themselves from the world, using the convinced monks as pawns, causing the entire world of spiritual cultivation to be in chaos. Many markets have closed down and logistics are not smooth. It was not until Li Rulong settled half of the cauldron that the cultivation world stabilized. However, many of the cities and towns that Fang Qing was familiar with, such as Biluofeng and Fuzufeng, were dilapidated and closed down. Fang Qing has continued to explore and develop his own network in the past few years, and has obtained the qualifications for several casual cultivator exchange meetings that are held from time to time. The bright moon hangs high in the wilderness, and the atmosphere is cold. There is a small, semi-collapsed temple on the roadside. The statues in the temple have long been blurred and unrecognizable. There is only a human figure of pottery figurines with a half-black red cloth around the neck. Zao? Fang Qing stared at the broken plaque for a long time and barely recognized the word Zao. What kind of temple is this? The kitchen god? He blew on it and lit the candle. Hey, it's not the kitchen god, but the kitchen lord. The temple of the kitchen god. A black figure walked out from behind the statue, making a hoarse voice, and his figure looked extremely uncoordinated. As I got closer, I realized that it was a fox standing upright with a skull on its head. Kitchen lord? Fang Qing nodded. It seems that he is not a member of the 12th-year-old. I wonder how powerful he is? Country people, offering sacrifices indiscriminately, unethical. Okay, I am Dark Shuzi. Fellow Taoists are also here to participate in the exchange meeting? The old fox continued to speak. Exactly, Fang Qing, who was wearing a bamboo hat and covering most of his face, nodded. That's great. This is my first time attending a human exchange meeting. Is there anything I need to pay attention to? The old fox seems quite humble. Before Fang Qing could speak, another monk appeared at the temple door. This Bajuan is in chaos, all kinds of ghosts and monsters have emerged. You monsters dare to come here. Aren't you afraid of being killed by the monks? TSK. I wonder if the tailfire aura in your Taoist friend is from the Yulanpu family? The old fox also didn't care. The Zifu Immortal clan is really amazing, but I didn't go to Yulin County. Hey Gaoman is a close friend of our monster clan. If we don't have to pay any more price, we monsters will help Hey Gaoman and come to attack your Pu family. How brave. The Pu family monk sneered, with flames coming out of his mouth and nose, as if he was about to attack at the next moment. Everyone, give the old man some face. Just when Fang Qing thought that the man and the monster were about to fight, a voice suddenly intervened. Fang Qing looked around and saw a slovenly Taoist whom he had met once in front of Fuzufeng walking in. He didn't hide it at all, and his cultivation was impressive to the point of perfection. Haha. Lao Dao is the convener of this exchange meeting. During the transaction, Lao Tao guarantees your safety. If fellow Taoists want to take action, I'm afraid Lao Tao will have to suppress you first. The sloppy Taoist looked at the monk surnamed Pu. Under the prohibition of the Z Mansion, convince and perfection is now the pinnacle of Bajuan's cultivation world. In this case, let's give face to fellow Taoist monks. The monk surnamed Pu immediately walked down the steps, and the flames on his face disappeared. Everyone enters the small temple and finds a place to sit down. Half an hour later, Fang Qing took a glance and found that there were already more than a dozen monks in the small temple. Among them were old farmers, holding pipes, and a pair of grandchildren, as well as ladies in gorgeous clothes. Of course. More monks still hide themselves in their burqas like Fang Qing. Even though the sloppy Taoist's previous actions of reminding Li Rulong felt quite decent to Fang Qing, he still had to be on guard against others. As for monsters, there seems to be only one old fox. Okay, thank you all for coming to this small meeting. We can exchange what we need first, and then communicate. The sloppy Taoist told some rules. Let's start with this fellow Taoist. He pointed at the monk who looked like an old farmer. The old man's surname is Tian. All Taoist friends can just call Old Tian. Old Tian showed a pair of yellow and black teeth. My family accidentally entered Taoism and practiced Lu Jin. However, the skills are average and can only be practiced to the late stage of submission. I wonder if all Taoists have any clues about the follow-up skills. At least you have to be a Taoist. Hearing this, someone sneered. It turned out to be the monk surnamed Pu. He sneered, "You fellow country cultivators still want Daoji Kung Fu? Nowadays, the city of ancient Shu is in ruins. If you want Daoji Kung Fu, you can only find it from the Daoji family. If you want Zifu Kung Fu, you can only find it from the Zifu forces, so that's the case?" Lao Tian lost his sight and murmured, "I thought I could exchange it for spiritual grain." Fang Qing couldn't help laughing when he heard this. I thought about myself again. Although I have been paying attention to collecting exercises, there are indeed not many Daoji exercises. In addition, it is troublesome to collect qi, and he himself is indeed more suitable for the Ji Shui way, so he has never started to use the second ancient Shu method. If it is the Great Sun Purple Qi technique, then you can sacrifice some practice time. I haven't met anyone who is particularly excited yet. Changing many techniques does not actually increase the combat effectiveness much, but the adaptability is very good. At this time, the old fox Dark Shuzi spoke up, "If the Taoist Friends family does not insist on Lu Jin, I have a book of exercises here, which belongs to the Taiyin system, Baiyu, belongs to, and the Taoist base is overturned. At least it is not harmful to cultivate to the Taoist base." What? Old Tian was simply overjoyed. "Fellow Taoist. Are you willing to exchange your skills for spiritual grain?" Ahem. At this time, the sloppy Taoist said, "And Zhuzi, since you are going to sell your, Baiyu, Taoist skills, you must clearly explain the hidden dangers in advance, hidden risks?" Fang Qing was surprised and looked at Zhuzi. The old fox was unmoved. "I spoke slowly, I haven't made it clear yet. This skill comes from Baiyu. After practicing it, you will turn into a half-demon and get close to us and other demon clans." What? Can't even be a human? Let's forget it. Old Tian quickly shook his head. Why does this technique transform demons? Is there any hidden danger? Fang Qing turned his eyes and asked. Hey, it's not that there is something wrong with the old fox's skills, but that all the skills of Baiyu, Dao Tong are only suitable for the demon clan. After all, in ancient times, the great sage Baiyu of the demon clan was born and disturbed the world. From then on, Baiyu was only circulated among the demon clan, and all the techniques were contaminated. The monk surnamed Pu originally did not want to tell these secrets of practice, but since the sloppy Taoist has spoken, he thought of the disgusting old fox and did the same. Fang Qing was speechless. What a broken place. Are there any who have unknowingly cultivated themselves into demons? Hee. The great sage, Baiyu, was good at swallowing gold and fire, so majestic. But it was more than 8,000 years ago. However, the demon clan has been colluding with the demons in recent years and supporting the fate of the barbarians. Otherwise, why would the world be in such chaos? The monk surnamed Puai is unreasonable and unforgiving. Fang Qing listened, but he had a vague understanding in his heart. This world divides history into 3 stages: ancient times, and modern times. According to the immortal calendar, it should be 8,529 years in the modern calendar. The position of the 12th year-old was determined in the ancient times, but the Sun Taoism, the Gold, and the Fire Taoism are satisfied. What about other Taoisms? Will there be vendettas between them? Twists and turns? The great sage of the demon clan, Baiyu, swallows gold and fire. Does it represent the counterattack of the Taiyin system? Even if he is as strong as Zhuai Sui, will he still fall? The old fox stopped talking, and Lao Tian also retreated. Next, the woman who looked like a noble lady stepped forward. I have a piece of innate gung gold in my hand, which is an excellent material for refining flying swords. I would like to ask about the whereabouts of a flying sword. I wonder which flying sword it is? A monk asked. You must have fun, the lady replied. Huh. Although this sword is not among the most famous 10 flying swords in the universe, it is also very famous in the land of ancient Shu. It is enough to rank among the 49 famous swords in ancient Shu. It is just a piece of innate gung gold, and it is not a serious flying sword. It is not enough. Not enough. The monk shook his head. Oh? What if I have a flying sword coming out of my body? The noble lady asked quietly with a wave of eyes. This? I don't know where the Su Jin Huan is. This sword is very famous. It was the sword of Master Yanba, the sword cultivator of the Purple Mansion. It is said that the sword's light is as bright as clouds and brocade, and it is as proud as a swimming dragon. The monk's voice was filled with yearning. Are you joking with me? The lady's tone suddenly became extremely dangerous. Okay, Mrs. G, wait a minute. The sloppy Taoist stood up helplessly. Why, this fellow Taoist is also outspoken, let him be spared, humph. Mrs. G snorted coldly and quietly entered the queue. After her, it was Fang Qing's turn. Fang Qing touched his bamboo hat and said in a clear voice, I want to find a copy of the Great Sun Dao Tong Kung Fu. The reward can be offset by elixirs that increase my magic power. The Great Sun Dao Tong Kung Fu? Since the Sun Purple Qi has been discontinued, what is the use of this technique? The monk surnamed Pu sneered, with a very disdainful tone. Hee hee. Although the purple qi of the Great Sun has been cut off for thousands of years, there may not be anything left in those ancient ruins and secret realms, and Zhuzi obviously got into trouble with the monk surnamed Pu. You have little knowledge, so don't talk randomly, it will appear to be a loss of status. Oh, by the way, didn't your ancestor of the Pu family, Mr. Pushun, gain access to the cave left by his predecessors by chance, and rely on the skills and energy obtained there to soar into the sky? Your ancestor is like this, so you don't allow others to pick it up. You? The monk surnamed Pu spurted fire from his nostrils again. The monks present were as silent as a cicada. That is the ancestor of the Pu family. Zifu monk. Great supernatural being. It is said that he fell into the ancient cave at a young age and practiced hard until the Daoji stage before he came out and became famous in Yulin County. Even in the later stage of Daoji, I found a kind of spiritual fire of heaven and earth ember tribulation fire. Risking life and death, he forcibly contained and swallowed it, and mastered this kind of spiritual fire. This ember tribulation fire is ranked 98th on the heaven and earth spiritual fire list. It is a rare treasure that is coveted by all the monks in the Z Mansion. After being refined, it has infinite power and is unbeatable in a fight. It has been more than 200 years since he broke through the Zifu and established the Pu family. Haha, tail fire, Taoism, refining embers, and calamity fire. I really scared the old fox to death, and Zhuzi patted his chest in a very anthropomorphic way, and the smile on the fox's mouth seemed to be a bit playful. Ahem, Fang Qing saw that something was wrong and had to say, fellow Taoist. Now I am looking for a kung fu technique. Does Taoist friend have it? The old fox does not have the Great Sun kung fu technique. However, my demon clan has a rich inventory, and the old fox should have some clues when he goes back to ask, and Zhuzi obviously likes to trade skills, and his fox face looks extremely shrewd and strange under the candlelight. If you believe the old fox, just pay a deposit first. The old fox will contact you after he finds it. Fang Qing was silent for a while, and threw out a yellow-skinned gourd. And Zhuzi took it, opened it, and sniffed. Not bad. The old fox noted this down. Writing this, please remember our domain name, Quick Reading Valley, www. SUDUGU. Oh, RG read the latest chapter without any mistakes. Fang Qing secretly sent a message again, gave the old fox a meeting place and password, and returned to the crowd. Although the atmosphere at this exchange meeting was tense, but there was really a lot of information leaked. While eating the melon, he felt excited, hoping that Zhuzi and the Pu family monks would reveal some more explosive information to each other. After the exchange is over, it's time for each other to communicate. It was Lao Tian who stood up first and asked, Old Tian is the order of Lu Jin, but the grandchildren are not. Is there any obstacle in practicing Lu Jin skills? Fang Qing perked up after hearing this and looked at the sloppy Taoist. He will definitely switch to other exercises in the future. The monk's fate will benefit the practice of skills, but it is not absolute. The Taoist thought for a while and explained, if your descendant is another kind of fate, there will not be much hindrance in practicing the Lu Jin skill. It's just that the progress may be slower than the skill that suits you. If you have a golden destiny, but you practice wood and fire techniques, it is not impossible, but the speed will be extremely slow, and it will even be easier to go crazy. When Fang Qing heard this, he immediately understood. In this respect, the Qi Dao technique is similar to the Qi Dao chain. According to the immortal cultivation theory of Lian Qi Dao, the human body has all 5 elements, so he can actually practice various exercises such as Lian Qi Dao, such as metal, wood, fire, earth, and even ice attributes. It's just that he is good at the water movement technique. 1 hour of practice may be worth 10 hours of other techniques. If you still want to break through to a greater realm and extend your life, it is naturally better to focus on the water element technique. However, after building the foundation in the future, he can also switch to Baiheman's pill-forming technique Bihai Kung Fu, or even switch to another water element technique. As for the Qi Dao, once you start to choose a skill, you have to follow the path until it gets dark. I see, thank you fellow Taoist for clarifying my doubts, old Tian suddenly realized, and gritted his teeth. The old man was ignorant back then. When he first entered Taoism, he only took one dose of lower third-level true Qi, which resulted in low quality of mana. Is there any way to make up for it? Br haha, the monk surnamed Pu sneered, after entering the Tao, there is nothing to change. Once you have conquered the lower third level of Qi, you will be bound to the Qi realm for the rest of your life. Don't think about breaking through the foundation of the Tao. As soon as these words came out, most of the monks present had pale faces. Obviously, casual cultivators like them do not have the advice of their elders, and the first breath of Qi they enter the Tao is very precious. Naturally, they have to practice whatever they want. Most people's Qi is at the lower third level. Not only is there no hope of breaking through the Tao foundation, but even their daily cultivation and fighting with monks at the same level are much lower. Actually, it's not impossible. At this time, the old fox said, water is good at moisturizing all things. If you can find some of the rumored heaven and earth spiritual waters, such as the heaven's life water, it may not be impossible to purify your magic power and change your destiny against the heavens, haha. In this world, the golden fire is very powerful. The heaven and earth spiritual fire and the various types of Unaki gold that can refine the 9-turn flying sword are extremely rare. There will only be less spiritual water in the world, the monk surnamed Pu sneered. I'm afraid there is no more water from heaven in the world. If you want to find it, you can't find it unless you have a great power to prove the truth and benefit the water virtues in the world. Even if you find such a spiritual object, even the monks of Zifu will rush to snatch it. How dare you imagine it? The monks around him were silent and just remembered the name heaven is born in water. Although it is most likely that it will be useless, but what if? A powerful enlightenment? Is there such a change? Fang Qing was really surprised. What's this? When the Daoji monks break through, there will be strange phenomena in the world. If the Zifu breaks through, the scope will be wider, and it can affect at least one county. When the ancestor of the Pu family broke through, Yulin County was in flames. I don't know how many innocent passers-by were burned to death, and many Muxing monks went crazy. It is even more miserable for those who break through the great realms in seclusion. Except for those who cultivate the fire element, they all fail, and some of them die directly and disappear, the old fox said. If there is a powerful person who can prove the Tao, the influence will definitely spread all over the world. If he cultivates water virtue, what does it mean to have a few more water elements in the world? Thank you, I have learned from it. Fang Qing cupped his fists and saluted. No matter what, this is valuable knowledge. Haha. It doesn't matter, it's just common sense. The old fox got a civilian position in Luofeng Mountain and was responsible for taking care of the Longhuan bookstore. He usually likes reading books the most, the old fox said with a smile. The holy land of the monster clan Luofeng Mountain? Fang Qing was still wondering why the old fox loved trading skills so much. He turned out to be a librarian, and heard the exclamation of the monk surnamed Pu in his ears. He looked over again and found that the monk surnamed Pu had a look of fear on his face, and he was no longer as aggressive as before. Okay. Is this because you are not as powerful as others and have decided to give in? Children from such aristocratic families can raise their nostrils to the sky when facing those at the bottom, but when faced with those from a higher aristocratic family, they can be extremely humble, highlighting a duality. In the following exchange, because the monk surnamed Pu gave in and said nothing, Fang Qing could not hear anything and felt quite boring. After the exchange meeting ended, the monks dispersed one by one. He was about to leave when he heard the sloppy old Taoist say, "Fellow Taoist Fang Shui, please stay, what are your orders, Taoist master?" Fang Qing was secretly on guard, looking very polite. Thinking back to those days, when I saw you outside Fuzifang, it still seems like yesterday. My little friend was able to take strange fruits when he was young, so he found Fuzifang, which is considered fate. The sloppy Taoist looked a little confused. As a result, today, you are not only convinced and have entered Taoism, you have reached the 6th level. Li Rulong is even more incredible. With good luck, his son can occupy most of Ba County. Although it is an agreement with the Z Mansion, it is rare. Conquer the strange fruit? Fang Qing's eyes twitched. If this wasn't leaked by Li Rulong or the Pu family, is this old boy plotting against me? Can he count me? Are you still convinced of the monks? Could it be Duji? Not afraid of the Zifu ban? At the same time, I secretly resented, I can bump into such a big boss even if I participate in an exchange meeting of any level. This cesspool is such a lousy place. Fortunately, I am in the reckoning. He thinks he has counted me, but in fact it is just a false appearance. Let's go back and use Plum Blossom Book of Changes to calculate him in turn. According to the hexagram book, this kind of initiative to form a cause and effect with me should be calculated better. However, it is unlikely that his realm will surpass mine, not to mention, it is still the cesspool of heaven and earth in ancient Shu. At this time, Fang Qing's expression changed, and he felt another abnormal situation. The Daosheng beads in his body were spinning around, and the clear and turbid air filled the air, creating a myriad of phenomena. This is... Ruzai Swan was activated? Maybe this person is not Daoji? What the hell, Zifu went out to fry the fish himself. Is there any justice? Is there any Wangfa? I have been working diligently at Baihaman for almost 10 years, and I have never seen what my ancestor who formed the pills looks like. Do the Zifu monks here want to be so friendly to the people? Although he was complaining crazily in his heart, Fang Qing maintained his acting skills and everything looked as normal on the surface. In other words, with the Daoshengzhu cover, his mental fluctuations are also covered with a layer of as if calculated effect. Even if this Zifu monk has any method of spying on people's hearts, he can only see a layer of false psychological activities. Fang Qing continued to listen, and then heard the old Taoist say, although Li Rulong was a son of luck for a while, he has now reached his limit. The Daoji family is stationed in the Black Gate. It's not something he can handle. Although the old man is weak, he is willing to do his best for him. I wonder if I would like to send a letter to the old man, asking him to join this exchange meeting? Of course, he agreed wholeheartedly, took a bright yellow letter, and left. Whoosh! Fang Qing stepped on the black ice wheel and flew far away in one breath. She subconsciously wanted to shuttle back to Jade Island and no longer stay in this miserable place. But the next moment, something moved in his heart, and he silently played Plum Blossom Changes. After the fright just now, by chance, he discovered another change of if it's calculated. Although the secret of the ancient Shu land is a cesspool. But I have a way to produce pearls, borrowing his personality. Maybe my divination ability can be compared to Zifu? In addition, the sloppy Taoist took the initiative to establish a cause and effect with me before, so it will be easier for him. In Fang Qing's sea of knowledge, several plum blossoms fell, forming a hexagram, Big Evil? Could it be that sloppy Taoist has been monitoring me? Once he travels, will he reveal his secret? He was extremely shocked, but didn't show it at all. He found out where Li Rulong's army was and rushed over. Fortunately, for now, Li Rulong is the chess piece that everyone values and I am just a marginal figure. As long as I play my role well and then exit, no one will notice. The most important thing is the status of the Book of Plum Blossoms and Daoshengzhu. Otherwise, I won't even know whether I am in the game, and I will die like a confused ghost. The rebel tent. The surrounding furnishings are simple, with only a giant map hanging in the middle showing the geography of Bajuan. Li Rulong is wearing a handsome robe, holding a red pen, and is reviewing military documents. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside the tent, which made him frown. But before he could speak, the tent was opened and several monks broke in. Brother, Guo Tianhong's face turned red, and there was even a hint of crying in his voice. He seemed particularly aggrieved. That man from the Luo family is here again. I am incompetent. I can't stop him. In the army, military orders are the first priority. Breaking into the commander's tent without permission is a serious crime. In theory, he can be beheaded directly in public. But the few monks who broke in were not afraid at all. They looked left and right with a joking smile on their faces. See the commander-in-chief. No need. Li Rulong put down the ink pen in his hand and sighed. It turns out to be fellow Daoist Luo Desheng, fellow Daoist Luo, and fellow Daoist He. The cultivation of these people is nothing, but the key is their last name. Tianshui Luo family, Qian Luo family, Yanyanmen He family, are all well-known Taoist forces in Bajuan. Although due to the agreement between the Z mansion, these Daoji monks did not take action. But Li Rulong was only a convinced monk. When he encountered these families, he could only go around them with his army, and he went through a lot of unnecessary mistakes. Not only that. These families also sent monks, euphemistically called helping the rebels, but in fact... Commander. I have a destiny in the clan. I hope that the commander will attack Sanma City tomorrow. It is best to massacre 100,000 people. Luo Desheng of the Luo family was the first to speak. The clan is refining a furnace of elixirs and is in urgent need of blood. 100,000? Is it too much? In the past, we used the help of 2 armies to fight, and the casualties were heavy. We can still cover up a little, but with so many, we can't cover up. Besides, Guo Tianhong became anxious before Li Rulong spoke. If you can't cover it up, you can't cover it up. Can the grievances of the common people do anything to us monks? Luo Desheng disagreed. The people are like leeks, cut and resurrected, Li Rulong murmured in a low voice. Haha, that's exactly what it is. Luo Desheng laughed loudly and looked at Guo Tianhong again, his eyes unabashedly lustful. Commander, you girl, you are so smart, Chong. In the camp, a flash of sword light suddenly appeared. Amidst the roar of countless swords and weapons, the Dingjin sword was placed on Luo Desheng's neck at some point. The army will begin to attack the city tomorrow. Now, get out. Li Rulong's voice is like falling into an ice cave. Haha, it's just a joke, Luo Desheng laughed dryly and almost peed out of the handsome tent. When he was far away, he spat behind him, bah, holding the Pu family's stinky thing. Do you really think you are a hidden dragon? The monks surnamed Luo and the monks from the He family next to them looked at each other and shook their heads. Although they came together to persecute him, they were a little ashamed of being associated with this person. Then Li Rulong, is he convinced and perfect? After a long time, the monk surnamed Luo said, I have practiced hard for 30 years, but now I am only at the 6th level. It's really enviable envy? I'm not envious at all. He practices the Shaogung golden sword technique? The He family monk from Yunyan Gate shook his head. I heard that there is a family in Yulin County who inherits, Kongjin. It seems that he is cultivating the Gengjin sword technique? Recently, there seems to be a Qilin disciple who is also convinced of the 9th level. It must be that there will be another Taoist master in the near future. How can brother he know so well? The monk surnamed Luo was startled. Aft. We voted for the Pu family, and we will be colleagues with the Yulin County family in the future. We must take precautions in advance so as not to be caught off guard, the monk surnamed he said calmly. That's right. After all, the ancestor of the Pu family has refined the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, and his combat power is considered powerful in the Z Mansion. Just looking at the victory and defeat of the mortal army on the battlefield, you can tell that the Black Sect is already at a disadvantage. We and other families will naturally stand on the side of the winner, the monk surnamed Luo said matter-of-factly. What's wrong with this atmosphere? When Fang Qing was invited into the rebel tent, did he feel that the atmosphere was a little subtle? He looked at Li Rulong again and found that this man's magic power had reached a certain peak. The Kongjin Ji was so sharp that it made people feel a stinging sensation just by looking at him. However, his figure had become inexplicably rickety, as if he was old and haggard. The eyes of Guo Tianhong next to him were slightly red, as if he had just cried. Could it be, he was thinking wildly, but his expression became solemn. Fang Shui has met the marshal. It's you. Li Rulong seemed to have just come back to his senses, and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, I don't know what the purpose of your friend coming here is? If it's for friendship. You can go find the quartermaster. The commander looks quite haggard. Fang Qing casually chatted for a few words, and then heard Li Rulong sigh, alas. When I think about it carefully, the happiest time in my life was when I came out of the world at the beginning of the year and the 7 swords of Shu Mountain were sworn in. What is this? The boss is in Versailles? After asking a few more questions, he found out that Li Rulong's 2 mortal sworn brothers had also died on the battlefield, and he roughly understood. So it turns out that you are sad for spring and autumn? Forget it, I'll finish my acting and run away as soon as possible. Fang Qing made a decision in his heart and took out the letter. Commander, does he still remember that sloppy Taoist? Is it the old Taoist priest I saw outside Fuzufang when I was seeking immortality? I have a slight impression, Li Rulong thought for a while and recalled. The Taoist man's hands and eyes are astounding, and he gathered many of his comrades and held an exchange meeting. He admires the handsome man's style, and he has a letter here. Fang Qing handed the letter to Guo Tianhong next to him, and Guo Tianhong handed it to Li Rulong. Looking at Li Rulong opening the letter, he glanced at it a few times. I see, Li Rulong's expression changed slightly, and he suddenly pressed his hair. On his bun, a flying sword that was originally inserted flew out immediately, making a clear sword cry. Fang Qing's pupils shrank, almost thinking that Li Rulong wanted to take action. I already know everything that is said in the letter. Thank you so much this time, fellow Taoist. Li Rulong stood up, solemnly thanked him, and glanced at Guo Tianhong beside him. Fellow Taoist Fang, if something happens to me in the future, and you meet my sworn sister, please take care of me. This tone, why does it sound so like Tugu? Could it be that the truth was written on the letterhead? Of course Fang Qing did not dare to peek at the letter left by a suspected Zifu monk, so he could only guess like this. It's easy to say, now that the matter is done, I'll take my leave. Fang Qing just wants to get rid of the trouble now, and doesn't even do business, just say goodbye and leave. After he left, Guo Tianhong looked at Li Rulong with a miserable face. Brother, what happened? I originally thought, I acted as a dog for them, and at least I can protect you. We can all live, and we may have the freedom to become immortals in the future. Li Rulong's eyes were blank, but Ow, whoosh! Fang Qing stepped on the Xianbing wheel and flew hundreds of miles in one breath. Looking at the scenery below, he clicked on the escape light and sat cross-legged on a piece of blue rock. Crash. Next to Qing Yan, there is a stream, like a jade belt, gurgling. He stopped and seemed to be sitting cross-legged in meditation to recover the consumed mana, but in fact he was secretly running the plum blossom to predict whether he would be able to travel through time at this time. Good luck. With the blessing of Daoshengzhu, the plum blossoms in the sea of consciousness give hexagrams. Fang Qing let out a long sigh, knowing that after he completed his act, that fatal sight finally left him. Even so, he did not dare to start the time travel immediately. Instead, he traveled to many places, seemingly purchasing spiritual materials, but in fact he still said hello every day. A few months later. Somewhere on Jasper Island. Damn, I'm finally back. Fang Qing, who experienced the feeling of being fried by the monks of the Zifu, returned to his loyal Jade Island. Ever since the last experience, he has become a little disappointed. Even when I returned to Bu Island where the war was already raging, I actually felt that even if there was a battle between monks from both sides, the one who attacked and killed me last time was Zhonglingxiu, the perfect chain chi. How valuable is this? In comparison, even if people die every day on Bu Island, it can be called simple folk customs. I am indeed suitable for cultivating immortality in such a place with simple folk customs. Fang Qing nodded with satisfaction, and habitually began to make calculations and greetings. If you return to the sect at this time, is it a blessing in disguise? It seems that the final result of this battle will not be too painful for the Baihaman. If it were before, even in a clear environment like Jade Island, Fang Qing would definitely be unable to calculate the outcome of a battle involving several pill-forming ancestors and dozens of foundation-building overhauls. But at this time, with the blessing of the Taosheng Pearl, the divination technique that is unprecedented in this world is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. The so-called monks of the Purple Mansion who investigate cause and effect are nothing more than that, right? Fang Qing's mind was infinitely elevated in the plum blossom change, and he saw more hexagrams besides good and bad luck. He saw Hualian, the Sea Dragon King festival that he had participated in, and a huge snake monster with a long band on its head. I also saw Zhonglingxiu, even a foundation-building monk, and 3 vague figures, so that's it. Is it a second-level peak snake raised by the sect, about to be promoted to the 3rd level? Fang Qing suddenly realized, this is the cause of this war. Once the snake is promoted to the 3rd level, it is equivalent to having 1 more Dan-forming combat power. How can the Zhong family and Tianqin Island endure it? Countless monks died for this war, but they died for no apparent reason. But now, Fang Qing already knows. The Baihaman must have concealed this news tightly, even the foundation-building monks may not know it, but it was leaked. Because Hualian. Even Feiyu Island where he is located is a traitor. Even, there is something wrong with Chazhu. She has a special physique. In addition to the high-grade water spiritual roots, she has also awakened some kind of spiritual body. Once the 2nd-level snake breaks through and devours it, it will increase the hope of successfully overcoming the tribulation. Inside the temporary cave. Fang Qing covered his forehead and woke up suddenly, breathing heavily. He touched his nose and found 2 lines of nosebleeds. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Is this excessive consumption of spiritual consciousness? Fortunately, I have a 1st-level high-grade body refining, otherwise I would have been seriously ill and my vitality was severely damaged. With the blessing of the Daosheng Pearl, and in a clear environment like Jasper Island, the pleasure of divination is simply unparalleled. After Fang Qing counted the 2nd-order snakes, seeing the causal connection, he couldn't help but count Feiyu Island again. After calculating to Hualian, I saw the connection between Chazhu and I couldn't help but make another calculation. The result was that I got deeper and deeper, almost exhausted my mind without even realizing it. Sigh. Is this considered a backlash from the heavenly secret to some extent? It's a kind of happy trouble. It would be great if it could be like this in Ancient Shu. The Ancient Shu heavenly secret is still a cesspit. Even if Fang Qing has the blessing of the Daoshengzhu, he can barely calculate his own good or bad luck. As for Li Rulong's matter, it was even more chaotic. The only thing that could be calculated was that he was involved, something serious could happen. What a broken place. I guess the ancestor of Jiedan has a clue or two, but it was so miserable when he met the monks of Zifu. Forget it, it's better to go less often in the future. Fang Qing swallowed a healing elixir, and his face gained a little more color. He thought to himself, according to previous deductions, the 2nd-level peak snake will be promoted soon, and there may be still excitement to see. No, since I am sure that there is not much danger in Baihaman, I should return to the sect first and develop a loyal character. Otherwise, if I wait until the disaster is over and return to the sect, I may be relegated to another book. Baihaman. The blue-green Sichuan Bibo formation, shaped like a giant bull, firmly protects the sect. As another flying boat landed, many injured monks came out. Most of them were pale and had lost too much blood. Some were missing arms and legs, and their faces were ashen. They obviously knew that the road was cut off. With their arrival, a disturbing news spread: our side was severely defeated in the Kyrie Sea, and even 3 of the 5-toothed ships were sunk. Among the Zhong family's hired casual cultivators, not only many casual cultivators who were good at fighting appeared, but also puppet beasts appeared. They are obviously people from Tianqin Island, so they are attacking us. Xiaoling Reef has fallen. The Zhong family's army can land on Bu Island at any time. There are also elite monks from the Zhong family on Bu Island who are destroying everything. It is said that an elder from the inner sect fell into the trap and died unfortunately. All the Chain Qi monks were panic-stricken, and many of the injured who came back were even more uneasy. If I had known, I would have found an opportunity to run away on the road, huh? When Fang Qing stepped on the Shanbing wheel, what he saw was such a scene. Stop, who is that? Over the port, watching Fang Qing coming alone, a group of law enforcement monks looked wary. My disciple, Fang Qing. I accepted the task of guarding the red scale fishing ground. Fang Qing made a secret with one hand, and a spiritual light enveloped his disciple token and flew into the hands of the captain of the law enforcement monk. The captain took it and hid it with a magic formula to verify the authenticity. It is indeed our disciple. But I remember that the red scale fishing ground has been captured long ago. That's exactly it. I was chased by a late-stage monk of Qi Chain and was seriously injured. I luckily took advantage of the location to take his head, but the injury was too severe and it was difficult to move. That's why I delayed my return today. Fang Qing's expression remained unchanged as he took out Zhong Wufu's Zhong family identity token. No matter how long he recuperates, if he can kill a late-stage monk and return, he won't be blamed, right? The law enforcement captain hesitated for a moment. You wait first, I will report to the elder Tianqing. Fang Qing was confident, and despite the strange looks of other disciples, he came to the Hall of Punishment of Evil. Waiting at the entrance of the palace for a long time, he suddenly felt a ray of divine consciousness sweeping over him. His heart moved slightly, but his face looked as if nothing had happened. Dan Island inner disciple Fang Qing, summoned by the elder. Not long after, a disciple of the punishment hall came out and glanced at Fang Qing. Fang Qing nodded and strode into it. Not long after, he saw Elder Tianqing, who was wearing a blue shirt and had a ferocious face. Elder Tianqing was holding a file in his hand. Fang Qing, inner disciple, received the task of garrisoning the red scale fishing ground. Please tell me about the process. Yes. Fang Qing had calculated before coming to the sect, telling how he would garrison, encounter the Zhong family monks, and his luck in killing Zhong Wufu. Except for the first few paragraphs, because many people had mixed opinions, his confession was completely truthful, and he only slightly modified it when he killed Zhong Wufu later. Well, no wonder you were able to kill Zhong Wufu. It turns out that you have been promoted to the late stage of chain energy, and you still have some body refining skills. Elder Tianqing nodded slightly, thinking that the previous spiritual scan had seen through everything, including Fang Qing's hidden cultivation. In fact, if Fang Qing hadn't used Daoshengzhu to cover it up, he wouldn't have been able to see it even if he was blind. Break through the late stage of chain energy. This is a flaw that Fang Qing deliberately gave in advance. After all, it was a little shocking for a monk in the middle stage of Qi Chain to kill him in the late stage. But it is more reasonable to hide your cultivation level at ordinary times and suddenly burst out. After a hard fight, you will be seriously injured at the cost of killing the later ones. If I hadn't used the Daoshengzhu to transform most of the cultivation levels of the horse-headed Vajra protector magic art, wouldn't you be even more surprised when you see that I am now a first-level high-grade body refiner? But now the middle-grade body training cultivation level is pretty good. There is another reason why Fang Qing showed his later cultivation, and that is because the sect is hiring people. Disciples in the late stage of Chain Qi are not cabbages, they are also considered elites in the sect. As long as you still think about using him, you won't be severely punished. And I have calculated in advance that the day when the snake condenses its elixir to overcome the tribulation is tomorrow. No matter what dangerous mission it is, just accept it. Anyway, tomorrow will not count as soon as it passes. He was cursing in his heart when he heard Elder Tianqing say, "You have killed powerful enemies without any merit, but why did you return to the sect at this time? You are outside and should know that the situation of the sect is not very good." Fang Qing immediately showed a look of indignation. I am originally a son of the fisherman family, and it was the sect that trained me. Now that the sect is in trouble, how can I ignore it? Elder, I came back just to do my best for the sect. If you have any tasks, just follow your orders. Such an impassioned and heroic gesture of sacrifice made Elder Tianqing unable to stand up. That's all. It's rare for you to return to the sect, so take a night's rest first. If you have any tasks, go to the General Affairs Hall of Wanbao Island to take them. Disciple resigns. After F. Qing left, Elder Tianqing looked at his leaving back, a little surprised. Is this really a pure heart, or is he as cunning as a fox? Haha. Tianqing, what are you looking at? A blue light flashed, and a foundation-building monk with a pale face appeared in blue robes. He was the leader of Baiheman, Linghu. Elder Tianqing immediately told the story about Fang Qing. Hearing this, head Linghu smiled. This boy is lucky, the matter will be revealed tomorrow. What? This news is obviously top secret, even Tianqing only found out about it just now, so he couldn't help but be surprised. Just tomorrow? This is the effect we want. Among the sect, only my ancestor and I know the exact date of the tribulation. Now a few more of you and Wanbao. Remember to adjust your formation to protect several important places. After the leader of Linghu ordered the most important things, he was able to chat. Middle-grade water spirit roots can break through the late stage of chain energy within a few years of entry, which is a bit fast. But who is the true successor of our sect who doesn't have some small opportunities? As long as the sect is strong, they can only contribute to the sect, opportunities, luck, skills. Just like hundreds of rivers converging into the sea, when they converge into this sect, the sea will not spare its water to reach its depth. That's right. Mentioning this, even Elder Tianqing's face glowed a little red. As long as the spirit beasts succeed in crossing the tribulation tomorrow, our Bihai sect can destroy the Zhong family and Tianqin Island, and from then on, we can dominate the world of immortal cultivation in Zio Wanhai. No proud man of heaven can escape the grasp of this sect. I didn't expect to pass the test so easily. Dan Dao. Hongquan Peak is deserted and deserted. Fang Qing glanced at it and returned to his cave. The small mysterious formation is still operating normally, and the spiritual pool is full of water, carrying some water vapor. He sat cross-legged on the futon and exhaled a long breath. Sure enough, the folk customs here on Bu Island are simple and honest. After sighing with emotion, Fang Qing took out another alchemy book and began to read it carefully. After the 7th level of chain energy, when he was practicing, the effect of green spirit water was not very good. If you want to continue to be brave and diligent, you still have to take drugs. It just so happens that he has good spiritual knowledge and can quickly master the 1st level high-grade elixir formula. At this time I was trying to figure out a kind of chain chi powder. It is said that it has a very obvious effect on improving the cultivation of monks in the late stage of chain chi. Well, I have almost mastered these alchemy techniques, isn't it difficult? With the help of his spiritual consciousness, Fang Qing couldn't help but smile when he thought about Fang Qing, who was confused about the elixir recipe at the beginning. I have almost collected the main materials. This is the first time I start the furnace, I am 70% sure. Even so, he did not start immediately, but fell asleep and prepared to watch a good show tomorrow. Just kidding. Tomorrow is the time for the snake to pass through the tribulation. If I make the elixir myself and miss the fun, what if the aftermath is rippled and the elixir fails? Although I have predicted my own safety according to the divination, a slight oversight while refining the elixir may lead to failure, so it is better not to gamble. Is this pill forming? As a standard ant in the world of immortality, after watching the great dramas such as the pill-forming battle and the sea dragon snake crossing the tribulation under the protection of the formation, Fang Qing's heart was burning, and he wished he could go back to practice in seclusion immediately until he built the foundation and formed the pill and came out. But he knew that this was just a beautiful fantasy. There is no foundation establishment pill, so he rushes into foundation establishment? After returning to the cave, Fang Qing began to study the plum blossom and couldn't help but calculate a few divination. Huh? Is Baiheman's luck hidden? There is a sign of great prosperity. He calculated the cause and effect according to the hexagrams, and got a revelation. The outer elixir, the pearl born from the tide? No, we can't go on. After all, it involves the formation of elixirs, which is the 3rd level. Even though there is the status of the pearl born from the Tao, the big difference is too big. It is not easy to update. Remember to share. Quick reading Valley www. SUDUGU. Oh, RG watched the latest 1st chapter. Since his previous experience, he understood the need to fear destiny. After taking a short rest, Fang Qing couldn't help but began to calculate the opportunity for foundation building, especially the location of the foundation building pill. It would be better to have an ownerless one. Then, he calculated it on the head of Elder Tianding. In this plum blossom the first person to be deduced is the person who is causally involved with me. I am a disciple of Dan Island, and it is very reasonable to involve Elder Tianding. Fang Qing calculated the location of the elixir of nodding, but the result was blank. This world of immortality is extremely vast. Even if Xiao Huanhai does not have elixirs, there must be elixirs in the East China Sea. I can't count. The first is that my realm is not enough. And the second is that there is no cause and effect involved. He touched his nose, and at some point, he saw a bright red again. Sure enough, Even here, you can't be unscrupulous. Fang Qing swallowed a healing pill, silently adjusted his breathing, and thought of that red shadow again. He silently calculated the cause and effect of the beads, high-quality water spirit root, the body of Yuanzhu. If the snake in the sea swallowed her, maybe she could survive the 9 heavenly tribulations. It's a pity. Zhangxiu died. Hua Lian actually didn't know the secret of this, he just contacted the Zhong family to make a vote. But unexpectedly interrupted the dragon snake's hope of advancement. Destiny? Wanbao Island, General Affairs Hall. The once deserted palace is extremely lively today. Many disciples looked at the rankings on the battle merit list and shouted, and some even looked at the exchange list and almost drooled. Foundation Establishment Pill. Can you exchange it directly for Foundation Establishment Pill? Fang Qing also glanced at it and nodded secretly. After so many disciples died, it must be meaningful. It is also appropriate to release a few Foundation Establishment Pills. He looked at the battle merit list. This list did not include monks above the Foundation Establishment level, so the first place on the list was Chuizha, the Death Sword. With his military exploits, he should be able to exchange for a Foundation Establishment Pill. If he wins the position of true successor a few years later, he will have 2 opportunities to build the foundation, and he can basically be regarded as a foundation-building monk. This senior brother, are you here to check the contribution points? Fang Qing came to the General Affairs Hall, found the General Affairs disciples, and was immediately warmly received. After all, he is now a late-stage Chain Qi monk, and even among the many Chain Qi in the sect, he is a proven master. Not to mention, A.F. Experiencing a great battle, the monks in the late stage of Chain Qi suffered heavy casualties, and the remaining ones were all ruthless characters. Not bad. Fang Qing handed over his disciple token. Senior brother killed an enemy in the late stage of Chain Energy? The disciple looked it up and glanced at Fang Qing with some admiration. This is a great achievement. According to the latest regulations issued by the sect, 1,000 contribution points can be awarded. In addition, there is the last garrison mission. Although it failed, the basic contribution points were 100. Finally, the war was over and the sect distributed rewards to each disciple. In the late stage of Chain Energy, he can get 500 contribution points. If senior brother wants to exchange items, this is a good opportunity. Fang Qing nodded slightly and looked at the exchange list. The Zhong family retreated and the war ended. The price of magical weapons immediately plummeted. But according to my calculations, there will probably be another war in a few years. Is it possible to hoard a batch first and then sell them after the price surges to make huge profits? Wait a minute. If I still earn spiritual stones by hoarding magic weapons in a few years, wouldn't my past few years have been in vain? He was thinking wildly, but his spiritual consciousness was very useful. He circled many copies of the main ingredients of lianqi powder. Let's change these first. Yes, senior brother. This disciple of the General Affairs Hall was even more respectful when he saw Fang Qing exchanging medicinal ingredients. After all, this is an alchemist. It is also suspected that he can refine first-order high-grade elixirs. On Dan Island, you can just like Wulongzi, recruit a group of middle and low-level disciples to form a small force. It can only be said that Fang Qingji is not here. Wait a minute. I don't know what happened to the Wulongwi group, especially Wulongzi and Suwasu. While Fang Qing was thinking, the disciple on duty had already handed him a storage bag filled with medicinal materials. This senior brother, here are all the things you exchanged. Since the cost is huge, please draw a pledge as proof. Yes. Fang Qing agreed, looked at the disciple holding the account book, and suddenly smiled. Senior brother Hua, junior brother Fang? Hua Lian was equally surprised when he saw Fang Qing. Have you reached the late stage? Yes, there is always some progress during life and death. Fang Qing replied politely. Although he decided to kill the smiling tiger in his heart, he was more polite on the surface. Then I would like to congratulate junior brother, but it's a pity that I waited too late for a breakthrough, otherwise there is hope for a breakthrough in foundation building with this east wind. Hualien sighed a little, although he had used the help of his previous training to secretly trap a group of elite disciples and made a lot of money. But those are spiritual stones and materials. It is impossible to exchange them for contribution points, let alone a foundation building pill. However, based on the contributions of the Hua family on Feiyu Island this time, I believe that the Zhong family will not be stingy with a few foundation-building pills. Perhaps in a few years, he will conduct a major overhaul of the foundation. It happened that an acquaintance was there. Even though Hua Lian was not well-meaning, his attitude had always been good before, so Fang Qing casually asked about the Five Dragons Club. Five Dragons Club, it's really a pity. Hua Lian sighed first, and then said, it is said that this time many frontline Five Dragons members worked together and gave all the contribution points they received to the Five Dragons, which was almost enough to exchange for a foundation establishment pill. It's a pity that there was a big defeat in the sea area, and several Wuya ships were sunk. The members of Wulonghui suffer heavy casualties, but Brother Wulongzi should have returned to the sect smoothly. Fang Qing was silent for a moment, and asked, I wonder how Su Wusu is doing. I came back safely, but my Dantian Qi was damaged, and my cultivation fell to the early stage of Chain Qi. If there is no second-level elixir, I am afraid that it will be difficult to restore cultivation in this life. Hua Lian has obviously seen this kind of thing. Maybe not long after, junior brother Su will retire and return to his hometown, and start spreading his business again. This is how many Qi linking and foundation building families under the sect came to be injured the Qi Si Dantian? Fang Qing was startled. This is an injury that damages the path more than a broken limb, alas. It seems that junior brother Su is destined to suffer this fate. I wonder if senior brother Wulongzi can exchange him for the spiritual elixir. I wonder. The sneer on Hualian's face flashed away. Although the contribution points in Wulongzi's hand are enough to exchange for Su Wusu's second-level spiritual elixir to repair the Dantian, the price is that the contribution in this battle is almost empty. He is just a little short of being able to redeem the foundation establishment pill. Would you like it if it were you? Fang Qing was silent for a long time before speaking. Of course I don't want to, so, Hualian waved his hand. Fang Qing walked out of the General Affairs Hall and looked at the gloomy sky. The disciples around him were either smiling because the war was over, or they were excited about the rare treasures on the exchange list. As for the dead and disabled, no one cares about them. This is the cultivator of immortality. Cultivation is ruthless. Lakeside Villa. I have to say that Baihaman is very realistic. When Su Wusu's cultivation reached the early stage of Chain Qi, and it was even difficult to improve, he asked himself to be demoted to an outer disciple, and the cave owl. So moved to Lakeside Villa. Fang Qing inquired all the way before arriving at Su Wusu's yard. The only good thing about Lakeside Villa is that the cave is big enough. Su Wusu even built a fence in front of his wooden house with some worthless spiritual grass planted inside. Su. Junior brother. When Fang Qing arrived, Su Wusu was watering the spiritual grass. But at this time, Su Wusu who appeared in Fang Qing's eyes had long lost his previous appearance. Not only had his hair turned gray, but he also looked much older. It turns out to be, senior brother Fang. Su Wusu stopped what he was doing and felt the powerful spiritual pressure on Fang Qing. I haven't congratulated you yet for being promoted to the late stage of chain energy, senior brother. Don't be discouraged, the Five Dragons Association will still need you to take care of it in the future. Fang Qing comforted. Haha. Five Dragons Club? There is no longer any Five Dragons Club, Su Wusu smiled bitterly. After the war, the members of the Five Dragons Club suffered heavy casualties, and many survivors quit the club directly after seeing my fate. I must have the same reason for coming here today, right? But I no longer have spiritual stones in my hand. If I want to refund my membership fee, I'm afraid I can't. Under life and death, I can see everything clearly. Wulongzi is not even willing to treat him. Any support and foundation building in the future can only be a joke. Therefore, many Five Dragons members requested the return of the spiritual stones and materials they had raised before. Who made Su Wusu work so hard and call himself the great steward of the Five Dragons Association? They bullied the weak and feared the strong, so naturally they had no choice but to look for him. Junior brother has misunderstood. Fang Qing shook his head. I don't care about some spiritual talents, but... Senior brother Wulongzi, didn't you say anything? Mentioning this, Su Wusu's eyes darkened. He's only thinking about building the foundation now. If the foundation building is successful, he may be able to share some of the benefits with us. If it fails... Haha. Dan Island. Big news. This time the sect released 3 foundation building pills. The first one was undisputedly replaced by Chuizhe. The second one fell into the hands of senior brother Wan Tianshu. The third one was just replaced by Wulongzi. Wulongzi? I remember that his merits were obviously a little worse, and I don't know who he borrowed from. This person has a cold heart. How dare anyone dare to gamble? The sect distributes foundation building pills, and the contribution points are just a mandatory requirement. Do you think the sect will give you a change if we and dozens of disciples work together to get it? To Wulongzi, I naturally think that the other party has hope of building a foundation. On Hanquan Peak, many disciples were using the water method to refine alchemy while chatting casually, and there was no lack of envy and jealousy towards Wulongzi in their tone. Fang Qing doesn't care about this. Although he paid spiritual resources, in his opinion, it was just protection money. The Five Dragons Association collected protection fees, protected him when he was weak, and had many connections and connections. If nothing else, without the Five Dragons Association, the spiritual pool in the cave would not have been established. I haven't heard of anyone getting the protection money back. In other words, when he gave it, he never thought about taking it back. Wulongzi. I wonder if it can be done? After returning to the cave, Fang Qing habitually thought of hexagrams, and then forced himself to endure it, thinking about Hualien, huh? So the sect has been aware of it for a long time and is secretly investigating? Even without me taking action, this person has been covered by the Death Star. Not only will he die, but the entire clan will suffer? Although the matter of being a spy on Feiyu Island is very secretive, as long as anything is done, it will definitely leave traces. Not to mention, Baihaman will not reason with Feiyu Isle. And once there is suspicion, you can immediately kill the family and ransack the house, and then calmly look for evidence. There is one less familiar face. Fang Qing sighed, came to the spirit pool, and started to refine the pill. This time, he did not refine the low-level spiritual water temperature furnace, but directly started to refine the ice soul spiritual water. The method of refining the spiritual water still came from Zhong Wufu, and Baihaman fought with the Zhong family, and a lot of various ice-based spiritual objects were seized. Fang Qing just strolled around the stalls in the General Affairs Hall and collected them easily. The key to refining alchemy with water, the first thing is to refine the spiritual water. The first order ice soul water, the second order ice soul cold light, the third order ice soul mysterious light. I wonder if I can see the true appearance of this famous magical power in the future. This ice soul water is extremely cold in nature, and it is quite effective in crushing medicinal materials and even preserving medicinal properties. A few hours later, Fang Qing looked at the jade bottle in his hand and nodded secretly. The surface of this jade bottle is now covered with a layer of white frost. Obviously, this portion of ice soul spiritual water has been refined. Next, the chain energy dissipation. Fang Qing casually stretched out his finger, and with the use of the water control technique, the ice spirit water was like a cold force, hovering above the spiritual pool. Several portions of the main ingredients of chain chi powder exploded instantly and turned into powder. With the help of divine consciousness and spiritual water, although Fang Qing was refining chain chi powder for the first time, he was lucky and succeeded in the first pool. The quality is slightly inferior to the genuine product. The erysipelas is slightly over the standard. His consciousness swept across the spiritual pool, looking at powder crystals that began to settle at the bottom of the pool, and thought to himself. At the same time, he made seals with both hands and poured mana into the spiritual pool. The water method of elixir refining is slow, but it has an advantage. It can use time to increase the quality of the elixir. For example, this pool of chain chi powder is not so perfect in appearance. As long as it is conceived and raised for a few more days, it should be fine. When it reaches the genuine level, the erysipelas will also be reduced to a reasonable level. If it is a genuine lian chi powder in perfect condition, it may become a high-quality elixir through the water method. A few days later, Fang Qing looked at a genuine chain chi powder in his hand, nodded, and licked it slightly. In an instant, the surging black water magic power in his Dantian Chi Si seemed to be pulled, and began to circulate violently, traveling through the meridians throughout his body. Yes, it is indeed the most suitable elixir for monks in the late stage of chain chi to improve their cultivation. With the help of this elixir, I am confident that I can raise my cultivation to the 9th level of chain chi within 4 or 5 years, and 5 years later, it will be the true inheritance competition. Fang Qing secretly thought to himself, by then, my horse-headed Vajra protector magic skill should be perfect for the first time, comparable to the 2nd level body training. The secret of foundation building lies in the combination of essence, energy, and spirit. Once transformed, I have already developed my spiritual consciousness. If there is a 2nd level of body refining, the level of essence and spirit will never be able to stop me. The requirements are very high. But I can definitely practice the Shuijingzhu to the 9th level of Qi chaining, and then not convert it into Jishui, mana, but store it, and then practice the Guanhailing book to the 9th level of convincing Qi, and then convert it all into Yuan Qi. This is the mana of at least 2 9th levels of chain energy. If you add it up, you should be able to pass the energy barrier, right? It seems that even without the assistance of the foundation building pill, my foundation building success rate will be frighteningly high. But failure to build the foundation will almost result in death due to severed meridians. You can't gamble, at least you have to have a foundation building pill as insurance. You can't continue to break through the foundation building, continue to accumulate Yuan Qi, and become the strongest Qi chain period in history, right? Even if you practice more than a dozen sets of 9-level techniques, the Qi chain period is still not as good as the foundation building period. This is a question of quantitative change and qualitative change. Fang Qing is secretly planning his own foundation building plan. If everything goes well, he can achieve foundation building after the next true inheritance competition. When the time comes, even if that crappy place, forget it, that crappy place has always been unreasonable. I thought foundation building can show off its power, and maybe the Z mansion will come to fry fish. However, even if he knew that ancient Shu was a cesspit and a crappy place, Fang Qing could not give up. After all, the issue of his qualifications is always a pain in his heart. Most monks with mid-level qualifications spend their entire lives in the chi chain stage, with only a slight possibility of breaking through the foundation building. After foundation building, the cultivation level almost stagnated, and 90% of it was stuck at the early stage of foundation building. Without a large amount of resources, Fang Qing felt that forming pills on his own was a bit unrealistic. The resources and skills of ancient Shu are the best medicine to solve this problem. If it weren't for the Book of Guanhailing, he might still be stuck on the threes. Hold of water method alchemy. Without the horse-headed Vitra Dharma protector magic power, there is no way to talk about spiritual consciousness. And Plum Blossom even solved the big problem of one's own safety. So, we still have to go to that poor place. I have an agreement with the old fox on the Great Sun technique. I hope this monster can give me some credit. Also, don't fry my fish. Before the next transaction, you must do a divination and ask about the good or bad luck. It has to be said that Fang Qing has become a little jealous since the last time he was fried by a sloppy Taoist. While Fang Qing was in seclusion and practicing hard. Wanbao Island. Inside a cave. Hualien slowly finished his work and stroked a green jade pendant around his waist. The last harvest was all handed over to my family. According to the agreement, I should be sent a batch of elixirs that can improve my cultivation. As long as there are enough elixirs during the chi chain period, even low-level qualifications can be improved by leaps and bounds. With this help, maybe I can compete for the position of the true successor next time? The sect has obtained a foundation-building pill. If my family supports me with another one, with 2 foundation-building pills, I will definitely be able to successfully build the foundation. He was thinking about a bright future when his expression suddenly changed. Boom! The cave trembled, and a curtain of light was broken. Crash! Lots of gravel flying. Who dares to attack my cave? Hualien quickly took out a tortoise-shell shield to protect himself, with a hint of fear in his voice. The only ones who dare to forcibly break through the caves of the inner disciples in the sect, Tianqing Island, Punishment Hall, Cuizhe. A sword light flew out, not very blazing, but with the awe-inspiring meaning of destroying all laws. Just one strike of the sword caused the tortoise-shell shield, a high-grade magic weapon, to be shattered into pieces. A terrifying strong wind followed, causing Hualien to vomit blood, and his whole body was stuck to the wall like a painting. Is it senior brother Cui? No. Uncle Cui? The foundation building was successful? Why did you come to arrest the disciple? The disciple was wronged. With a trace of luck in his heart, Hualien immediately shouted. It's useless, all the members of the Hua family in the sect have been captured at this time, and not a single transmission note can be sent out. Cuizhe looks very young, with a slightly pointed chin, bright eyes, and a cynical smile at the corner of his mouth. You Feiyu Island dare to seek refuge with the Zhong family, leak the secrets of the sect, are you prepared to have the entire clan killed? Hualien's face changed horribly. How did you find out? At this point, it's useless for him to argue. Speaking of which, you still have a flaw here. The smile on Cuizhe's lips became more and more weird. Impossible. I asked myself and there is no flaw at all. Hualien's pupils tightened. If it was leaked because of him, his Taoist heart would collapse. After all, he asked himself to be cautious and should not leave any clues. Haha, you asked, do I have to tell you? Cuizhe sneered, and a sword light suddenly appeared. Hualien's head flew out, and blood surged like a fountain. After doing all this, Jizhe walked out of the cave and met Elder Tianqing. Obviously, everything that happened just now was under the consciousness of this late-stage foundation-building monk. Elder, everything has been taken care of, Cuizhe saluted respectfully. Well, then we will issue the island killing order and destroy the Hua family on Feiyu Island, Elder Tianqing said expressionlessly. The ancestor of the Hua family has been practicing hard for many years, and is still in the early stage of foundation building. It is just in time for you to test the sword. I will personally hold the battle for you, thank you. Elder. Cuizhe saluted respectfully, with a hint of eagerness to try in his eyes. As a sword cultivator, I prefer fighting skills and look for opportunities for breakthroughs in my cultivation. Inside the cave. Fang Qing transformed the magic power of Ji Shui, activated the Book of Guanhailing, and began to attack the bottleneck of the 7th level of Convince. After a long time, he let out a long breath, failed. Although the ancient Shu's skills are extremely exquisite, they have higher requirements for Daoshengzhu. He had only vaguely sensed the existence of this barrier before, but this time he made it clearer. Even if my current amount of Yuan Qi is enough to compare with the 7th level of Convinced Qi after transformation. But if I don't have enough Taoism, will a forceful attack only cause serious injury to myself? If you want to increase your Taoist practice, you naturally need to read more Taoist books and understand the Tao more, even, act according to your destiny? Like Li Rulong, he acted completely according to his destiny. Now his luck is in full swing, and his Taoism is as if it is poured into him for free, which really makes Fang Qing a little envious. It's just that if you ask him to follow suit, he won't be able to learn. What's more, his, Jishui, destiny is not the same as Li Rulong's. If he were to fight for hegemony, it would definitely not benefit his family at all. Forget it, let's get certified as a first-level high-grade alchemist first. Fang Qing got up and headed to the alchemy palace. He wants to prove step by step that he is a genius in water method alchemy, and prepare for the battle between the true disciples of alchemy in a few years. Only those who have been promoted to the first-level high-level alchemy master are qualified to consult the second-level alchemy book of our sect, and use contribution points to exchange various alchemy books for inheritance. I have the help of divine consciousness, and my magic power has broken through the late stage of qi refining. Theoretically, I can try to refine the second-level elixir, but, if it fails, the loss will be staggering. In addition, if you want to refine the second-order elixir, it is best to rent a second-order spiritual pool. Even if I add spiritual stones to the spiritual pool in my cave, it can only be of the first-order high grade at most. It is not impossible to use it to refine the second-order elixir, but there are some obstacles. When refining the elixir, this may be missing, resulting in failure. As for the potential vigilance and suppression of opponents after certification, Fang Qing has already done divination, and it turns out that the good luck outweighs the bad luck, so he did this. Dan Palace. The temple is simple and unsophisticated, with a faint aroma of red incense. Junior brother Fang? Hualingsu, who was on duty in the Dan Palace today, looked shocked when he saw Fang Qing. Although I have heard about it a long time ago, I haven't congratulated junior brother for being promoted to the late stage of qi refining, and he can be regarded as the core of my Dandao lineage. It's just a coincidence, a lucky breakthrough between life and death. Fang Qing seemed very polite. However, his cultivation in the later stage of qi refining is indeed second to none on Dan Island today. In fact, even if they want to become apprentices, those second-level alchemists may accept them directly. After all, foundation-building monks have to focus on alchemy and cultivation. If they have one or two capable disciples under their command, they will naturally be of great use. I wonder why junior brother came here. Hualingsu asked. I came here to verify the first-level high-grade alchemy master, Fang Qing replied with a faint smile. First-class high-grade alchemist? Hualingsu was startled, and then a strong look of surprise appeared on his face. You didn't expect that junior brother has such a talent in the alchemy way? Just according to the rules, to be certified as a high-grade alchemist, you still need to after the assessment, a second-level alchemy master will be invited to watch. The junior brother needs to refine 3 different first-level high-quality elixirs in succession. Of course, this is the fee required for certification. Fang Qing handed a bag of spirit stones to Hualingsu. If you want to ask a second-level alchemist to certify you, and there are many alchemy consumables, it is naturally impossible for the sect to provide them to you, otherwise some middle-level alchemists will take advantage of the loopholes. Okay. Hualingsu accepted the spirit stone and gave a certificate. This matter also depends on which second-level alchemist is available. Usually it takes 1 to several months to wait, and there was some hesitation on her face, but she still said, there is another explanation in this. If the promoted first-level high-level alchemist has not been a disciple before, this certified second-level alchemist will, there is a half-master friendship. If you ask to become a disciple, the other party is very likely to agree. Therefore, the choice is very important, junior brother. Do you want to invite my master Fuyunzi to come? My master is very generous and likes talents. I am afraid of delaying master Fuyunzi's practice, so it is better to follow the sect's rules. Fang Qing smiled slightly and did not accept it. I missed it after all. Hualingsu felt sad, and thought about the fallen Zhu and Liusu. Her face was a little gloomy. At this moment, the melodious sound of bells came to their ears. The sound of the bell is loud and has a hint of solemnity. 6th ringing of the Zoman's God-shocking bell? When the bell ended, Fang Qing murmured, something big happened? He and Hualingsu flew out of the alchemy palace, and saw the 5-toothed ships gathering one after another, with the spiritual patterns shining on them, carrying strong spiritual pressure. On the deck, there are disciples with profound auras. The leader has great magical power and has obviously established a foundation. His eyes are as sharp as S. Words and his chin is slightly pointed. It's Tuizha. He has succeeded in building the foundation? Hualingsu was shocked. The punishing evil palace has mobilized on a large scale, and I don't know which family they want to kill. The disciples of the entire sect have not been mobilized, so it is obvious that they are not going to war with the core formation forces. That is the foundation building forces. Fang Qing seemed to be analyzing, and he was already sure in his heart, Feiyu Island is going to be unlucky. The evil punishment palace is out in force, and it will definitely be difficult for a mere foundation building force to resist. Unfortunately, as a disciple of Dan Island, it is not customary to be recruited to fight, but this is a great opportunity for looting. After the first level high-level alchemy master certification, the next step is to try to refine the second level elixir. This is a gold-swallowing beast. Wait a minute. If the sect doesn't take me, I can go by myself. Feiyu Island is a foundation-building force, there is no chance of any fish slipping through the net. What's more, if we can cultivate foundation-building monks stably, there must be opportunities for foundation building. For foundation-building opportunities, foundation-building pills are the best, but there are also other spiritual objects that can also assist in foundation building. With a thought in his mind, he started running plum blossom changes. Hualien was deeply involved with him, but this time the hexagram was easily interpreted. The benefit is in the southeast, good luck. Feiyu Island. This island is shaped like a flying fish, with a protruding peak on it, covered with mulberry trees, and occasionally crouching silkworms can be seen climbing on it. This spiritual silkworm can spin flying dragon silk, and the flying dragon robe it makes is famous in the world of Zaya Wanhai immortal cultivation. In addition, fisheries have been artificially open in many sea areas near the islands to raise BAME fish. These Filongsi and Bamuyu are the two main pillars of the Hua family's income. Ancestor, this season there is a disease in the spiritual silkworms, and the silk production has been reduced. Fortunately, the spiritual beast masters supported by the Zhong family have eliminated the pests, and it is expected that the original output can be restored next year. Hua Zhongxing, the head of the Hua family, respectfully reported to his foundation-building ancestor, Hua Tianfeng. Hua Tianfeng has a majestic appearance, his eyes are like lightning, and he has the image of a heroic figure. In normal times, I am most concerned about this kind of family income and expenditure. But today, he seemed a little absent-minded. Zonger, I don't know why. I had a whim today, and I feel a bit ominous. Hua Tianfeng suddenly waved his hand. How is your contact with there? Remember to clear up your connections. Please rest assured, ancestor. Hua Zong glanced at the surrounding formations and the talismans to prevent eavesdropping, and his voice lowered unconsciously. This kind of thing happens in the family. Only a few people know. The last time the Zhong family contacted me, they said that my family has great merits. Recently, Taibai Island is refining several batches of foundation-building pills to reward meritorious ministers, including one of my family's. After all, I destroyed the mixed sea dragon snake, which is a third-level spiritual pet. Hua Tianfeng sneered, and then said, if it weren't for the fact that the evil acupuncture point of my family has begun to weaken and the output is insufficient, we wouldn't have taken such a risk. The Hua family also has an evil hole on Feiyu Island. Every 100 years, a Xianfeng evil can be obtained. This evil energy can increase mana and can be regarded as a foundation-building spiritual object. It is the foundation of the Hua family. Coupled with foundation-building opportunities collected from other channels, it can barely guarantee that the Hua family's foundation building will last for generations. But more than 30 years ago, bad news suddenly broke out on Feiyu Island. For some unknown reason, the production of evil energy in the Xianfeng evil point was greatly reduced. It was originally estimated that one Xianfeng evil could be obtained every 100 years, but it may take 200, or even 300 to 500 years to obtain one. The Hua family was forced to find another way to make a living, so they hooked up with the Zhong family. Among all the opportunities for foundation building, the foundation building pill is the best. I will cultivate the few foundation building seeds of my family, and I hope that I can have one more foundation building person. Hua Tianfeng thought for a while. This time, the disciples of my family in the sect are indispensable. Now that we have the foundation-building pill, then the 3 ice heart veins protecting pills traded from the Zhong family can be given to them as appropriate. This ice heart veins protecting pills is a second-level elixir special to the Zhong family. It uses century ice soul as the main ingredient. It can greatly enhance the toughness of the meridians and protect the monk's dantian. It is also a magical elixir that assists in building foundations. Unfortunately, it has no effect on regulating the 3 treasures of the monk's spirit, energy, and spirit. It only increases the chance of foundation building by 10% at most. Well, among the sects, I think Lianer from the 3rd room is pretty good. He has also reached the late stage of qi refining, which is enough to. Before Hua Zong finished speaking, the ground shook. He looked up in shock and found that his ancestor's face had become extremely ugly. In my ears, a young but majestic voice came, there is an order from Baihaman. The Hua family has colluded with foreign enum. Yes, and the crime cannot be forgiven. The entire family should be punished as a warning to others. In the sky, several more airships appeared at some unknown time, and with a sense of oppressing all living beings, they crashed into the Feiyu Island formation. As the family's home base, the Hua family spent a lot of money early on to build the 4 directions Tianshui formation to protect the island. This formation is ranked 2nd level mid-level. Even if the monks attack in the late stage of foundation building, it can withstand for a while. But at this time, under the large-scale war weapon of the Jidon sect, the five-toothed ship, it was as fragile as tissue paper and could be easily torn. At the collision angle of the ship, a flash of lightning flashed like a sharp wedge, rushing straight into the formation. Endless water waves, flying arrows, and hailstones hit the ship, but they were all blocked by a layer of colorful shields and could not harm the monks on the deck at all. Not bad, not bad. Our five-toothed ship, combined with the breaking thunder cone, is enough to defeat the second-level mid-level formation. Even the second-level high-level formation can disrupt its operation and freeze for a moment. Chuizha couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction when he saw the scene. The five-toothed ship of Baihaman is a powerful weapon for destroying all the foundation-building forces on the sea. Yes. The moment they saw the five-toothed ship flying the flag of Baihaman charging into the Tianshui formation in all directions with a rampaging and arrogant attitude, the entire Feiyu Island began to commotion. Countless Chinese monks showed panic and despair on their faces. As for the spiritual farmers, mulberry farmers, fishermen, and guest officials employed by the Hua family, they hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed, "We are willing to surrender. Your Majesty, we have nothing to do with the Hua family. There are a few bold stragglers who can't wait to attack the old residents of the Hua family in order to make a lot of money and prove their innocence. Humph, I don't know how to live or die. How dare you pick up something cheap from me?" Hua Tianfeng raised his hand, and a spiritual weapon in the shape of golden scissors appeared. The huge shadow just twisted and cut off the rebel cultivators. The casual cultivator who was cut in half survived for a while and fell to the ground wailing, which was enough to make people's skin crawl. After casually dealing with these casual cultivators, Hua Tianfeng looked at the five-toothed ship that had rushed to the entrance of the formation. Hua Tianfeng's face couldn't help but be full of despair. "The matter is leaked, comma?" 9. He looked at Hua Zong next to him, and secretly transmitted the message with his spiritual consciousness. "This must be the secret communication between my family and the Zhong family. There is no room for change. You and I are both here. Those who are on Baihaman's must-kill list, and those who cannot escape, immediately let a few foundation-building seeds from the family fly away with their storage bags. Send the signal, and we will secretly send the clan members to Tianjin Lianlian Island to remain anonymous. Baihaman will not be destroyed, and they must no longer be named Hua." Seeing Hua Zong agree, Hua Tianfeng laughed and pointed. The golden scissor weapon suddenly shined brightly, like two golden snakes, hugging him and flying into the air. "I am Hua Tianfeng, the ancestor of the Hua family, who will take my head. I will do it." Chuizha and sword merged into one, turning into a green sword light, facing the two golden snakes. The foundation-building battle is about to begin. More law enforcement disciples from the punishment hall flew down to the spirit boat with expressionless faces and began to sweep away the Hua family members on the island. Pay attention to them all, don't let anyone go. Many of the law enforcement disciples are in the late stage of qi refining, and have practiced exquisite techniques and have rich experience in fighting. It is difficult for the Hua family monks to compete. Even several of the qi refining Dzogchen cultivators looked at each other and rushed directly to the Hua family crypt. Obviously, Xian Fengsha has been coveting it for a long time. Every time a sect destroys the foundation building forces, it is the best opportunity for these law enforcement disciples to make a fortune. The southeastern waters of Feiyu Island. The autumn air is crisp and the sea breeze is slightly cool. A small boat drifted with the current. Fang Qing was lying on the deck with his legs crossed and a fishing rod at his hand. Crash! Suddenly, the sea surface broke open, and a stupid big herring was thrown onto the deck by him, its tail still flapping. "Haha. I took the bait." Fang Qing laughed and suddenly kicked the big herring back into the sea. He stepped on the black ice wheel and headed towards the sky. In the direction of Fang Qing's flight, there was a Chinese monk covered in blood, running away in panic. This monk from the Hua family has ordinary facial features. He is the kind who cannot be distinguished among the crowd. He does not have any unique temperament, but his cultivation can reach the 7th level of qi refining. When he saw the Xianbing wheel at Fang Qing's feet, his eyes lit up. "But the Zhong family monk? I am a member of the Hua family, please save me quickly." Boom. Before he finished speaking, Fang Qing visualized the horse-headed Vajra protector, and his spiritual consciousness turned into a demon-subduing Vajra, directly blasting into his sea of consciousness. The monk immediately felt a splitting headache. Before he could activate a talisman in his hand, he saw a fist enlarging in front of his eyes. Bang! The magical power of the Great Vajra was activated, and Fang Qing smashed a black iron shield with one punch, landing on the monk's head. On the surface, they are shouting affectionately, but isn't there a talisman hidden secretly? Good guy, or a second-order talisman? Even if I survive until death, I will still shed my skin. He stretched out his hand, took the talisman from the Hua family monk's hand, and secretly complained, "You identify me as a Zhong family member based on a Zuanbinglan flying magic weapon. Are you stupid or am I? My Bihai sect has been fighting with the Zhong family for so long, how could it be possible that the ice attribute weapon has not been seized? It's obvious that you were trying to bluff me." A moment later, a headless corpse fell into the sea, and Fang Qing quickly moved away from the place with a storage bag. What a great harvest. With the help of his divine consciousness, he easily destroyed the mana imprint in the storage bag. When his spiritual consciousness penetrated into it, the first thing Fang Qing was surprised was the capacity of this storage bag. Ordinary storage bags are just like having an extra suitcase with you. This storage bag is obviously specially made. Not only does it have complex patterns on the surface, but the interior space is as big as a room. In the far corner of the room, there is a pile of spiritual stones, most of which are low-grade, with a few medium-grade stones occasionally, estimated to be more than 4,000. In addition, there are pieces of silk and satin woven with Filong silk. At some immense, this may be hard currency that is more valuable than spiritual stones. In addition, there are many high-quality magical instruments, high-level talismans, elixirs, books, and a light flashed in Fang Qing's hand, and a white jade bottle appeared. When you uncork the bottle, you can see one of the snow-white elixirs. There is a spiritual pattern on the surface of the elixir, and a sense of coldness spreads instantly. Spirit pattern? Second-level elixir? According to the elixir book I have read, it should be the Bingxin Pulse Protection Pill. This is an elixir that can assist in foundation building. It is also a specialty of the Zhong family. Sure enough, this family, when the clan was destroyed, the foundation seed that escaped with the information was just one word: fat. This is just one of them. What if we catch the other branches, or even the branches that were arranged before? Fang Qing shook his head and laughed at himself for being greedy. A matter as big as the destruction of the Hua family on Feiyu Island will definitely attract attention from all parties. What if all of them were intercepted by me? Everyone who goes up to the poor blue and falls to the underworld will be found. With these gains, plus the second-level talisman, it is enough. He was not greedy and fled directly to the sect. While flying, he fumbled for the second-level talisman in his hand. Obviously, the Hua family monk did not believe that he was a member of the Zhong family before. What he said was just to attract him closer, and then use this trump card to give him a hard blow. But they didn't know that Fang Qing was more sinister. When they met, he greeted him with his spiritual consciousness and secret skills, and then killed him with one blow, without giving him any chance to activate the talisman. At this time, touching the second-level talisman, Fang Qing felt that his previous behavior was very correct. Second level, Skyfrost Iceblade Talisman? AF. Using it, not only will there be severe cold air to freeze the surrounding area, but also 3 ice blades will be summoned to split everything in front. Fang Qing just injected a little bit of mana and tried to activate it, but he felt as if there was a vortex in the talisman, sucking most of his mana into it. Sure enough, for SG refining monks, the second-level talisman is still too much. The mana consumed is not unbearable even in the later stages of chi refining. What's more important is that after using it, there is a sense of indifference between friend and foe. Without divine consciousness, I am afraid it will be difficult to control the specific direction of the 3 ice blades, and we will have to rely on fate. Why did the Hua family monks use it before, and it was more like a method of perishing together? That's right, he has already run out of gas after escaping numerous pursuits, right? This Skyfrost Iceblade Talisman is probably the final trump card. I can't fall into this situation, I should take a warning. By Heyman. The resources I obtained this time are enough for me to try to refine the second-level elixir dozens of times, but the source cannot be explained, and I have to act in secret. It is best to use my own spiritual pawn to refine the elixir. Unfortunately, this is impossible. The second-level spiritual pool is the standard equipment for second-level alchemists, especially the best springs, which have long been occupied by Fu Yunzi and other elders of Qiandan Island. Even an ordinary second-level low-grade spiritual pool requires at least a first-level high-grade alchemist to be eligible to apply for use. It would be great if the spiritual pool in my cave was a second-order spiritual pool. Unfortunately, this requires a second-order Earth Master and an Array Master. With my current connections, I simply cannot recruit them. So, is it best to be certified as a first-level high-grade alchemist and then apply? Fang Qing returned to his cave and saw a transmission note flying around. He pinched it casually, and Hua Lingsu's voice came to his ears. Junior brother Fang, the assessment of the first-level high-grade alchemist has been arranged. Please come to the alchemy hall in half a month. Oh? The assessment of the first-level high-grade alchemist. Is it about to start? Fang Qing was slightly looking forward to it. I don't know which proctor will be assigned to me. In fact, at his current level, the chance of failure in refining a first-level high-grade elixir is infinitely close to 0. Half a month later. Damn palace. You want to take the first level alchemy exam? Not bad. Our alchemy island is full of talented people. An old man with white hair and ebony hairpins looked at Fang Qing. Fang Qing, I have met Elder Han. Fang Qing saluted. He had also met this elder when he went to the alchemy terrace to attend classes. It is said that he is a second-level mid-level alchemist with extraordinary alchemy skills. Well, to be promoted to a first-level high-level alchemist, you need to refine 3 different first-level high-level elixirs. You have 3 chances for each elixir. Elder Han waved his hand and handed a storage bag to Fang Qing. Follow me. Fang Qing followed Han Changlong all the way to the halfway point of Hongquan Peak. This place is shrouded in clouds and fog all year round and is blocked by formations. When Elder Han took out the Elder Token and pinched a magic formula, a thick fog dispersed, revealing a spiritual spring. Second order low-grade, cold marrow spring, you can use it at will, for 1 month, how about it? Elder Han asked casually. Yes. Fang Qing stirred up a stream of water, felt its water properties, and nodded slightly. Junior wants to refine the Qi Lian powder, Qi replenishing pill, rejuvenation pill. He looked at the surroundings covered by thick fog. Standing up in the environment, he secretly praised, if I can rent SUC. H a second-level spiritual spring in the future, and it is protected by a formation, it won't be too bad, but in the next moment, Fang Qing was thoughtful, took out a Qi refining flour, the main material of Qi refining powder, and threw it into the cold marrow spring. Yes. His skills are experienced, and he has practiced the water control technique well. He actually smashed the Qi refining flour into pieces in an instant. He has completely controlled this second-level spiritual spring. Next to him, Elder Han watched Fang Qing take action and his alchemy skills were extremely smooth, and couldn't help but secretly nodded. A few days later, Fang Qing made a hand seal and a portion of Qi Lian powder came out of the pool. Not bad, not bad. Elder Han took it and took a slight sniff. The various main materials are perfectly blended, and it is undoubtedly authentic. Thank you, Elder, for your comment. Fang Qing adjusted his breath and began to refine the Qi building pill again. He has also studied this recipe and even used it several times, so he is quite confident. Even so, despite deliberately hiding his spiritual consciousness and not using it, he still failed in the first pool. I have spiritual consciousness during my Qi refining period, which is a sign of genius, but Mu Shouyu Lin doesn't have much power, so it's better to hide it. The fastest in front of the Foundation establishment elder, as long as I don't use my consciousness, he will not take the initiative to break into my consciousness and discover this secret. Because of this, I can also cover up my alchemy skills, from the original outstanding to passable. Fang Qing, neither arrogant nor impatient, drained a pool of wastewater and continued to pour in the main ingredients. Huh? Seeing this scene, Elder Han felt a little pity for the talent in his heart. He has seen a lot of alchemy geniuses. Maybe everything goes smoothly when things go well, but it is hard to say how he will behave when faced with adversity. This disciple named Fang Qing, even if he refines a whole pond, he still remains calm and calm. At least he has a calm mind and is comparable to a first-class alchemist. Fang Qing had no idea that Elder Han had put so much thought into inning the Qi building pill smoothly. Then he started refining the returning pill. This pill is a first-grade high-grade healing pill. Although it does not have the effect of the living dead and flesh-white bones like the second-grade muscle-regenerating pill, a seriously injured Qi refining monk can still greatly reduce his injuries if he swallows one pill. However, the difficulty of refining this elixir has obviously increased. Fang Qing was almost able to refine 2 pools of spiritual materials, and then he reluctantly made a seal with his hands, causing a red pill to fly out of the spiritual pool. Not bad. Your name is Fang Qing, right? The water control technique is already outstanding at your age. Elder Han took the elixir and tasted it. It's a pity, many alchemy techniques are just learned from books, and I don't know how to apply them. Sometimes, a few words from the teacher can save the disciples a lot of hard work. He admired it for a long time and waited for Fang Qing to become his disciple. Who knows that Fang Qing didn't seem to understand the implications or even the explicit instructions at all, and just listened respectfully. That's it, after all, there is no fate between master and disciple. Elder Han sighed and waved his hand to open the formation. Go to the Alchemy Palace. You have now been promoted to the first-level high-grade alchemy master, and you can be regarded as the core disciple of the sect. You can check out some second-level alchemy formulas, alchemy scriptures, and even rent the second-level spiritual pool. Thank you, Elder, for the advice. Fang Qing showed gratitude and followed Elder Han to the Alchemy Palace, disciple token. Congratulations to junior brother, for being promoted to a first-level alchemy master. Hualingsu congratulated with a spring breeze on his face. With my talent, I will be able to refine a second-level elixir soon, and be promoted to a quasi-second-level alchemy master, and then a true second. D-level alchemy master. To become a second-level alchemy master, you need to refine at least 3 different second-level elixirs. If you can only refine 1 or 2 kinds, you can only call it quasi-second level in the sect. Of course, among the casual cultivators outside, he is a proper second-level alchemy master. After hearing this, Elder Han next to him curled his lips slightly. A first-level alchemist can easily be promoted to the top level as long as he is willing to spend resources. But want to break through to the second level? How difficult would it be without the help of divine consciousness? He still knows. If Fang Qing was his disciple, he would definitely tell him not to be arrogant. Now? Forget it, it's finally decided. We can check the recipe first and then collect the materials. By the way, I rented a second-level spiritual pool, it just takes a little longer. It gives the impression that I have been saving for a long time and finally gathered a set of materials to give it a try. In fact, I prepared 8 out of 10 and broke through to the second-level alchemy master in one fell swoop. Fang Qing took over his identity token and felt a surge of pride in his heart. But the next moment, a strange fluctuation of spiritual power came. Huh? Elder Han was the first to sense it and turned into a stream of light and flew out of the alchemy palace. Fang Qing and Hualingsu together saw spiritual energy suddenly gathering like clouds above a cave in Dan Island, forming a huge whirlpool. The whirlpool was like a funnel, wildly devouring the surrounding spiritual energy and sinking into the cave. What follows is a wave of mana that far exceeds the chi refining period. Build the foundation. Are the disciples from this island attacking the foundation? Elder Han was well informed, stroking his beard and smiling. Now it seems that both the Jingyuan Pass and the Qiyuan Pass have been crossed, so that such a celestial phenomenon can be formed. Next, as long as he transforms into spiritual consciousness and crosses the Xinyuan Pass, this island will have another comrade. Look at the location of the cave, it belongs to senior brother Wu Longzi. Hualingsu watched for a while, then suddenly spoke, looking at Fang Qing with a strange expression. Fang Qing didn't think much about it. He had never seen a monk attack the foundation before, so he observed with interest. Well, this breakthrough in Qi refining Dao is not small, but it doesn't seem to be convinced by the mystery of Qi Dao. At least he has also seen the snake in the sea crossing the tribulation. The momentum is huge. But to say that it would spread to a whole county, or even manifest strange phenomena, or hinder other fire attribute monks' breakthroughs in their skills, is completely impossible. From this point of view, the pill-forming monks of Qi refining Dao will probably be inferior to the Zifu who obeys Qi Dao. At this time, many disciples were already surrounding outside Wulongzi cave mansion, and they were all pointing. I heard that Uncle Chuizhe had successfully built the foundation a long time ago, successfully got out of seclusion, and even followed orders to kill Hua Tianfeng, the founder of the Hua family's foundation, and return. He is a peerless swordsman genius. In comparison, the other senior brother Wan seems to have failed to break through. Now, it depends on Wu Longzi. The monks are very patient, and everyone has been waiting all day and night. Suddenly, the spiritual energy vortex trembled, and a long sigh came from the cave. The whirlpool of spiritual energy in midair collapsed and dispersed into colorful light spots all over the sky, flying into the surrounding void and disappearing. 5 dragon sons failed to build the foundation? That's right, there is only a 30% chance of a genuine foundation building pill. The onlookers' disciples were either regretful or gloating. Fang Qing, however, looked serious. When he saw several foundation-building elders flying out the transmission notes, the cave opened, and Wu Longzi, who looked pale and his clothes were stained with blood, came out and received treatment. Very good. It seems that the foundation establishment pill can protect you from death if the foundation establishment fails, and it has a good effect. The 5 dragons have completed most of their foundation building, and they actually fell at the gate of spiritual consciousness? As soon as he thought of this, Fang Qing knew how amazing his own Hayatavajra Dharma protector magic art and Mingxian powder were. Late night. Many disciples of Dan Island are still excited about the failure of Wu Longzi to build the foundation. In comparison, the news that Fang Qing was promoted to a first-level high-grade alchemist seemed completely unimportant. After all, Wu Longzi has already been a top-grade alchemist or something. In the cave, Fang Qing is copying the Alchemy Sutra. The Hua family is worthy of being a foundation-building family. They have collected quite a lot of alchemy prescriptions, including the second-level, strengthening and bone-regenerating pills, which saves me a lot of contribution points from Tianshu Pavilion to transcribe the alchemy prescriptions. Although after being promoted to the first-level high-grade alchemy master, you have the authority to view the alchemy scriptures and copy the alchemy prescriptions, but these require contribution points. Fortunately, Fang Qing killed the Hua family monks before and seized many Hua family books. The main ingredients of this muscle-producing and bone-resisting pill are muscle-producing flowers and bone-resisting grasses. Each is worth about 100 spirit stones, plus other auxiliary materials, a set of hundreds of spirit stones. If it is refined a few more times and thousands of spirit stones are broken, even a foundation-building monk will be in pain, right? Fang Qing secretly sighed. After copying the recipe, he took out a bottle of fruit wine, placed several plates of delicious food, and began to satisfy his appetite. While eating food and drinking, I also read the miscellaneous books I got from the Hua family. After refining qi and building the foundation, it is time to form pills, yuanying, and transform into gods. After the transformation into gods is completed, can you ascend to the immortal world? In a monk's experience, Fang Qing saw several great realms of qi refining, and he couldn't help but yearn for them. I wonder how powerful yuanying and soul transformation are. Ascension? Is it possible to go to the immortal world? But it is true that there was a person who was able to ascend in the world of immortality in the East China Sea about 10,000 years ago. He continued to read the next travel journal and found that it was the diary of an ancestor of the Hua family. A serious person, who keeps a diary. Fang Qing glanced at it for a few times, but became interested. After all, this involves various forces in Zhao Wanhai, as well as local customs. Suddenly, he drank a glass of wine and saw a sentence. I heard that the founder of Bihai sect, Master Bihai, had a precious tideborne pearl in his hand, which could enable the foundation-building monks to gain the power of forming pills, but it was later lost. What a blessing! The writing was full of gloating. Tidal pearl. Fang Qing looked gloomy, thinking of the tips he got from the last divination, external elixir method, tidal pearl? So that's it, I understand. The so-called tidal pearl requires a third-level demon elixir. Can it be refined by external elixir method? It seems that the ancestor of the Hua family only knows about this treasure, but does not know its origin or the main materials for refining. Otherwise, how can the Zhong family and Tianqin Island sit still now? He remembered clearly that the previous mixed sea snake must have condensed the third-level demon elixir, otherwise it would not have caused the catastrophe. And this snake belongs to water, which matches well with Baihaman's Bihai Gong attribute. The alchemy monks can use magic weapons, and their fighting skills are exquisite, and they may even surpass the third-level monsters. Soon, the sect will have two major alchemy fighting forces. As long as they find an opportunity to ambush the ancestors of the Zhong family or Yuyao Sanren, the whole Zhao Wanhai will be determined immediately. Fang Qing secretly grasped the context of Baihaman's great prosperity, and he was even more happy that his cultivation in Plum Blossom E was further improved. If you want to interpret the hexagrams in more detail, you need more clues, but, can the tidal bead refined by the third-level peak demon elixir in the hands of Patriarch Bihai have the same effect as the tidal bead refined by the third-level demon elixir for the first time? Yes. The land of ancient Shu. Sure enough, it's just a cesspool of heavenly secrets. Fang Qing, who traveled through time again, frowned and checked his own magical weapons one by one. The most important thing is the second-level Skyfrost Iceblade Talisman. With his current mana, plus the assistance of his spiritual consciousness, his power is definitely far superior to that of the Hua family monks, and he can even control a little direction so as not to accidentally injure himself. I don't know what kind of power this talisman, which is equivalent to a full blow of a foundation-building monk, has here. Brother Daoji strikes with all his strength? Or just a casual blow? Or slightly worse? When he came here, he naturally received the signal from the old fox in Luofeng Mountain, Dark Shuzi, confirming that the transaction was possible. For the Great Sun Purple Chi technique, I had to come here. It is a pity that the secrets of ancient Shu are confused. Even if Fang Qing has a way to produce pearls, he can only barely calculate his own good or bad luck. And this operation, according to the Plum Blossom divination, is the good fortune hides the evil hides the good fortune. Fang Qing interpreted it for a long time and felt that everything was fine from beginning to end and it should be a false alarm, so the transaction should continue. MIT's just that the equipment needs to be more complete. The old fox's cultivation level is nothing but convincing. A second-level talisman is enough to kill it. It shouldn't be hiding one's cultivation to fry fish, otherwise the hexagram must be big bad news. That's it, just act according to the situation. At worst, after finishing this job, Fang Shui's identity will no longer be needed, and another identity will be created. Late night. The moon sets and the crows cry, under a dead tree. Fang Qing looked at the lingering old vines and was silent. In the night, a few green fox fires appeared, and then a forest white skull appeared, like a demon walking at night. Looking carefully, I found that it was an old fox with a skull on its head. And Zhuzi, you are finally here, Fang Qing lowered his voice. Forgive me, fellow Taoist, there is some turmoil in Bajuan now, so I'm a little late, and Zhuzi put his two little paws together in a bow, looking very naive. I thought I could see fellow Taoist at that exchange meeting. I knew that there was something wrong with that sloppy Taoist, so what did I do? Looking for death? Fang Qing complained in his heart, but asked, Bajuan, what happened again? It seems that fellow Taoist has been in seclusion before. Needless to say more about the mortal affairs of Bajuan, the practice world has been in chaos again recently. Zhuzi sighed. Oh? Why are you in trouble? Fang Qing saw the old fox pulling around, but in his heart, Mei Huai and Daoshengzhu didn't warn him, so he continued to ask casually. Because, there are people coming up the cliff. And Zhuzi said quietly. What cliff? Fang Qing looked confused. This Bajuan, this land of ancient Shu. Hee, there are so many monks, only Daoji can be considered a strong one, and the Zifu is dominating, and can be called a prince. But Moyun Cliff is this ancient Shu, damn it. No matter how fierce the fight between the Yulin Pu family and the Heiji family is, as long as Zhazhong says something, the two Z families will have to kneel down and obey the order. The old fox said leisurely. The forces above the Z mansion? Fang Qing was extremely surprised, then thought of something, and asked tentatively, could it be similar to Luofeng Mountain where fellow Taoist is located? Hey, it is indeed similar, except that his home is the Taoism passed down by the one above D2. When Zhuzi said this, Fang Qing suddenly sensed all kinds of magic in the void, as if connected with an omnipresent and ethereal fruit position, and the shadows of various plagues and insects emerged. Just mentioning it, there is such a performance, he was awe-inspiring in his heart, and deliberately said, so Moyunya is actually the Taoism left by a great power like Ji Sui? No. The person who ascended the gold position is for the true lord of Jingdan, but not all true lords of Jingdan are the same. Zui Sui, and Zhuzi shook his head quickly, Zui Sui, controls the image of the month, and is theoretically stronger than other Jingdan Zhenjuan, but in fact. I don't know how many times the 12 positions have been rotated now, and how many people are still in the position. Can we lower cultivators talk about this kind of thing? Fang Qing's scalp was numb, fearing that thunder would strike at the next moment. But, is there a golden elixir above Z Mansion? This is obviously completely different from the ancestor of the pill formation. It may even be much stronger than the nascent soul of the Qi refining Dao. Okay, let's get back to the original point. People coming from the cliff, the Pu family and the Black Sect will most likely not be able to fight, but before they can be calmed down, there will be more chaos. The old fox seemed to have thought of something, and covered his mouth. Is Li Rulong about to be harvested? For some reason, Fang Qing had already seen many familiar people fall on the road to immortality. Jia Zhu, Hu Tianhua, Li Yusu, Hualian, but now that I think that Li Rulong is about to reach a dead end, I still feel very emotional. Okay, let's get down to business. Where's the great Sun Kung Fu? Ever since he knew that the sloppy Taoist was suspected of being a Zifu, Fang Qing regretted asking about the Kung Fu at the previous exchange meeting. But time cannot be turned back. Later, the sloppy Taoist changed his gaze, and that was it. Kung Fu. The old fox got the task last time, but he rushed back to Luofeng Mountain overnight and browsed through the Longhuan bookstore, and found 3 volumes for fellow Taoist. The 3 Great Sun Taoist Techniques. When he mentioned this, the old fox suddenly became excited, and the beard on his mouth curled up. It spread its paws and opened 3 books one after another, like a fan. This scene had a sense of déjà vu, and Fang Qing could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. And when he saw the names of the 3 exercises, he almost lost his expression. The Great Sun Initiation Secret Technique? Are you trying to fool me with the secret realm technique? Can this be practiced by humans? Fang Qing was so filled with indignation that he almost grabbed the old fox's neck hair and questioned him. Hey! If you have something to say, this Great Sun Initiation Secret Technique is indeed a good secret realm skill. The old fox's tongue bloomed like a lotus flower. So, if I want to practice this skill, do I have to find a guru for initiation first? Fang Qing sneered. No. The secret realm is the Dashua Mountain Taoism. It is actually divided into 2 types. One kind of disciples do not need to be convinced and rely on the guru to practice. Their lives are completely in the hands of others. It is called the special teaching outside the sect. How great the fortune will be in the future depends on how far the guru can go and whether he is willing to promote. The other one is the best choice. Used true teachings are called personally transmitted secret vehicle disciples in the snowy mountains. Just like me, you also need to be convinced to enter the Tao. With this Great Sun Initiation Secret Technique, you can either find a master who also practices this technique to initiate initiation, or you can take the Great Sun Purple Qi to get started. It turns out that there is such a saying in the Taoist tradition of the secret realm. Fang Qing was doubtful. This secret technique of the Great Sun Initiation is incomplete and only reaches the Taoist base. It was captured by my demon monk after killing A.R. Ed-robed monk in the hidden area. The Qi gathering technique of Great Sun Purple Qi has long been useless. The old fox only used it as a reference for fellow Taoists. It's just a test, the old fox pointed to the second book, this one is different. Even in today's era, you can practice it. Fang Qing looked suspicious, the great joy of the sun, moon, yin and yang? This skill. How do you hear it? Isn't that serious? Hey, this technique is very famous among the demons. It is the introductory skill of Huan sect. As we all know, the big sun can transform the three yangs, Taiyang, Yuanyang, Xiaoyang. The purple energy of the sun has long been cut off, and this sect of magic has found a new way to practice with the man's Yuanyang qi. If you practice this technique, you can condense the true qi of the 7th level or above. There is hope for the Zifu in the future. You can even go directly to the Huan sect's mountain gate to become a disciple. And Zhuzi accidentally revealed some secrets. What are the hidden dangers of this exercise? Fang Qing looked suspicious, and then thought of the sloppy Taoist's previous advice, and suspected that most of the exercises sold by this old fox had problems. Hee. It's not a big deal. This ode to the great joy of the sun, moon and yin and yang involves the secret of the transmutation of yin and yang. What is cultivated is fengri, and the Taoist foundation is walking beside the ground. After getting started, monks can easily transmutation of yin and yang. The old fox looked embarrassed. The transmutation of yin and yang? That is, a man becomes a woman, and a woman becomes a man? What kind of evil skill is this? Fang Qing opened his mouth wide. Originally, he thought that the secret realm Kung Fu was already full of demonic energy and strange. Unexpectedly, the Huan sect's skills today opened his eyes again. What about the last book? Fang Qing looked at the last book in the old fox's hand. It was dark red, and its name was The True Interpretation of the Great Sun. This is what the old fox discovered in the corner when he was doing his last cleaning. It is a truly ancient technique. If it is said that the great joy of the sun, the moon, the yin and the yang can be gained by gathering qi if you work hard, the secret technique of the great sun initiation if you can still practice by going to the snowy mountains to find a master who practices the great sun Taoist tradition, this ancient method is not only obscure and difficult to explain, but also has extremely strict requirements for qi collection. Basically no one can get started, unless the Taoist friend is a natural Taoist wizard and happens to be a genius. I happened to find the great sun purple qi left behind in the ruins. The old fox grinned, obviously looking forward to it. Fellow Taoist, which book should I choose? Of course Fang Qing no longer hesitated, stretched out his hand and took out all 3 secret books. I want them all. I want them all. Then the spiritual resources promised last time will be given twice as much. And Zhuzi was obviously surprised. What's so difficult about this? Fang Qing directly took out a bunch of gourds and threw them to the old fox. I still have a few gourds here that can increase the spiritual water that can increase the late-stage magic power of convince. I'll give it to you, is that enough? Enough, of course it's enough. The old fox was overjoyed and hurriedly accepted the gourds, sniffing this one and tasting that one, like a drunk little fox. Spiritual resources in this world are really scarce. Fang Qing didn't say much, just took the secret book and left. Quack. I don't know when a dark crow stood on the old tree, its beak glowing with the color of fine steel. Dark Zhuzi, why don't you do it? Didn't we agree that you give the signal and we will kill the fat sheep together? Haha, don't I want to rob that person? Although the ants is so slim that it is almost impossible, but there is no doubt that there is a copy of Big Sun Purple Qi, and Zhuzi shook his head and looked at the direction Fang Qing left with a foxy face, with a solemn expression. Just when I got closer, I felt that the person was very dangerous. The last time I felt like this was at the exchange meeting. This person is either pretending to be a Taoist, or he has Taoism, or even the Zifu's tricks, so you have to be on guard. Also, inside the temporary cave, Fang Qing suppressed his excitement and first divined the good or bad luck of his family. A draw? It seems that there is no problem with this transaction this chapter comes from. After receiving the revelation, he looked at the 3 skills again, the good or bad luck of my practicing these skills, with the operation of Plum Blossom E, the results came out quickly. The secret technique of the Great Sun initiation has mixed good and bad luck? The true explanation of the Great Sun has good luck? As for the great joy of the sun, moon, yin and yang, it is the great evil? Fang Qing was a little surprised. Although he yearned for the content of the great joy of the sun, the moon, yin and yang, he didn't even look at it. He sealed it directly into a jade box and affixed a sealing talisman to it, preparing to keep it in the storage bag forever. Then, he immediately picked up the Great Sun True Interpretation with the hexagram Great Good Luck. After a long time, Fang Qing put down the secret book in his hand. His eyes were extremely clear, as if he was a little stupid. Even with the help of his divine consciousness, he still found many obscure parts in the book, the true explanation of the sun, and he didn't even know how to get started. He felt like an idiot. For some cultivators, even if they have divine consciousness to help them, it still depends on talent in the end, such as formations, and this book the true explanation of the Great Sun. Fang Qing is sure that this book of skills must be written by ancient cultivators. You can see that he has a confused look on his face. He may not be an ancient cultivator. He might come from ancient times. He sighed and opened the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. Having previous experience in practicing the horse-headed Vajra protector magic technique, Fang Qing barely got started with this secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. Sure enough. I have the help of my spiritual consciousness, and I am still a genius. I cannot practice the true solution of the Great Sun entirely because this technique is not for geniuses to practice. His heart immersed in God, he constantly analyzed the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. This secret practice in the secret area is an extremely special method in the Snow Mountain. It involves the secret of the Great Sun and also has the 3 secret practices. The secret of the body is the secret vehicle of Supreme Yoga, and the secret of the mouth is the secret of the Great Sun. Limi mantra, Imi is even more special. It has no visualization diagram, only a set of mudra, which is the Great Sun initiation and perfection Mahamudra method. How to practice the Great Sun true understanding that I didn't even know before is definitely not a problem of my lack of understanding. In fact, Fang Qing wanted to practice the Great Sun true understanding even more, but I really couldn't understand it. On the contrary, with the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation, the entry requirements are much lower. Is it a mixed blessing? Practice some practice first, or if you find something wrong in the future, use the Daoshengzhu pearl to melt it away immediately. Fang Qing made a decision, and this did not mean that he wanted to give up the true solution to the Great Sun. The energy collection of Big Sun Purple Qi is a dead end here in ancient Shu, but it is nothing at all on Bu Island. Over the past few years, he has already had 2 Great Sun Purple Qi in his hand. You can wait until you get started with the Great Sun true solution in the future, and then swallow another Great Sun Purple Qi to enter the Tao. With a golden finger in hand, you are so arrogant. Fang Qing made up his mind, twisted his body like a snake, and assumed a yoga secret vehicle posture. If he had not practiced the horse-headed Vajra Dharma protector magic skill so hard that his skin, flesh and bones had been refined, it would never have been so easy in the beginning. He silently recited the secret mantra of the Great Sun Tathagata in his heart, Om, Ma, and I, by, beauty, hum. In the sea of consciousness, the divine consciousness was even more assisting, and he visualized each large mudra. Half a day passed, and nothing happened. Sure enough, without the Guru's initiation or the Great Sun Purple Qi, it is impossible to enter the Tao in one step, Fang Qing thought, and a jade bottle placed next to him opened automatically, and a layer of rich purple energy inside suddenly emerged, and was inhaled by his mouth and nose. Boom! In an instant, the Great Sun initiation secret technique that had been motionless at first began to operate crazily. Great Sun Purple Qi flowed through the 3 rounds and 7 meridians, and finally landed in the position of the heavenly spirit and turned into a brilliant sun. Fang Qing relaxed and felt as if he had seen a blazing sun. On his forehead, a mark of the sun appeared, then quickly disappeared. The quality of this mana, after a long time, Fang Qing exhaled, silently experiencing the difference in the 9th level high-grade mana. In the Tao of Convincing Qi, only those with 7 levels or above of magic power can be promoted to the Purple Mansion. As for after the Purple Mansion? That is beyond human power, so no matter, the 9th level high grade, known as the Eastern Jade Purity. How powerful is the best? This mana can at least be worth several times the mana of Jishui. If you replace it with black water mana, it will only be more. The gap is so big at the beginning, what about the follow-up? He was a little excited, but he felt it carefully after realizing the speed of cultivation. He was speechless. After all, I am not a body of the Great Sun. Even if I am convinced to enter the Tao and change my physique, I can only barely practice the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. If I rely on myself to practice hard, the progress of cultivation will be far slower than the Guanhailing Sutra, or even much slower. If I practice the Book of Guanhailing, even without the magic power of Yuan Qi transformation, I still have the confidence to practice to the point of perfecting the Qi in this lifetime, and switch to the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. I am afraid that I will not be able to break through the late stage of the Qi in my lifetime. This is also the reason why the Qi Dao technique should be used with great caution. Not only cannot it be changed, but once you enter the door, you cannot go back. Fortunately, I still have a golden finger. Fang Qing knew that this secret technique of the Great Sun initiation was almost impossible to be promoted by practicing on his own, and he immediately thought about it. The Daoshengzhu pearl spins around, and a large amount of Yuan Qi emerges, pouring directly into the sun wheel. After passing through the 3 rounds and 7 meridians, it turns into the purest, great sun, mana. With this help, his whole body made a crackling sound, the mark of the sun appeared on the top of his head, and countless red blood threads appeared all over his body, like blood vessels. Convinced of the 2nd floor. 3 floors. 4th floor. Fang Qing's cultivation level continued to break through, and he did not stop until he was convinced at the 4th level. Only the 4th level of convinced qi? He looked at his hands, a little unbelievable. My black water mana has 7 levels of perfection, and can convert Jishui's mana that is 6 levels and more convinced qi, all into great sun mana, but I only have 4 levels of convinced qi? It's not quite complete. The quality gap between these kinds of mana is too big. Fang Qing exhaled a long breath, and the Daoshengzhu continued to transform, dissolving all the practices of the horse-headed Vitra protector magic S. Kill and fell into the sun disk. This magical body-protecting skill was also cultivated bit by him. I have also tried to use the magic power of Jishui before, but it seems that due to the lack of Taoism, it is difficult to break through the late stage of convinced qi with just the power of magic. Crackling. On Fang Qing's body, the phantom of the blazing sun appeared, and his cultivation level climbed all the way to the 6th level of convince. Sure enough, they are still techniques from the secret realm. They transform into each other most perfectly, with the lowest consumption and the greatest effect. He opened his eyes and suddenly looked at the palm of his hand. With a slight thought, a fingernail scratched, and a drop of blood appeared. This blood bead is different from ordinary people, with a little bit of gold. Fang Qing flicked it casually. Pop. The blood beads fell to the ground and turned into gold beads, making a dull sound. After taking Qi Dao monks and taking Qi into the body, will there be an inhuman change? He put the golden beads away and felt the peak of the Great Sun magic power. The Great Sun, the Emperor of Zhongtian, the most prosperous, can be the sun, Yuanyang, Xiaoyang, get close to Li Hua. These are the insights inherent in the magic power, which made Fang Qing suddenly feel a little awe-inspiring. The true meaning of the Great Sun initiation secret technique is rather majestic and majestic. How come it has become a Taoist tradition like that of Dashui Mountain? Wait a minute, I have now achieved a little success in the Great Sun initiation secret technique. As long as I cut my hair short and pretend to be a monk in the secret realm, there doesn't seem to be much problem. Well, here in ancient Shu, this kind of secret monk is also called a red-robed monk or a secret sect. It is said that secret sects can also grow their hair long, eat meat and drink, and even enjoy concubines. It's incredible. Taboo, although I am only at the 6th level of convinced qi. If I am given time to familiarize myself with the magic and practice a few yang and fire attributes, I am afraid that I will not be my opponent in the later stage of convinced qi. In today's world, the golden fire is in full swing, and in the 12 years, my great sun Dao will still be above the golden fire. Fang Qing's heart was surging. He finally understood how geniuses like Li Rulong were convinced in the midterm and fought back in the later stage. But let's forget about such a dangerous thing. If I want to fight, it must be in the middle stage of subduing qi and in the early stage of subduing qi. Fang Qing slowly suppressed the restlessness in his heart and savored the power of Big Sun. This mana is of extremely high quality and is just one of a kind. When it is used, there is an image of the sun rising from the fire, which is very extraordinary. This secret technique of the Great Sun initiation can only be cultivated to the foundation of the Tao. I am afraid that the subsequent Sifu chapter will have to go to the secret area to find. The bad relationship between me and Dashui Mountain has not been cut off, but has become more and more. He was flipping through the Great Sun initiation in his hand. The secret technique of the Great Sun enlightenment and silently comprehended, the foundation of the Tao that was cultivated during the Tao foundation of this technique is called Yao Ling Xian. It seems to be much stronger than the Jiu Gan Lin in the Guanhailing book. But I have never had the Tao foundation, so I still can't tell the difference. Fang Qing thought for a while and dispersed the magic power of the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. Boom. This majestic Yuan Qi is divided into 3 parts, and most of them promote the horse-headed Vitra protector magic art to the point where it is close to perfection for the first time. The second part is in the Book of Guanhailing, which becomes the cultivation level of around the 3rd level of admiration. The last one is Shuijingzhu, which is the 7th level of Qi refining. If I can't break through the late stage of the Qi convincing Tao for a long time, maybe I can practice it to the perfection of the 6th level of convincing Qi, and my Great Sun initiation secret technique has reached the realm of the 1st level of convincing Qi again. But this skill does not seem to be as weird as the previous body-protecting magical skills? Is it because I took the Great Sun purple Qi? Yeah.